in. After thinking about all this, Guyan had an idea and plan for the next step in his mind. But before that, he looked at the time. It was 9:30. Well, the timing is just right. Hey! Xiaoqiang King Free. I'm coming to find you. Guyan straightened his clothes and then skipped towards the underground garage. Ling family. In the study. Meizu's face flushed slightly and unnaturally. And she lay flat on the sofa. The whole body was covered by a black mist. Ling Qingqiu stood in front of her, with his eyes open, revealing a pair of strange eyes. The open book, Idled Night, in his hand exuded a creepy black glow. A steady stream of black mist came from the book and covered Meizu. Odor. Meizu tried hard to open her eyes, breathing slightly and looked at Ling Qingqiu. The other person looked calm, as if he was thinking about something while treating her, so it seems like the force used was a little greater. Meizu seemed to be able to feel an endless supply of power in her body. This power entering her body all at once made her feel both comfortable and uncomfortable. Bear with the Meizu, the treatment will be over soon, Ling Qingqiu said calmly. The treatment time is very short. Only about 1 minute. But Meizu felt as if half a century had passed. She clenched her teeth and her body began to tremble unnaturally. The two forces in her body kept colliding, turning her upside down. Finally, at the last moment, a black key with an even more ferocious aura swallowed up the golden key. The treatment is over. Meizu was already sweating profusely. And she also felt that her bottleneck had loosened a little. Meizu understood that this was the work of the master. She panted slightly, looking at Ling Qingqiu with a dazed look in her eyes. Thank you for the gift, master. Although this treatment method is a bit strange, there is a task to be assigned to Meizu after all. So the force was a bit greater, and the opponent was also given some power of night. I believe that Meizu will be able to break through soon. Ling Qingqiu closed her eyes again. Fortunately, there was no one here. Otherwise someone who didn't know would think she was doing something. Listening to Meizu's words, Ling Qingqiu nodded slightly and said, "Here is a secret mission for you." Meizu came back to her senses, quickly stood up and knelt on one knee. Master, please give me your orders. Ling Qingqiu nodded slightly, his expression a little unnatural, and said, "For the organization's plan, we need the power of the Gu family. So Guyan, as the next successor, is someone that our organization must grasp. From now on, you will follow Guyan secretly and protect his safety." Having said this, he paused. Ling Qingqiu emphasized, "Even if you die, Guyan cannot die." Meizu's heart trembled violently. She lowered her head, her face covered with cold sweat. "Yes. Why did the master suddenly mention Guyan? Is it because you discovered the secret between me and Guyan? No, it's impossible. If they found out what Guyan and I did in secret, I would probably be strangled to death the moment I crawled to the door of the night organization. So the master just gave me a normal task arrangement." Thinking of this, Meizu felt a little enlightened. No wonder her master was with Guyan. It turned out that it was to control the Gu family. So that's how it is, but Guyan is not as simple as he seems. After thinking about it, Meizu couldn't help but mention it. Master Guyan has a powerful old man beside him. Meizu implied that she wanted to remind Ling Qingqiu that the Gu family actually had an extraordinary background. Hope the owner will be careful. Ling Qingqiu nodded and said calmly, "Of course I know." Hearing this, Meizu was shocked. At the same time, I also felt extremely ashamed. Who is the master? How could he not know about this? Presumably, the master already knew Guyan's true face, and only sent her to protect Guyan in order to gain his trust and seize the Gu family. This must be the master's plan. Guyan thought that his master didn't know his true face, but he would definitely be very touched to see the other party taking such measures to protect him. A master then showed his ruthless tactics at the last moment and swallowed up the Gu family in one fell swoop. As expected of the master, Meizu felt ashamed of herself when she looked at Ling Qingqiu. Her master was worthy of being the master. What's in his mind is simply not easy for subordinates like them to guess. She nodded again. "Yes, master, I promise to complete the task." Ling Qingqiu was a little confused as to why Meizu was so excited, but she nodded calmly on the surface. "Well, go wash up first, and then protect Guyan in secret." Yes. Chapter 59. Hey, this is my girlfriend. Because he was afraid that Shaolin would take revenge on Guyan, he wanted Meizu to protect Guyan in secret. And the other party was in deep danger. Meizu immediately took action to protect Guyan. After finishing, leave a sentence. You don't need to know who is going to protect you. TSK, it seems like a perfect plan when I think about it. It should have been like this except Ling's house. On the dining table on the first floor, 3 people with different expressions sat together. So, why did Guyan come here suddenly? Didn't you ask your aunt to come over and deliver the food today? And shouldn't your aunt still be the one to cook? No, I can't expose myself. Thinking about it, Ling Qiyu coughed dryly and introduced calmly. This is my relative's child, her name is Meizu. You just happened to come visit me today. Meizu's expression seemed very strange after hearing this, and she tried hard to suppress the feeling of panic. There were still water drops on her hair that hadn't been blown dry. She swallowed her saliva, not daring to look at Gu Yan's expression. Hello, my name is Meizu, and I'm the best friend of the host, Ling Qiyu. Well, I actually called the master's name directly. It's over, I will die to atone for this. Meizu didn't know what was going on. She only knew that her mind was very confused. After taking a shower and putting on clothes, she wanted to blow dry her hair, but she saw Gu Yan standing behind her in the mirror with a strange look on his face, and there was the sound of hurried running from upstairs. Then, it became like this. Gu Yan looked at Ling Qiyu, and at Meizu, who looked flustered. What is going on? Originally, I just wanted to come to Ling's house happily and spend some wonderful time with King Qiyu from our family. But why would this guy Meizu appear here? And it has developed into the current situation. Even a smart person like Gu Yan didn't expect that Ling Qiyu and Meizu would be sitting at the same table. After all, according to Gu Yan's idea, the best case scenario was that he would privately resolve the plot in which Meizu would betray Ling Qiyu in the original novel. And I never thought of bringing it to the surface. But it's over now. Gu Yan forced a smile, then looked at Meizu kindly. Hello, Miss Mei, my name is Gu Yan, thank you for taking care of my daughter King. As soon as these words came out, Meizu's face changed. King? This guy calls my master King? How rude. Isn't he afraid of death? She hurriedly looked at Ling Qiyu, but saw that Ling Qiyu's expression remained unchanged. Meizu suddenly realized, so that's it. In order to seize the Gu family, her master pretended to be indifferent. After all, she didn't really like Gu Yan. Even if she was annoyed and dissatisfied in her heart, she would not show it on her face, as expected of the master. Thinking of this, Meizu forced a smile and replied to Gu Yan. Oh, I should thank you for always taking care of King Qiyu. It is Miss Mei. Mr. Gu is, of course, what neither of them noticed was, although Ling Qiyu's expression did not change at all, his hands under the table were clenched tightly together. She felt extremely ashamed in her heart. Damn it. Ow, how could you call me that in front of my men? How will they see me like this? Damn it, it's so embarrassing. Ling Qiyu felt extremely ashamed and she really wanted to lock herself in the study and never come out again. Ding dong, the hour signal sounded at this time. Gu Yan looked up, and said to Meizu, it's almost time for dinner, Miss Mei. Why don't you stay for dinner? There was a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. I have to ask him carefully. Meizu felt a little conflicted after hearing this, because it was not up to her to decide whether she could stay or not. But it is her master who has the final say besides. As a servant, how could she possibly eat with her master? However, Ling Qiyu spoke up and said with a smile. Yan is right, Meizu, you should stay for dinner. Ling Qiyu didn't want Gu Yan to think that she was a stingy person. Although this will somewhat affect my image in the eyes of my subordinates. Hearing this, Meizu nodded repeatedly. Yes, I mean it. Gu Yan looked at Meizu, who looked flustered in silence. Please, can you please act more realistically? Fortunately, it's me sitting here. If it were someone else, I'm afraid they would have seen through it a long time ago. What an idiot. No, King Qiyu and I have very little time alone together, and I can't let this idiot mess things up. Thinking about it, Gu Yan smiled and said, Miss Mei, please go to the kitchen and help me prepare the side dishes for lunch. I've asked Andy to bring it over. You should be able to wash and cut these, right? Hearing this, Meizu felt a little uncomfortable. Please, you are not my master. Although I need your help, please don't expect me to listen to you. Then Meizu stood up and responded with a smile. Okay, these are what I am best at. Forget it, staying here is really tormenting me. Going to the kitchen and being alone can relieve a lot of stress. After seeing Meizu leave, Ling Qiyu was actually relieved in her heart. After all, Meizu was her subordinate, and she was the Night King of the Night Organization. She absolutely didn't want Gu Yan to know this. Now that she was alone with Gu Yan, she could relax a little. Just when I was thinking this, the next second, a hot body came up to me. Ling Qiyu just felt that he was being hugged by something. King's Quinquian, didn't you tell me that there were guests at home? It made me so nervous. She's still a woman. You don't know how shocked I was when I first saw her blow drying her hair. Gu Yan stood up, walked to Ling Qiyu and hugged her directly. He kept inhaling the fragrance of Ling Qiyu. Hey. Pay attention, there's someone here. She's my best IE. And she came to see if I'm normal. Ling Qiyu's face flushed slightly. Meizuke was still in the kitchen. She pushed Guyan hard to try to get him to move away. But Guyan was like a sticky candy and couldn't be shaken off. Hug your love interest, score 10. Continuously hug your love partner, score 30. The pure love object feels ashamed, points 100. Are you kidding? Now is a good time to replenish your pure love energy. However, Kinkyu couldn't be too troubled, so Guyan moved a chair over and sat next to Ling Kinkyu, then stretched out his hand and put it on the other's shoulder. He pulled the other person into his arms, but the latter resisted and pulled him out. So the two of them engaged in a tug of war. Kinkyu, we haven't seen each other for so long, don't you miss me? We haven't seen each other for just one night. Really? There's an old Chinese saying that goes, 3 days apart is like 30 days apart. And 1 night apart is like 10 days apart. What kind of weird metaphor is this? Anyway, it should be 3 days of separation, right? My dear wife, you are so smart. I will reward you with a sweet kiss. Roll. Chapter 60 Early Villain Hades Palace. After pulling like this for a while, Guyan found that he really couldn't pull Ling Kinkyu into his arms. In addition, Ling Kinkyu said that she was going upstairs to read. So Guyan had no choice but to give up. Oh, Kinkyu, I'll call you when the meal is ready. I know, go away now. Is Kinkyu, you are so beautiful when you scold others. Click, the study door closed. Bang! Ling Kinkyu suddenly covered her face. And an expression of shame and anger appeared on her face. She opened her eyes although they had no color or luster. They looked charming and beautiful with the blush on her face. What a rude fellow. Don't you know that I am not only the actual controller of the Ling family but also the king of the night? You actually did that to me in front of my men. This ruined my image in front of them. Damn bastard. Ling Kinkyu gritted her teeth, closed her eyes and took a deep breath. No, she couldn't let Guyan disrupt her mind and plans. Since the young master of the Dragon King Palace is more difficult to deal with, then let's focus on other weaker forces. Although I really want to say this, but something seems to have happened in the company recently. Ling Kinkyu was groping for the letter sent by Ling Xing'an, the apparent head of the Ling family. It says above. Niece, this is bad. There is a traitor inside the company. He ran away with our research results. According to the investigation, the other party was sent by Yanxing Group. What should we do now? Why? Ling Kinkyu sighed lightly, and the image of Ling Xing'an's helpless look seemed to appear in his mind. What will the Ling family do without me? But Yanxing Group. Ling Kinkyu thought about it, and a hint of murderous intent appeared in his eyes. In fact, the information that Clydia handed over mentioned that the Hall of Yama had interfered in the affairs of the secular world. Among them, Yanxing Group is a large real estate company established by the King of Hell in the secular world. More than half of the houses in Zhangyi City were built by them, which shows their strong strength. It has been rooted in rivers and seas for so many years that it must have penetrated into every corner of rivers and seas. I don't know how many warriors the other side has. Ling Kinkyu's expression was somewhat solemn. His current strength was still too weak, and the risk of rashly attacking the palace of Yama was too great. And there was one thing she didn't understand. What was Yanxing Group? A real estate company, doing with the Ling family's medical technology information? Ling Kinkyu frowned and bit her nails. After a moment, her eyes turned slightly cold and she asked Meizu and the others to investigate. Dig up all the information about the palace of Yama. At this time, in the kitchen, the atmosphere is a little weird. Guyan was washing the vegetables while Meizu was cutting them. The former asked kindly, "What are you doing taking a shower in my house?" "Your home." Meizu frowned and said, "My master asked me to wash here." "Oh." Guyan nodded, and then asked, "What does Kinkyu want you to do? Tell me about it." Anyway, the two of them have a special relationship in secret, so Guyan doesn't care whether he performs or not. Hearing this, Meizu was silent for a while. Should she say it? Would it be considered revealing the secret mission assigned to her by her master? But this matter was originally related to Guyan. After thinking about it, Meizu still chose to speak out. This might make Guyan trust her more. The master was moved by this. After being injured by Shaolin yesterday, the master asked me to come here to heal my wounds. After the treatment, the master asked me to protect you in secret. When Guyan heard this, his face lit up with joy. She even washed the vegetables more diligently. Is that so? Well, she is worthy of being Kinkyu. Ah, I didn't expect Kinkyu to be so nice to me, and even want to send someone to protect me secretly. She appears to be so arrogant and tells me to go to hell. She is such a hypocritical woman. Meizu sneered in her heart when she saw the outstanding effect. Idiot man. You probably don't know that the master's real purpose is to make you so moved that he can take over your Gu family in the end. Right? You are happy only for this moment. After I finish the remaining 4 tasks and get news about my brother, I will immediately report your true face to my master. Meizu thought to herself. Gu Yan had no idea what Meizu was thinking. While he was happy, his mind was thinking about a plot point in the original label. If things go as he expected, an early villain of Zhonghai City in the original novel Yan Wang Dian will appear. This organization is considered to be the largest martial arts organization in Zhonghai City. They have their hands in all walks of life and have established the real estate company Yan Xing Group. They also have a lot of cooperation with their Gu family. Every year at the annual family meeting, the Gu family would also invite representatives from the Hell King's palace to attend. The two families seemed to be in harmony and happy. But in fact, that was not the case. The Lord of the Yama Palace has a big ambition, which is to annex all the families in Zhonghai City. He wants to become the emperor of Zhonghai City. The Lord of the Yama Palace is named Yan Huang, a mid-level Grand Master. In the original novel, he is considered a major villain in the early stage, because the family that the other party wanted to annex happened to be the Shin family. Shaolin, as the protagonist, would run into the other party. After a series of desperate battles, Shaolin successfully broke through the peak of the early Grand Master stage and officially entered the middle Grand Master stage. Then he killed Yan Huang, the Lord of Yama Palace, and took over all the industries under the name of Yama Palace, expanding his power again and becoming a prominent figure in Zhonghai City. Well, in short, it's a very troublesome organization. But there is no need to worry too much according to the development of the plot. This palace of Yama was finally destroyed by the protagonists. As for why it is connected with the protagonist group, that's because one of the families that Yama Hall wants to annex is the Shen family. As Shen Wayne arrests new bootlicker, Shaolin naturally shouldered the responsibility of eliminating the bad guys. Not only did he resolve the Shen family's crisis, but he also won Shen Wayne arrest's favor. So Gu Yan said that he just needed to develop steadily behind the scenes. Let the protagonist Shaolin have to worry about this Hall of Hell. Gu Yan was thinking about it, and he paused. The expression is a little weird. Wait a minute, let's look at the details described in the original book. The King of Hell would like to swallow up all the families in Zhonghai City. Apparently under the instructions of Link Inqiyu. The reason why Yama Palace fought hard against Shaolin was because of Link Inqiyu's instructions. After all, in the original book, Yan Wang said these words when he died. Do you think you can feel at ease after killing me? The truly terrifying existence has not yet appeared. All those people back then will die. The devil has crawled out of hell. Shaolin, who also bears the consequences, the same goes for you. Whether it's you, or your friends and comrades, they will all die. I will wait for you in hell. When the recollection ended, Gu Yan's mouth twitched. This is all Kinkyu's fault. Chapter 61, Kind Kinkyu. You don't have a fever? Good news, Silver Branch Pool. Red hair, strong, and intelligent. Bad news, the character is called him Echo. The author has no intention of writing a railway novel and severely torturing the characters in it. If Link Kinkyu is the mastermind behind this, does that mean that I don't need to worry about villains like the King of Hell at all? After all, the plot of the original novel is a standard and passionate plot. The protagonists thought they had defeated the strongest enemy. But in fact there was an even stronger enemy behind this enemy. According to the information revealed after the death of each villain, the biggest villain who controls them is actually Link Kinkyu. It's worthy of being our Kinkyu. Gu Yan was thinking. Suddenly, his expression froze. No, wait a minute. According to the various plots in the original novel, Link Kinkyu is actually the one controlling every villain encountered by the protagonists. In other words, Link Kinkyu was already invincible in the world during that period. As for why the protagonist was not killed directly, Link Kinkyu also said it in the original book. The purpose is to let the protagonist gradually feel the despair of the death of people around him. Let the other person also feel the pain that you feel because of your sister's death. In other words, when Shaolin was targeted by the King of Hell, it actually meant that Link Kinkyu had broken the seal on his eyes and became invincible. Well, that's what the original book says. Originally speaking, the corner of Gu Yan's mouth twitched as he discovered an unexpected situation. Although the original novel does not clearly explain how Link Kinkyu became invincible, but based on the various details written by the author, Gu Yan was able to guess it. Probably he needs Linglinger's heart blood to restore the sight of Link Inkyu's eyes, and then he will be invincible in the world. According to the original plot, Shen Waner's brother Shenqian was killed by Link Inkyu. So Shen Waner was heartbroken and revealed her feelings to Shaolin. In order to avenge Shen Waner, Shaolin killed Linglinger. Link Inkyu completely collapsed and turned evil because of his sister's death. He used Linglinger's blood to restore the sight in his eyes, and became invincible from then on. But these are all the plots of the original book. As of now, Shen Yan is not dead. Linglinger and Gu Yan would not let the other party die. That How does King Qiyu regain his light and become invincible? How can we control Hades' palace if we can't be invincible? Rely on the current Knight organization? It's not that Guyan looked down on the Knight organization. It's because the original book said that before King Qiyu gained power, the strongest member of the Knight organization was only at the mid-stage Grandmaster level. Guyan still remembers the scene where he made those harsh words. That adult gave me strength. 800 words omitted here. You are stupid because you did that thing. But you allowed that adult to break through his own bottleneck. We have been strengthened by the gift of adults. If you want to blame someone, blame yourself for being stupid enough to go against adults. It can be learned that when King Qiyu broke the seal, he bestowed enormous power on all members of the Knight organization and some branch members, allowing them to break through from the acquired to the innate, and from the innate to the master, until all members of the Knight organization appeared. The strongest one was only at the peak of the late Grandmaster stage. In other words, the current members of the Knight organization are most likely no match for the Hell King's palace. Shaolin's Tao heart was damaged by him again. Once the heart of martial arts was damaged, it would be difficult to break through the realm again. It is hard to say whether he can break through to the middle stage of Grandmaster as in the original novel. If the King of Hell points the spearhead at King Qiyu, won't it be very difficult to deal with? Guyan took a deep breath. Because he had always wanted to kill the protagonist Shaolin, he subconsciously forgot that there were actually many other villains in this world. King Qiyu is just the biggest villain BOSS, and in the original novel he is also the ultimate villain who controls all the villains, big and small. But the premise is that this is what happened in the original book. Now King Qiyu's strength cannot become the strongest. Not only him, but even King Qiyu's own safety cannot be guaranteed. There must be other ways. Guyan thought about it. Oh, right? And there is that half piece of Dragon King Jade. It is rumored that once the Dragon King Jade is put together, 800 words omitted here. In short, a complete Dragon King Jade pendant can let the entire Dragon King palace. Half a block will lose this effect. The previous palace master was unable to give orders to the Dragon King palace because the Jade pendant was damaged. Well, it seems that I have a new idea. I can fuse the Jade pendant to get the palace of the Dragon King, and use this power to defend against some potential risks. He didn't believe that King Qiyu could only rely on Linger's blood to restore his eyesight. Furthermore, why must it be Linger's heart blood? Is there any other connection between the two besides blood? Speaking of blood, wouldn't it be the same to use the heart blood of Xing'an, the apparent head of the Ling family? Forget it, don't think too much about it for now. Your main opponent is still the protagonist Shaolin. After all, in the original book, the opponent's strength was enough to kill King Qiyu together. But this brings up another problem. It is known that King Qiyu is very powerful in the original novel, and the ambition of the King of Hell to unify the rivers and seas was controlled and directed by King Qiyu. Also, because King Qiyu's strength has not recovered yet, he is unable to control the palace of Yama. So, does the King of Hell not have the ambition to unify the rivers and seas? Does this mean that the protagonists will not be provoked? What will the plot become then? Guyan felt a bit of a headache. Even if the world's power was further adjusted, it would not be possible under the premise that King Qiyu is not yet invincible. Let's pick up the story again. Even if we pick it up, who will pick it up? We can't let him take over, can we? TSK, my mind is a bit confused. At this point, Guyan turned off the faucet and smiled. Let's eat first. Meizu, who was standing by, felt a chill running through her body. She glanced at Guyan, whose expression had been changing like a palette since a while ago. This guy, could he have schizophrenia? Lunchtime. Meizu lowered her head and ate her meal while eating. She quietly looked up and forward. Guyan was sitting next to his master. Picking up food and feeding him, he asked with a smile. King Qiyu, you haven't eaten my cooking for a long time. Do you miss the taste? King Qiyu, who has subordinates around her, naturally would not reveal her true thoughts. She did not want her subordinates to think that she was a pretentious woman. So she smiled gently, as warm as the rising sun. If you make it, it must be delicious. When Guyan looked at King Qiyu like this, his heart started beating fast. No way, what version of King Qiyu is this? Why would he still show me such a gentle and soft smile? No, it is often said that when a woman smiles at you, it means you have done something wrong. Could it be that I did something and King Qiyu found out? Guyan fell into deep thought. Meizu was also frightened by what she saw. So that's what the master did, in order to gain Guyan's favor and trust. So she has been pretending to be a good wife and mother, right? It's a pity that you, Guyan, didn't expect that all the master did was just to take away the Gu family. Hey, you are worthy of being the master. King Qiyu had no idea about the brainstorming between the two people outside. The fragrance at the tip of her nose had already made her appetite growl. She gently opened her mouth and tasted the dish that Gu Yan handed over. Her heart skipped a beat and her breathing quickened slightly. Ling Qinyu's body involuntarily tensed up. 3 days of absence is really a long absence. Ling Qinyu felt like she was about to cry. Delicious. That's the taste. Woohoo, I miss this. So happy and spicy. Although Ling Qinyu still wanted Gu Yan to feed her. She had her own men beside her after all. So she took a napkin and wiped her mouth. Then smiled at Gu Yan, who was still immersed in self-doubt, and said, "It's just as I thought, it's delicious." Then, before Gu Yan could come to his senses, Ling Qinyu picked up a pair of chopsticks as if he knew where each dish was. She picked it up and handed it to Gu Yan's mouth under his stunned gaze. She smiled gently and said, "Here." Although he smiled on the surface, he was actually feeling extremely ashamed inside. Even the hands that were holding the food were shaking. Ling Qinyu had thought about acting the same as usual and showing a proud attitude towards Gu Yan. But with Mei Zhu around, she didn't want her subordinates to think that Gu Yan was trying to please her like a servant. He also doesn't want his subordinates to look down on Gu Yan because of this. Of course, it's not because of the various thoughts in my mind. It was just simple, purely simple, that she couldn't be simpler. She didn't want Gu Yan, who was nominally her husband. It was really because her husband, in name only, was looked down upon by his subordinates. Therefore, she was willing to treat Gu Yan with gentleness and consideration, even though this might affect her subordinates' perception of her. Having said that, Ling Qinyu could hardly hold on to her smile. Why hadn't she sensed that Gu Yan had come to eat the food? "Hey, don't you think my hands won't be sore?" Next second, a hand was placed on Ling Qinyu's forehead. Gu Yan asked with some concern. "Qinyu, you don't have a fever, are you feeling unwell?" He was a little surprised and confused. Why did Ling Qinyu, who usually either told him to get out or died with a cold face, change her personality today? How could she be so gentle and considerate to him? Ling Qinyu. She kept smiling, without putting down her chopsticks, and looked up at Gu Yan kindly. Then, "Tread." "Is." Gu Yan's face twitched and he looked down, only to see Ling Qinyu stepping hard on the back of his foot with her feet in home slippers. "Gu Yan, what are you talking about? Haven't I always been like this? Also, eat quickly, I picked it up especially for you," Ling Qinyu said kindly while twisting her right foot. No matter what, Gu Yan could understand it now. He endured the pain and sat down again, biting directly on the chopsticks handed to him by Ling Qinyu. Being stepped on by the object of pure love through the shoes. Points 50. Regardless of the pain in his feet, he felt extremely happy in his heart. Although I don't know what happened, Qinyu is so great like this. Chapter 62, doing this kind of thing? I'm very shy. Okay. Mei Zhu couldn't help sneering as she looked at the extremely happy Gu Yan. Aha, you will only be happy for a moment when the master takes away the Gu family. Don't cry bitterly then. As if sensing Mei Zhu's gaze, Gu Yan turned his head away and gave her an expression that said, "What are you looking at? Are you envious?" Mei Zhu. Her face twitched, but she was not angry. She thought that all this was just a beautiful illusion created by her master for her. Then you won't be able to laugh anymore. But I have to say, the food Gu Yan cooks is indeed delicious. No wonder I said the egg fried rice in the tea restaurant was not as good as his. As Mei Zhu was thinking, she saw Gu Yan interacting with her master over there. As she watched, she didn't know why, but she felt uncomfortable all over. Damn it, don't push it any further. Ah, how dare he do that? Mei Zhu's face turned slightly red, as if she felt that she could no longer bear it. So she stood up quickly and said, "I'm full." So he took the bowl and went into the kitchen. Gu Yan glanced at the other person who was leaving and smiled in his heart. Wow, he really knows how to read people's expressions. You know that I will love Qinyu well from now on. Thinking about it, he looked at Ling Qinyu with a smile on his face. "Qinyu, this time it's my turn to feed." But as he was talking, Gu Yan couldn't go on. Just see. Ling Qinyu's originally gentle and considerate appearance suddenly dropped like the temperature, and she became as cold as usual. The former listened to Gu Yan's words, feeling ashamed and angry in his heart, but said coldly on the surface, "Go away, who wants you to feed me? I can eat by myself. You made me hold the chopsticks for so long just now. You." The words haven't finished yet. Where's the dishwashing liquid? At this time, Mei Zhu came out of the kitchen. Then, under the cupboard. "Come on, Gu Yan, open your mouth." Ling Qinyu showed a gentle face and considerately held the dish to Gu Yan's mouth. Gu Yan was stunned. Wait a minute, Ling Qinyu turns out to have schizophrenia. Oh, okay? Mei Zhu looked at her master strangely. It was so strange, she always felt an indescribable feeling. She shook her head and went back into the kitchen. Ling Qinyu breathed a sigh of relief. At this point, Guyan finally understood, and he suddenly realized. I see. Because Leng Qingqiu has not yet completely turned evil. He must appear gentle and considerate in front of his subordinates. That's why he acts so gentle in front of Meizu. So that's how it is. Guyan looked at Leng Qingqiu, whose gentle expression gradually faded. And he sighed in disappointment. So that's how it is. Guyan looked at the chopsticks that were so close to him. He shook his head and said, Qingqiu, Meizu is gone. There was a sense of loss in his words. Leng Qingqiu was shocked when he heard this. Guyan seems very disappointed. She suddenly felt a little guilty. Yes, because I pretended to be gentle. Guyan mistakenly thought that I was acting for Meizu. As a man who loves her, I would naturally feel very disappointed and lost. Obviously Guya loves her so much and treats her well without reservation. But why can't I let go of myself? Leng Qingqiu gritted his teeth. Damn it, just this once. She seemed to have made a decision and took a deep breath. This is Guyan. Just when he thought Leng Qingqiu would not continue acting. Give it to me. Leng Qingqiu raised his head and said in a voice that sounded a little strange. Guyan was stunned. He asked in confusion. Qingqiu, Meizu is not here. Why did Qingqiu still want to act when all his subordinates had left? Since he didn't like doing such things. Guyan wouldn't force it. However, Leng Qingqiu still gritted his teeth, turned to Guyan, and said, eat it. Guyan was stunned for a moment. Then ate the chopsticks that Leng Qingqiu had used. Then, Leng Qingqiu asked, is it delicious? Tasty. After saying that, Leng Qingqiu picked up another bite of food and handed it to Guyan. Give it to me. The latter didn't quite understand. But he still did as he was told. Is it tasty? Tasty. And Leng Qingqiu picked up another piece of food and handed it to Guyan. Without saying anything this time. But Guyan was stunned. Because Leng Qingqiu's little face flushed slightly. And even her hands were trembling slightly. Guyan couldn't help but ask. Qingqiu. But the words were not finished. Leng Qingqiu interrupted in a low voice. Please don't talk. Her voice was trembling, and she turned her head away with a little shame in her heart. I just don't want you to be looked down upon by my best IE. But that doesn't mean I can only do these things between lovers for this purpose. Leng Qingqiu didn't know why he said these words. Maybe. She saw the wave of sadness coming from Guyan's chest. Only then did she realize how sad her actions would make Guyan. And this was not the time for her to act arrogant. Leng Qingqiu's voice gradually became lower and his chopsticks gradually fell. This is also my first time to fall in love. It's embarrassing to do this kind of thing. Okay, plop, plop. Guyan's eyes trembled and his heart started beating wildly. Bang. He pressed on his chest and pounded it hard. Hey, what are you doing? Leng Qingqiu was stunned for a moment. She stood up and was about to stop Guyan. But the other party reached out and held Leng Qingqiu down. Isha. Guyan took a deep breath, even though the pain from the hammer on his chest could not be stopped. The corners of his mouth kept rising and almost turned into a grin. I love you so much, Qingqiu. I love you so much. Guyan laughed and held Leng Qingqiu's hand, holding the dish. And then ate it in one bite. It's delicious. It will taste even better if you feed me with your own hands. Is this it? Leng Qingqiu breathed a sigh of relief. She wondered what happened to Guyan. She obviously didn't want to continue. But when she heard Guyan's happy voice, she became happy for some reason. How about trying this? Tasty. This. It's still delicious. Why do you like everything? Because Qingqiu, everything you pick up is delicious. Really? Then I'll cook for you next time? Why don't you speak? I should go wash the dishes. Guyan fled from the dining table and ran towards the kitchen with the plate of food. Leng Qingqiu showed a trace of anger on his face. This bastard. Does he think the food I cook is not delicious? But Leng Qingqiu couldn't help but raise the corners of her mouth slightly. And the blush on her face did not fade away. She held the chopsticks and made the motion of picking up food in the air. I don't know why I felt so happy. What a willful guy. Chapter 63. You go protect Lenglinger, the cowardly boy. Kitchen. Guyan hummed a song while cleaning the dishes. Meizu, who was helping out, was speechless. This guy is so annoying. Even though he sings really well and cooks well. But the owner doesn't really like him. And he keeps sticking to the owner. When the time comes and I take away the Gu family, I wonder if you will still be able to smile. At this time, Guyan suddenly looked at Meizu and said with a smile. By the way, Meizu, I have something to ask of you. I'm a little uncomfortable with this sudden friendly attitude. Meizu felt a little awkward with the sincere Guyan in front of her. It was obvious that he had been talking to her with a hypocritical smile before. What's the matter? It's nothing. Didn't Qingqiu ask you to protect me secretly? But it doesn't matter. I have other masters around me and I don't need you. So you should go and protect Kinkyui's sister Langlinga. Just in case, Guyan had already sent many people to guard near Langlinga's school. But it is better to be safe than sorry, so let Meizu, who is good at hiding in the dark, protect Langlinga, which provides multiple insurances. There is no need to worry about Langlinga's safety. Even if Meizu cannot defeat the attacking enemies, it will be no problem for her to escape with Langlinga. Meizu frowned when she heard this, but the master's order is for me to protect you. Although Langlinga is Lang Kinkyui's sister, the master's order is to protect Guyan. Of course, she followed Lang Kinkyui's orders. Guyan smiled slightly when he heard this and said, "Then consider this as the second thing you have done for me. And maybe this will be a good thing for you." "Good thing?" Meizu frowned slightly, her expression conflicted. After thinking it over again and again, she nodded. "Okay, but do you really want to use the opportunity for something like this?" Meizu didn't quite understand Guyan's train of thought. What did the safety of others have to do with him? Guyan nodded slightly. Meizu stopped talking, and then became a little excited. "It's almost there, it's almost there. Brother, just wait a little longer. I will find you soon." What Meizu didn't know was, Guyan's eyes became slightly puzzled. He had asked Lagao to investigate Meizu's brother before. "I didn't expect it was him." Interesting. Could this be fate? Zhanghe High School. In a toilet. Bang! Didn't I tell you not to keep staring at Linger? A young boy with dyed yellow hair punched a boy with weak eyes and a thin body in the face. The latter was punched and fell to the wet ground. He covered his face and huddled in the corner in panic, trembling and apologizing. I'm sorry. Hey, this guy is crying. Are you a man? Oh, I forgot that you are a scumbag who has no parents and even your sister is missing. Brother Wang, even if this kind of rubbish has 100 guts, he wouldn't dare to compete with you for the title of Sister Linger. In addition to the yellow-haired boy, there were several other boys of the same age around him. They all smiled sarcastically as they looked at the thin boy who was sobbing with his face covered by his hands and cornered by them. Wang Zilin was very satisfied with what his brothers said. He stared at the thin boy fiercely and threatened, "Deng Feng, I advise you to put away your little thoughts. Don't think you can do anything with Linger just because you have good grades. Linger only came to you to ask questions because the college entrance examination is coming soon. Don't think that she likes you." When he said this, Wang Zilin was also very depressed. Linger was not acting right recently and suddenly said that she wanted to study hard. He also said that he wanted to get into college and would not participate in gang activities. Alas, he even asked his parents for 2 movie tickets. "I was thinking of inviting Linger to see a movie this weekend." "Oh, that's not right. I heard Linger found a rich boyfriend. But they also said he was her brother-in-law." "Really? Linger obviously likes me. How could she look for another man? Those people who spread rumors should be beaten up." When Deng Feng heard Wang Zilin's insulting words to himself and his family, he clenched his fists tightly in his mind. He wanted to rush up and punch the person who insulted his family in the face. But he let go helplessly. There was immense guilt and despair in his eyes. "I'm such a loser. Why am I such a loser? The person who insulted my parents and sister is standing right in front of me. But why? I don't even have the courage to stand up and refute them. Why am I so useless? People like me. It's better to be dead." The light in Deng Feng's eyes became less and less, and he felt that there was no meaning for him to live anymore. The person who insulted his family was standing in front of him, but he didn't even have the courage to fight back. Such a waste. Such a wimp. And just at this moment, "Wang Zilin, stop it!" An angry and scolding voice came from the toilet door. Wang Zilin's face changed, and he and a group of brothers turned their heads to look. Linger was seen holding a notebook and looking at Wang Zilin and others with anger on her face. Bi Quanlan, if you don't know whose name it is, you can go back to chapter 21. Who was following Linger also laughed and said, "What a bunch of losers, so many people bully one person. Are you men?" Wang Zilin was choked and his face looked a little ugly. But he didn't dare to say anything. After all, Linger is the person he likes, and Bai Quanlan is the eldest daughter of the Be family, and she is not someone he can afford to mess with. So he had no choice but to put on a flattering smile. "Linger, what are you doing? I'm just teaching that ignorant waste a lesson." Linger frowned when she heard this. She looked at Wang Zilin coldly. "You called me Linger? Do I know you well? And? Apologize to me now. Friend, this piece of shit?" Wang Zilin's face twitched, and it seemed as if he could no longer hold on to the smile. The brothers around them all looked away. They felt that the atmosphere had become very heavy. "Apologize? You want me to apologize to this loser? Linger, are you kidding me?" Wang Zilin took a deep breath. It would be more painful than killing him to apologize to such an inferior piece of trash. "You useless piece of shit, did you eat shit? Why does your mouth stink so bad?" Lang Linger handed the notes to Ba Quanlan beside her. Then walked in front of Wang Zilin. He did not hide the anger in his eyes. Apologize to me. Wang Zilin clenched his fists tightly, gritted his teeth, and looked at Lang Linger, who was defending others in front of him. He finally said in a low voice, "I'm sorry." After he finished speaking, he seemed to feel too embarrassed, so he gritted his teeth and glared fiercely at Dingfeng, who was hiding in the corner behind him. Remember this. After saying that, he left with an unhappy look on his face. It's over. Lang Linger walked up to Dingfeng, stretched out her hand, and asked worriedly, "Are you okay, Lang Linger?" Feng stared at Lang Linger, who extended a helping hand to him. With a slight gleam in his eyes, he subconsciously wanted to reach out his hand. But suddenly a thought appeared in his mind. The figure who came to pick up Lang Linger that day. That man was Lang Linger's boyfriend. People like me. People like me. No, it's okay. Feng forced a smile and shook his head. Then stood up with the help of the wall. Thank you. After saying this, he lowered his head and ran away. He didn't want others to see him in such an embarrassing state. Especially in front of the person you like. He's gone. Sister Linger. Bi Quanlan glanced at Dingfeng, who was running away. Then waved the notes in her hand. Haven't you asked about the content of today's class yet? Lang Linger stood up and walked to Ba Quanlan, sighing in annoyance. Damn it, I wanted to ask him a question. Why did he run away? She shook her head. Forget it, let's go back and ask my sister. Seeing this, Bi Quanlan showed a strange smile. She poked Lang Linger and said jokingly, "Why do you suddenly want to be a good child? Do you really want to go to college?" The latter seemed to have thought of something, and a hint of joy appeared in her eyes. She smiled and said, "I'm only telling you one person. My brother-in-law said that as long as I get into college, he will take me to get a driver's license, and let me pick any motorcycle I like." Then she became a little unhappy. "It's just that he seems to be very busy recently and hasn't come to pick me up." Hearing this, Bi Quanlan's eyes lit up. "Oh, our brother-in-law is so good? And is this little girl? Get lost, that's my brother-in-law. Don't have any crooked ideas." Lang Linger cursed immediately. Bi Quanlan chuckled, but there was a hint of envy in her eyes. The two left fighting and making a fuss. But what neither of them noticed was, after the two men left, a middle-aged man wearing glasses and holding a physics book came over. He looked at the place where Dingfeng had been hit just now, lost in thought. That boy seems to have an unusual power in his body. It seems that he is very adaptable to Arjwanwu's sect skills. The sect master said he was looking for a successor. Chapter 64, Lord of the Palace of Hades. Afternoon. After all, the time of love is short. Linking Qiu has company problems, revenge problems, and the problem of the underworld. It is really impossible to stay in the land of comfort all the time. Linking Qiu pulled Guyan and said to him, "Although Meizu is my best friend, she won't stay here forever, Guyan. You can see her off." Meizu also coughed dryly. "That's right, I still have to work in the afternoon. You just need to take me to the place where I work." Guyan nodded. "Okay then." As he spoke, he held Linking Qiu's small hand and rubbed it slowly. After all, if he wanted to do this, he could only do it now. After rubbing it to his heart's content, he said gently, "Then King Qiu, I'll come back later." Linking Qiu pretended to smile, but in fact she was already trying frantically to pull her hand away from Guyan's palm. "Okay, be careful on the road. Then I'm leaving. You go now." "I'm really leaving." After feeling a hint of murderous intent, Guyan reluctantly let go of her hand, and then followed Maze out of the Ling family. After feeling the two people leave, Linking Qiu finally breathed a sigh of relief. She clenched the hand that Guyan was rubbing hard on with an embarrassed and angry look on her face. "Damn you, you're really pushing your luck. Forget it. The most urgent thing now is to investigate the palace of Yama." After thinking about it, Linking Qiu turned around and went upstairs. "This is Guyan." He drove his luxury car on the road and reminded her, "Remember what I told you, must protect Lang Linger's safety. Don't be so stupid as you were against Shaolin before. Remember, don't fight a battle you can't win. Running away is not a shameful thing. In order for you to find your brother as soon as possible, you must stay alive and complete the tasks I have assigned to you." Meizu felt a little ashamed when she heard this. She naturally knew that she was too arrogant in the police station before, but she didn't want Guyan to educate her here. So he took a deep breath and said, "I understand." After saying this, the whole person's figure gradually disappeared and left Guyan's car in an instant. Seeing this scene, the corners of Guyan's mouth slightly raised, and a hint of inexplicable meaning appeared in his eyes. Arrived at Zhangye High School, Meizu hid in the darkness. Then she soon found her target, Lang Linger. The other party is now in the classroom, looking at the content knowledge in the textbook with distress. It seems like he is studying or something. Next to her was a young girl eating snacks and laughing. She looked familiar and seemed to be the eldest daughter of the Bei family. There seemed to be some kind of accessory hanging around the other person's neck. But it didn't matter. Meizu secretly sensed that there was no danger nearby. It seems that the task should be easy. At this moment, she frowned because she noticed that in a corner, there was a thin boy staring at Linger. Is it an enemy? Meizu looked at it carefully. I saw that the thin boy's eyes were full of admiration. But this admiration is also filled with 3 parts of timidity and 4 parts of guilt. Oh, it turns out he is just a pure useless boy. Meizu sneered. How could such a cowardly guy be worthy of his master's sis? What a ridiculous clown, a toad wanting to eat one's flesh. Shaking her head, Meizu stopped observing the boy and instead concentrated on observing everything around her to prevent any unexpected situations. At the same time, I was thinking to myself that if it were my younger brother, he would be about the age to take the college entrance examination. I wonder how he is doing. Does he have a girlfriend? Meizu couldn't help but smile as she thought about it. She was really looking forward to meeting her brother. A headquarters of the King of Hell's Palace is inside the Yanxing Group. In the office on the top floor, an old man picked up a piece of document with his dry arms trembling. He looked carefully and saw a man with a stern look standing opposite him. He said respectfully, "Godfather, according to our investigation, Ling Qingqiu of the Ling family is indeed blind. The information stolen from their company was exactly the technology related to how to treat blind eyes." Hearing this, the old man put down the information in his hand, nodded, and seemed to be relieved. He said hoarsely, "In this case, there is no need to worry about the Ling family. We made too many mistakes back then. If it weren't for that thing in the Ling family, he wouldn't have to." Halfway through his speech, he started coughing and even coughed up blood. The stern man showed a hint of indifference in his eyes, but on the surface he still walked over and pretended to be concerned. "Godfather, are you okay? I'll get a doctor over right away." "No need, this is retribution." Yan Huang's eyes showed a trace of pain, and he waved his hand. "The hidden disease I got from the war was too terrible, and ordinary medical methods can no longer cure it. Unless we find the person who caused this wound and heal it, there is no way." The stern man paused after hearing this, and then said inexplicably, "It is rumored that there is a miracle doctor in the Dragon King Palace who can bring people back to life and turn bones into flesh. If we let him come." Hearing this, Yan Huang was stunned, but still shook his head and said with a miserable smile, "What happened back then caused the Dragon King Jade to be shattered. And the old palace master has disappeared, not to mention the hid in Dragon King Palace. This is all fate." He looked seriously at the stern man beside him. "Longer, you are my most valued adopted son, so Godfather wants to tell you the truth. The Ling family is no longer the Ling family of the past. We have done many wrong things in order to kill the demons, and have harmed too many innocent people. So you must never go to the Ling family again." The words haven't finished yet. Long Zietian nodded solemnly. "Okay, Godfather, I promise you." Yan Huang nodded in satisfaction, closed his eyes and leaned back in his chair with relief. "Longer, let me rest for a while. I'll leave the group's affairs to you. But you have to remember that we cannot do anything that would let down the common people. Our only goal is to kill the demons." Hearing this, Lan Ziyiqian said, "Okay, Godfather, I'll listen to you." But what Yan Huang could never have imagined was, when he closed his eyes to rest. However, there was a hint of disdain in Long Ziyiqian's eyes. He looked at Yan Huang with mockery, who already had 1 foot halfway into the coffin. "The ridicule in my heart. Old man, your time has passed. You obviously have such powerful strength and influence. You only want to curl up in the seat on Tiwari. After you die, I will definitely let the Hades Palace rule the whole world. The first target is the Ling family that you have felt guilty about for so many years." Dark place. A butterfly fluttered quietly and disappeared in a flash. Chapter 65. Master, you can rely on the power of your family. Time passes slowly. After Meizu left, Lao Gao, who had been following Guyan, took on the duties of driver again. Guyan sat in the back, his eyes full of evil amusement. Meizu should have met her brother by now, right? But she probably wouldn't be able to recognize him. After all, the man named Deng Feng is still a weak and incompetent waste. Guyan also recalled the scene of his first meeting with this man named Deng Feng. The other person looked timid and told him that Linger had gone to the city to sing. "I can only say it is fate." Guyan smiled lightly if things went as he expected. Deng Feng would soon be noticed by the people of Xuanwu sect and taught martial arts. From then on, the door to the path of spiritual practice was opened. He will also accompany the protagonist as one of the main characters fighting forces and become an indestructible meat shield for the opponent. But Guyan's mind flashed through the other party's timid admiration for Linger, and he sneered. What a pity, if it was the heroine, He could use his charm to make her hate the protagonist and not provide her with help. As for the male supporting role, sorry, he has neither the Long Yang preference nor the ideal of letting the people around him tie the other person down. Not to mention, Deng Feng was the key factor that caused Meizu to betray him in the later period. A cold light flashed in Gu Yan's eyes, although he was very sorry. But you have to die, Deng Feng. Lao Gao was driving the car. Seeing that his young master seemed to have come out of his contemplative state, he said, "Young master, I have already investigated the information of Yanxing Group. On the surface, this company is a charitable real estate company that often raises donations, but secretly it is colluding with many local evil forces. We specifically ask that group of thugs to threaten other real estate companies and building materials companies every now and then. They even resort to some shameful means to acquire a property in a good location. Many safety accidents have occurred on construction sites, causing many casualties, but unfortunately, these incidents cannot appear on the internet. The family of the deceased has repeatedly asked for an explanation, but to no avail. Forget compensation, they can't even get an apology. Many families of people who died in safety accidents or were implicated by criminal gangs have chosen to commit suicide because they can't see any hope. And according to our investigation, although more than half of the buildings in Zhangniechai City were built by this real estate company, there are also a large number of unfinished buildings. Some people bought the houses they built, and watched the buildings go up layer by layer with hope every day, looking forward to living in them one day. Then I became desperate about life because the construction company stopped the construction and left it unfinished. It was completely useless even after repeated requests for justice. Some people were even beaten so badly that they had to be hospitalized when they tried to ask for justice. At this point, Lao Gao could no longer suppress his anger. He gritted his teeth and said, "Master, the reason why the Yanxing Group is so lawless is precisely because there are warriors among them. And they are also related." Before he finished speaking, Guyan interrupted and said, "Okay, I understand. Although I have known about the bad things done by Yanxing Group for a long time, I still find it extremely absurd when I hear it again. The reason why the other party has such confidence and resources is actually because of Yamahal, which in turn has close ties with a person in power in the Special Operations Investigation Department. That's why Zhangniechai City is so lawless. If it turned out to be as he expected, the only person who could do such a thing should be Yan Huang, the lord of the palace of Yama." Lao Gao calmed down for a moment, and he seemed to have thought of something, so he said, "Master, there is one more thing I need to report. Yanxing Group held a banquet and invited our Gu family. The master wanted to send you there. It's a good opportunity to meet the younger generation of Yanxing Group. Madam told you to be polite and greet your elders when you see them." "Banquet?" Gu Yan was stunned. He was a little confused. Why are they holding a banquet all of a sudden? Lao Gao was a little hesitant when he heard this, and said, "It is said that Yan Huang, the biggest controller of Yanxing Group, is about to die of illness. This banquet is actually also to select the next heir." "Died of illness?" Gu Yan was stunned. "Wait, does that mean Yan Huang is going to die? That's not right. In the original book, the other party was still alive and well. If he was dead, how did he collide with the protagonist Shaolin?" Gu Yan felt a little strange, and a guess came to his mind. Could it be that Ling Qinyu's ability could also bring people back to life or extend their lifespan? It's not mentioned in the text if it doesn't mention it. And it doesn't exist, right? Gu Yan had a headache as these things happen one after another. The most important thing is that it is completely different from what he remembers. Why forget it, let's take it one step at a time. When? I'll go and join in. Gu Yan rubbed his eyebrows. The day after tomorrow afternoon. The day after tomorrow. Gu Yan nodded. And just at this moment, ding dong, the phone beeped. Gu Yan picked it up and saw a pop-up message from someone he hadn't contacted for a long time. "Are you there?" He had guessed that this person would look for him, so he called him directly. It was answered almost instantly. Gu Yan smiled lightly and deliberately asked, "Hello? Why did Sister Yingyan suddenly think of sending me a message? Shouldn't you be busy convicting Shaolin now?" A voice came from the other end of the phone immediately. "Gu Yan, where are you now? I had an accident here." As for Chen Yingyan, she changed into casual clothes at home, and a hint of unwillingness appeared in her eyes when she listened to Gu Yan's words. "Damn it, Shaolin, no matter who you are, I must arrest you." "Oh, I'm here, never mind, I'll just go find you." Gu Yan looked around and saw that this place was very close to Chen Yingyan's home, so he changed his words. "Okay, I have something important to tell you. Call me when you get there." Click, the phone turns off. Gu Yan put away his phone and smiled, with a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. Let me think about it. The plot point about Chen Yingyan seems to be that incident. It seems like someone from the hell was behind that incident. Can't you avoid the Hades Palace after all the twists and turns? He is indeed a villain in the early stage. But besides Chen Yingyin, there is also Wang Yilan. The plot on her side is also approaching. And the same goes for the Dragon King Palace. Half of the jade pendant must be obtained as soon as possible. The same goes for Mei Zushi and her brother are both unstable. The same goes for Shen Wan'er, she is the most critical and hidden step. These are the existence that will threaten Leng Qiyu in the future. You must eradicate them all. If you miss even one, the tragedy that is certain to happen is likely to occur. I don't want Leng Qiyu to die, and I don't want to die either. I want to live with Leng Qiyu. It doesn't matter if more people die. As long as the people around me don't die. Others, it doesn't matter how dirty my methods are. Or how much of a scumbag I am. We have to hurry up. The next plot point. Guyan felt a little anxious. The plot had become a little different. He had to resolve the known threats as soon as possible before everything changed beyond recognition. Otherwise my family, King Qiyu, and myself would most likely die. Lao Kao was driving, and he saw Guyan in deep thought through the rear-view mirror. I feel a little worried. The young master seemed to have changed a lot. Becoming mature and steady, but for some reason, Lao Jiao felt that his young master was like he was bearing something very heavy alone. After thinking for a while, he interrupted Gu Yan's thoughts and said, Master, although I am not the master or the lady, it may not be good for me to say such things. But I still want to say it. Master, the Gu family is very big. You can rely on the power of the family occasionally. After all, you are the young master of the Gu family. Gu Yan was stunned when he came back to his senses. He looked at Lao Gao and couldn't help but smile. Thank you. Lao Gao, you are right. Gu Yan took a deep breath, relaxed himself slightly, and calmed down his irritable mind. Yes, Gu family, how could I have forgotten? The biggest reason why the Gu family was broken up was actually because they were besieged by all the forces led by the protagonist Shaolin. That's why it's ruined. But don't forget, the Gu family has a master bodyguard named Lao Gao. So the background behind him is naturally not to be underestimated. If that was the case, then he had a new idea. All of a sudden, Gu Yan felt enlightened, and the pressure in his heart was reduced a lot. When you are undecided, find someone to back you up. Chapter 66. Leng Qiyu wants to turn the Lord of the Hades Palace into a puppet. Arrived downstairs of Chen Yingyan's house, Gu Yan sent a message to the other party, and within a moment, a beautiful figure different from the usual ones walked down. The other person opened the car door and walked in with his long legs. Although he was not wearing a police uniform, he could not hide his heroic spirit. And the first thing that comes in. Chen Yingyan clenched his fists and said apologetically, Gu Yan, I'm sorry. Gu Yan gestured to Lao Gao to drive. And then asked Chen Yingyan in confusion, Sister Yingyan, what are you talking about? I don't understand. Why are you apologizing to me? Chen Yingyan took a deep breath, glanced at Lao Gao, thought for a moment and said, just like you said, Shaolin does have a strong background. Lao Gao, who was driving in front, remained calm, his eyes slightly focused. Shaolin. Gu Yan showed a surprised expression. Sister Yingyan means. Is that? Well, just as you thought, Shaolin was taken away by an organization called the Huaxia Special Operations Investigation Department. The people who came to pick him up are called the White Army. Do you know this organization? Gu Yan, I feel like you know a lot. Can you tell me? My dad won't tell me a word? Chen Yingyan's eyes were serious. She really wanted to figure out this inexplicable thing. Whether it was Shaolin's strength in punching the ground, or the strange organization of the investigation department. She wants to know. Is this really what happened? Gu Yan sighed, then slowly opened his mouth and said seriously, Sister Yingyan, if I say there is magic in this world, do you believe it? Chen Yingyan was stunned. She took a deep breath to calm herself down, then smiled bitterly. If I had said this before today, I would definitely not have believed it. But what happened last night was too mysterious. So I had to believe it. So Shaolin is a magician. Those organizations exist to restrain magicians? Gu Yan was somewhat surprised at Chen Yingyan's ability to accept the words. He nodded. You can understand it that way. But Shaolin is not a magician, but a warrior. A warrior is different from ordinary people. He is neither a fighter nor a martial artist. A warrior is a warrior. It is possible for a strong warrior to smash a mountain with one punch. And Shaolin's strength is one of the best among warriors. Because of my special identity, many people want to kill me. So I know about warriors, and when I found out that Shaolin was also a warrior, I knew that he wanted to kill me. What I didn't expect was that Shaolin fell in love with Wang Yilan. So he didn't want to kill me in front of her to avoid giving her a bad impression. Now, he has indeed been taken away. Gu Yan sighed at this. Because warriors are not subject to the laws of the secular world. Only the warrior department can punish them. That is the Special Operations Investigation Department. Or rather, the Ancient Martial Arts Department. After hearing this, Chen Yingyan felt that his three perspectives had been challenged. There was no need for Gu Yan to lie to her, and seeing the light emanating from Shaolin's hands that night, Chen Yingyan had actually already believed it halfway. It turns out there are so many secrets in this world. Chen Yingyan murmured to herself, no wonder her father refused to tell her. It's just like when the other party asked her not to be a police officer but to be a teacher instead. The purpose is still the same old thing the other party has said. Something about it being too dangerous, something about her being a girl, something about needing to protect her and so on. Gu Yan looked at Chen Yingyan, who was lost in thought, and asked casually, Sister Yingyan, what do you want to do next? Do what? Chen Yingyan thought about it, and her eyes were no longer confused. She looked at Gu Yan seriously. I want to catch Shaolin and send him to prison. Who knows if what the so-called Ba Jun said about him not killing anyone is true? Gu Yan smiled softly when he heard this. He stretched out his hand and said with a smile, Okay, Sister Yingyan, we are allies now. Shaolin hurt my friend and tried to kill me. I definitely want to catch him too. Let the two of us work together. Chen Yingyan looked at Gu Yan and felt a little emotional. He didn't expect that the little kid back then has grown up so much. Knowing more than her, she also held Gu Yan's hand. Okay, I'll let you know when there's news. As she spoke, she looked at Lao Gao. Grandpa Gao, please send me back to the police station. A problem that has been bothering me seems to be solved. Gu Yan nodded. Lao Gao, please send Sister Yingyan to the police station. Okay. Lao Gao nodded. Wow, I never expected that Chen Ji Yuoping didn't want his daughter to enter the world of ancient martial arts. But I didn't expect that he would be brought in by my young master. This is going to be interesting. Chen Yingyan withdrew his hand. A hint of excitement in his eyes. If things go as she expected, the strange serial murder case in Qiyu Shuiyuan community will probably be solved soon. Gu Yan glanced sideways slightly, looking at the excited Chen Yingyan, and curled the corners of his mouth. Is the plot of Qiyu Shuiyuan coming soon? Ling family. Study. A butterfly landed on Ling Qinqiuyu's desk. Ling Qinqiuyu paused in reading for a moment. Bang! The butterfly turned into powder and flew out of the window. Ling Qinqiuyu's expression gradually became indifferent. I see. The Lord of Yama's palace is in poor health, so a banquet will be held the day after tomorrow to announce the next successor. Interesting. Ling Qinqiuyu slowly opened her eyes and reached out her hand to gently stroke the corners of her eyes. There was a hint of murderous intent in his eyes. Since we are all going to die, then it shouldn't be a problem for her to use us, right? Oh, by the way, he also has an adopted son whom he values the most, named Long Zietian. The strength of the young body can be used to maintain the various functions of this old man's body. Even waste has its value. It seems I have to attend the banquet that the other party is holding the day after tomorrow. Of course, it's not the open past, but he participated as the King of the Night organization. The banquet the day after tomorrow will definitely be very lively. But no one would have thought that the Lord of Yama's palace would become her puppet the day after tomorrow. Chapter 67. What if you have that kind of fetish? Evening. Jianye High School. At the school gate, Bai Lan sat in a luxury car that came to pick her up. She stuck her head out and waved goodbye to Lang Linger. Sister Linger, I'll be leaving first. Okay. Please go. Lang Linger curled her lips and waved her hand in disgust. At the same time, I felt a little depressed. It was really annoying. Why were the people from Ziyugu so slow to arrive today? Bai Lan seemed very happy today. She rolled up the window and asked the driver to start the car. Seeing her best friend leave, she was the only one left at the school gate again. Forgot about me again. Lang Linger kicked the concrete floor angrily. She did the same thing last time, but this time she was forgotten again. Next second, a luxury car drove in front of Lang Linger. And with a click, the back door opened automatically. A face appeared that Lang Linger was not expecting. Gu Yan was sitting inside with a smile on his face. What's wrong? Who bullied my Linger? Lang Linger was stunned for a moment, then quickly snorted coldly, walked up aggressively and slammed the car door. After doing all this, she glared at Gu Yan fiercely. Why are you the one picking me up? Well, why can't it be me? Gu Yan shrugged and asked with a smile, don't you wish it was me? Although Lang Linger was surprised when she heard this, she would not show it on the surface. Who asked you to pick me up? I have already accepted your men as my brothers. I want my brothers to pick me up. She shouted proudly. Gu Yan recalled the report his subordinates had given him in tears. Master, Miss Linger insisted that I call her big sister. Or else she would hit me, and I didn't dare to fight back. He smiled softly. In that case, then I will put you down from the car and call my subordinates over. When Lang Linger heard this, she immediately shook her head like a rattle. Stop. It's okay for you to pick me up today, but it's also okay for you to come all the time in the future. She coughed dryly and emphasized, don't get me wrong. It's just that you and I are a little more familiar with you. When saying this, Langlinger was actually a little nervous. She was afraid that Guyan would really listen to her and put her down and call someone else to pick her up. Guyan rubbed the other person's head helplessly and complained. What a dishonest kid. Under the latter's pretended angry gaze, Guyan said, Lao Gao, let's go back. Okay, master. Guyan had already withdrawn his hand, while Langlinger covered her head with both hands and muttered. You stinky bastard Gu, you bastard Gu, don't you know that touching people's heads will make them grow shorter? What did you say? No, nothing. Yeah, Guyan said, looking in a certain direction outside the window intentionally or unintentionally, and said, Linger, how is your campus life recently? I heard that several of your good friends have transferred to other schools. Do you feel lonely? Hearing this, Langlinger's originally happy eyes suddenly showed a hint of sadness. She sighed and said with some disappointment, Xiaowei and her friends' parents found out about Kai and B's situation, and they transferred them to another school at their strong request. I do feel lonely, but it doesn't matter, I still have Quan Lan to accompany me. Hear this name. Guyan withdrew his gaze from the window and asked casually, B.I. Quan Lan? Langlinger was stunned for a moment, then nodded, and said with a hint of annoyance, yes. But you, the bastard Gu, remember it very clearly, you don't really want to be someone's brother-in-law, do you? I didn't expect you to be this kind of person. Guyan sighed helplessly after hearing this. I admire your way of thinking. The eldest lady of the Bi family only has a brother named Biayun besides herself. Who do you think I should marry? Langlinger knew she had said the wrong thing after hearing this, but she still said stubbornly, who said we can't have gay sex? What if you have that kind of fetish? This little devil. Guyan took a deep breath, and then, bang! He pinched Langlinger's two cheeks, causing the latter to struggle continuously. Man, you stinky fish, let me go. However, Guyan didn't care. He looked at Langlinger kindly and said, little brat. Let me tell you, your brother-in-law's aesthetic taste and sexual orientation are very normal. However, as he was talking, Guyan noticed that Langlinger's cheeks were a little red, and she didn't dare to look at him. Helplessly, Guyan put down his hand. He shook his head and said ruthlessly, I will confiscate all the romance novels you hide in the bedside table. How could you do this? Langlinger had been lowering her head due to shame and didn't dare to look at Guyan, but she instantly became unhappy when she heard these words. I'll return it to you after you finish the college entrance examination. Guyan had a ruthless look on his face. You devil, anyone who says his brother-in-law is a homosexual has no right to say that. How could this happen? Langlinger closed her eyes with a look of despair, feeling that there was no hope in life. Guyan felt a little headache. Having a troublesome sister-in-law was really a hassle. But, I didn't expect that one of the protagonists likes Linger so much. This is a bit abnormal. Hiding in a place every day and watching Langlinger. I think he is really persistent. Guyan curled his lips and said, Meizu, take a good look at your brother, you won't see him again anyway. Forget it, I don't want to think about it anymore. I should think about what to eat in the evening. After a moment, he seemed to have thought of something, and the corners of his mouth couldn't help but rise slightly. In his memory, King Qiyu seemed to be more fond of sweets. After all, there is a scene where the other person adds sugar crazily to his coffee. The other side, Deng Feng stood in a corner, staring at the luxury car going away. Every time after school, he would stand here and watch Langlinger go home. Those who came to pick up Langlinger before were all that man's subordinates. So he felt very happy and relaxed in his heart. Being able to look at Langlinger like this was already a very wonderful thing for him. But today, Deng Feng felt a sense of unwillingness and loss. Linger's boyfriend is here to pick her up. Deng Feng's eyes were filled with sadness and loss. He thought for a while and walked to the school gate. He looked around, then squatted down, reached out his hand and picked up the stones scattered on the ground one by one. He murmured, this way Linger won't trip over the stones and fall. Far away, a man with glasses said to a short old man beside him, Master, what do you think? The old man remained silent. His cloudy eyes revealed a hint of satisfaction when he looked at Deng Feng. People who care about others and are willing to sacrifice themselves are in line with the purpose of our Xuanwu sect. Let this child practice Xuanwu sect's skills, and he will definitely be able to restore Xuanwu sect's glory. Or talk to him, he has pure Xuanwu power in his body. He is most likely one of the people who will be destined to save the world as predicted. Okay, master. Just as he finished speaking, the man with glasses saw a group of people walking towards Deng Feng. It was Wang Zilan and others. The man with glasses was startled and was about to go over to stop it. The old man shook his head and said calmly, Wait a moment. Don't stop them? Okay, master. The man with glasses hesitated for a moment, but decided to wait and see. Chapter 68 King Qiyu, I can help you. Return to the Ling family. Sister, I'm back. It was the trash goo who came to pick me up today. As soon as Ling Linger got off the car, she ran inside and started shouting loudly. Study on the second floor. Ling Qingqiu listened to Ling Linger's calls downstairs and smiled slightly. It turns out that it was Gu Yan who went to pick up Linger today. It's really rare it's time for dinner, but I don't know what to eat tonight. I'm really looking forward to it if possible. I would like to have some snacks. I want to replenish some sugars if I keep using my brain. No. She shook her head and regained her composure. Ling Qingqiu found that her thoughts had drifted far away again. She was clearly planning the specific process for the day after tomorrow. This is related to his own revenge plan. It was so abominable. Ever since Gu Yan came, she found that her thoughts were always interrupted by him, which greatly affected her revenge plan. Ling Qingqiu felt that she needed to lower the status of Gu Yan in her heart. He must not be allowed to surpass his desire for revenge. Of course, Ling Qingqiu is very confident about this. If it were divided into 1,000 parts, she believed that Gu Yan only occupied one part in her heart. And the remaining 999 parts were all about how to take revenge. Yes, that must be it. Ling Qingqiu took a deep breath and continued to think about his plan for the day after tomorrow. According to the investigation, Yanxing Group of Yan Wang Dian is a giant enterprise in Zhanghe, and Yan Huang is highly respected. I think most of the prominent families in Zhanghe I will be invited to attend the banquet. Among them, it will definitely include the Gu family. Ling Qingqiu thought of this, hesitated for a moment and then shook his head. It doesn't matter, he has considered many situations. Even if Gu Yan goes to the banquet, it cannot stop her from doing what she wants to do. The ability used by Clivia has been thoroughly investigated. There will be more than a dozen warriors and a large number of security personnel guarding the banquet the day after tomorrow. Yan Huang is protected by the assassins he trained and his adopted sons and daughters. Of course, except for Long Ziyan, the adopted son who has reached the early stage of innate cultivation. The rest of the people are only at the level of third-rate warriors. P.S. Third-rate warrior, second-rate warrior, first-rate warrior. Acquired, innate, master, grand master. The cultivation level of the assassin should be very high. But Ling Qingqiu guessed that it would definitely not exceed the early stage of the grand master. She currently has 9 people on her side, each with different abilities and skills. Ling Qingqiu already had a general flow of thoughts in his mind. The next step is to have your people hide and enter the banquet venue. This is actually a very simple thing, we just need to make them pay attention and not replace the people from the Gu family. After sorting out everything, Ling Qingqiu opened his eyes. And the special runes in his eyes glowed slightly. Although I have no cultivation, but I can still use some abilities that belong to me. Ingaf Halhihi, let you become a part of my forces. Ling Qingqiu was just about to let out some dark laughter. The next second, click. Qingqiu, here I come. At the same time as the door was pushed open, a voice that made Ling Qingqiu tremble was heard. Ling Qingqiu quickly closed his eyes, and then pretended to be reading and studying with an unnatural expression. Gu Yan walked to Ling Qingqiu strangely, stretched out his hand and poked the other's cheek. Qingqiu, what are you doing? It seems that your body is shaking a little. Ling Qingqiu was annoyed and thought to herself that she must lock the door next time. And he turned to Gu Yan with a murderous look and said through gritted teeth, next time you come in, can you knock on the door? Also, don't poke my face again. Qingqiu, if you make a request, I will naturally agree to it. Gu Yan walked to Ling Qingqiu and put the things in his hand on the table. Then he smiled and said, I have sent Meizu back safely. Qingqiu, just rest assured about your good friend. As he spoke, Gu Yan moved closer to Ling Qingqiu again. Meizu is a martial artist with innate cultivation. Instead of worrying about her, you might as well worry about yourself. But why didn't I sense Meizu's presence? Oh, by the way, because I had told the other party before that if Gu Yan returned to the Ling family, there would be no need to guard him anymore. Ling Qingqiu no longer dwelled on this question. But with an embarrassed look on her face, she wanted to push away Gu Yan who had been leaning towards her. Can you please move closer and stop disturbing me while I'm reading? Of course Gu Yan was not happy about this. Now was a good opportunity to absorb the energy of pure love. So he said righteously, Qingqiu, what are you saying? I was just leaning on you. I didn't say anything and I didn't do anything. How can I say that I disturbed you from reading? As he spoke, Gu Yan nudged Ling Qingqiu here like a piece of taffy, and flipped through Ling Qingqiu's braille book there. Ling Qingqiu's expression gradually softened and she clenched her fists tightly. No, you have to be patient, you have to be patient. King, your shoulders are a little stiff, do you want me to give you a massage? Ling Qingqiu, Ling Qingqiu, you are angry over such a small matter. How will you take revenge in the future? QIU, say something. Hey, what brand of shampoo did you use? It smells so good. I sniff, hiss, hiss. You have to be steady, you are the king of the night. You are. King QIU, you look a little ugly, what's wrong? Do you have a stomach? I am not a steady hammer. I'm going to sew your mouth shut. Lang King QIU stood up suddenly, then accurately found Gu Yan's position, and then grabbed the other's collar tightly, throwing it back and forth. You bastard, do you think you're free? How can you say that? I'm so mad at you? Lang King QIU didn't know why she could never stay calm in front of Gu Yan. Seeing this, Gu Yan smiled even more happily, and said intermittently while being shaken, King QIU, wait, I bought you something delicious. Lang King QIU slowly put a question mark when she heard this. She let go of her hand, crossed her arms over her chest, and snorted, what did you buy to eat? Let me make it clear first. I never eat high-calorie foods outside. Don't worry. It's not high in calories, just high in sugar. As Gu Yan spoke, he took out the dessert he had just bought on the road, puffs. He took one out and said, would you like some puffs? King QIU, it is said that this shop sells only 100 puffs a day. If they are sold out, they will be gone today. Profiteroles? The soft, sweet, cream-filled puffs? Wow, I loved it so much at that time. Gulp. Lang King QIU swallowed in his heart, but on the surface he still sneered. Didn't you understand what I meant? As a member of the Lang family, I have very strict and regular rules. Before he could finish his words, Lang King QIU felt something big and soft stuffed in his mouth. Her mouth was suddenly gagged. As he stuffed the bottle, Gu Yan smiled and said, although I don't understand what you are saying, King QIU, I think you will like the taste. Who would like it? Lang King QIU cursed in shame in her heart, but the delicious taste that stimulated her taste buds in her mouth still made her face show a very happy expression. Ah, this tastes so good. In less than a moment, the puff was finished and Lang King QIU licked his lips with satisfaction. How about it? Gu Yan asked with a smile. It's just so. I don't really like sweets after all, they make me fat. Lang King QIU said unnaturally. I see, I thought it would be delicious. He said this with some surprise, took one out and prepared to taste it himself. Result. Bang! Lang King QIU heard the sound and snatched it away. Under Gu Yan's stunned gaze, Lang King QIU's face flushed slightly. I told you that you will get fat. Gu Yan, haven't you been working out? You can't eat this kind of thing. As she spoke, she seemed to feel embarrassed to be looked at like that by Gu Yan. So she pretended to be angry and said, also, shouldn't you go make dinner? Hurry up. Gulp. Gu Yan looked at Lang King QIU and nodded blankly. I don't even remember how I got out. So cute there is cream on King QIU's lips. Oh, that's right. Gu Yan opened the door again and asked with an excited and expectant look on his face. King QIU, there is cream on your lips, I can help you lick it. Oh, it really doesn't work. Gu Yan left with a look of disappointment on his face. In the study, Lang King QIU gasped in shame and anger. This bastard, how shameless. How could you say something like that? She calmed down for a moment, then reached out her fingertips to wipe the cream from the corner of her mouth. Feel the cream on my fingertips, lick it for me. Lang King QIU blushed and shook her head quickly. Idiot, there is no way he could do that, it's too perverted. But these cannot be wasted. Lang King QIU put the cream on her fingertips into her mouth and a happy smile appeared on her face. Hey, there are so many left, I can eat to my heart's content. Oh, right, that's what I was thinking about just now. Forget it, let's finish eating first and then work. Chapter 16. Have you also said these words to Shen Weiner? Zhang Chai High School. Why do this to me? What did I do wrong? Bang Feng's eyes were somewhat confused and desperate. He lay on the concrete floor with bruises all over his face and pain all over his body. He had just been beaten up by Wang Zilan and others. And he didn't understand why he was suddenly beaten. Suddenly, a group of people from the other side rushed over and taught him a lesson. He also warned him not to think about having anything with Lang Linger. Why, I clearly didn't do anything, I was just standing here looking at Linger. Is it not okay even so? Do you really want to take away everything from me? Bang Feng's vision became blurry again and he started crying. Dark place. Mei Zhu looked at the cowardly boy lying on the ground with great disgust in her eyes. I had been thinking that the other party had been squatting in the corner and secretly watching Lang Linger. And I thought that the other party was a killer hiding in the dark waiting for the opportunity. Love is really just a dog licking, which makes me wait here to see the other person's true face. But Mei Zhu set her sights on a tree not far from Ding Feng. There was some confusion in her eyes. Someone from Xuanwu Gate. Why are they here? What is their relationship with that boy? The next second, the old man from Xuanwu Gate and the middle-aged man walked over. Ding Feng sensed the noise and thought that Wang Zilan and the others were coming to beat him again. So he immediately shrank into a ball in fear. The result was only heard. Do you want to protect the people you care about? A kind voice came into Deng Feng's ears. Deng Feng was stunned. He opened his eyes and saw the people standing next to him. He even knew one of them, who was a physics teacher from another class. You are. Deng Feng was a little scared. Don't be afraid, kid. Just tell me, do you want to protect the people you hold dear? The old man extended his hand kindly. Deng Feng stared blankly at the hand that was extended to him. Protect the people you hold dear. A figure of Langlinger flashed through his mind. The figure of her saving and helping him made him fall in love with her instantly. But I am too weak, so weak that I don't even have the courage to tell Langlinger my feelings. I want to protect. But how can I protect him? I'm too weak. I can't do it. Deng Feng shouted with sobs. It's okay. Hold my hand, kid, we will help you become stronger. Give you the power to protect others. The old man smiled even more happily when he heard this. And he said kindly, dark place. Meizu's eyes were filled with murderous intent. So that's how it is this young man is the heir that Xuanwu sect has chosen? No wonder Guyan asked me to come and protect Miss Linger. It turns out he knew about this a long time ago. No, I have to report this to my master. Thinking of this, Meizu's figure quickly disappeared, and she also put Ding Feng on the kill list in her heart. Lang family. On the dining table. The atmosphere was a little tense. And Langlinger was eating vigorously with a nervous look on her face. Her mouth was full of food and she didn't dare to look at Guyan. While my brother-in-law is so scary. Just see. Guyan looked at Link, Qiu with a kind face. He looked at the other's slightly bulging belly kindly and said, so you finished eating all those puffs? Link Qiu felt a little guilty. She lowered her head and argued, I didn't finish eating. Yeah. Guyan raised his voice slightly, then walked forward and stretched out his hand to press directly on Ling Qiu's slightly bulging belly. Ravaging it hard. What is this? What's in it? NGH. No, don't use so much force. Ling Qiu's whole body stiffened. She grabbed Guyan's arm, with a slightly uncomfortable look on her face. Really? Why did you eat it all when you knew it would be uncomfortable? You can't even eat dinner yet. I shouldn't have bought it for you. Guyan pressed and threatened, tell me quickly, have you eaten it all? Ling Qiu was pressed so hard that her whole body became weak. Because she had eaten too much, she felt uncomfortable and wanted to vomit. In order to let Guyan let go, but also felt that it was very embarrassing to be scolded by Guyan. So he laughed dryly, I can't say that I ate it all. I can only say that I ate it all by accident. Is there any difference? The corner of Guyan's mouth twitched, and he let go of his hand. And the latter's expression eased a little. Before Ling Qiu could breathe a sigh of relief, she heard Guyan say coldly, I won't buy you sweets in the future. Ling Qiu was stunned, and then his expression froze. No, you won't buy it for me again? This means I can no longer eat sweets. No, don't do that kind of thing. Langlinger felt a little bit sorry for her sister looking at her with a dazed expression. What a terrible brother-in-law. He could actually teach his sister a lesson so that she was speechless. She swallowed and said with a wry smile, sister brother-in-law. Sister already knows she is wrong, you shouldn't. Hey. Before she could finish her words, Langlinger saw Guyan's cold eyes looking at her, which frightened her so much that she screamed like a chicken. She immediately lowered her head and ate her food without saying a word. As for Ling Qiu, she felt extremely ashamed and wronged. Obviously, he is the actual behind-the-scenes controller of the Ling family and the king of the Yi organization. But why does he have to be taught a lesson by Guyan here? Damn it, in front of my own sister, do you know how embarrassing this will make me? Looking at Ling Qiu, who had a sad expression, Guyan felt a little bit reluctant. He sighed helplessly, sat down next to Ling Qiu, and used the god-level massage technique to gently massage Ling Qiu's belly. The latter's body stiffened for a moment, but he did not refuse. Buayin said earnestly, Qiu, I am doing this for your own good. What if you get sick from eating so much? I originally wanted you to eat while reading. But who would have thought that you would finish it all in one go? You'll get sick if you do this. You must be feeling very uncomfortable in your stomach right now. Right? Because you haven't eaten for a long time now, you're eating so much all of a sudden. It's definitely not something your stomach can handle. Ling Qiu said nothing. She was indeed feeling a little uncomfortable. Listening to Guyan's voice becoming softer again, she felt a strange feeling in her heart. I can't describe the feeling, but I always feel warm. By the way, did Guyan get angry? She had thought that he would always be gentle and kind to her, and it's too disrespectful to her. How abominable. Seeing that Guyan was no longer angry, she returned to her usual expression and snorted proudly. I know my body best, don't bother me. This guy. Guyan couldn't help but laugh. The two sisters are really the same. But it is this kind of autumn. I like it the most. Okay, but I really don't want to buy any sweets. Really not buying it? I really don't buy it. Ling Qingqiu shook off Gu Yan's hand that was massaging her belly, and then kept silent as a silent resistance. Gu Yan laughed and rubbed his hand again. I'm just kidding, but you have to reduce the amount in the future. Eat once a week, otherwise Qingqiu will get fat too. When Ling Qingqiu heard this, although she was happy that Gu Yan was tactful, she was unhappy with the second half of his words. What do you mean by getting fat? She said dissatisfied. Lie, you don't like me anymore because I'm fat? Ling Qingqiu didn't know why he shouted this sentence subconsciously, and felt a little ashamed for a moment. Oops, I blurted it out accidentally. Even in front of my sister. When Gu Yan heard this, he smiled slightly, and then said gently, no matter what you become, Qingqiu, even if you are fat, sick, thin or whatever, I still like you. Or rather, I like you the most. Plop plop. Ling Qingqiu's face flushed slightly, and her heart began to beat wildly. Was this what it meant to have a deer beating like a fluttering heart? Obviously, you were Shinwei Nares liquor before. But what you said is very arrogant. Ling Qingqiu gave a shy, threatening smile. Did you also say these words to Shen Wanner? Chapter 70. The other half of the Dragon King Jade. Gu Yan's face twitched for a moment. How does this involve Shen Wanner? You feel guilty. Yes, I really didn't say that. I only said these words to you. Qingqiu. You believe me. Feeling Gu Yan's panic, Ling Qingqiu felt much better. Very good, this rhythm is right. But will you still like me, no matter what I become? Ling Qingqiu felt a little complicated. Would he still like me even if he knew what I did behind the scenes? Even if you knew how I practiced, would you still like me? Will you still love me even if my hands are covered in blood? Ling Qingqiu didn't know, and she didn't dare to think about what expression Gu Yan would have after knowing her true face. Will this be the case? Ling Qingqiu didn't know why, but whenever he thought of that scene, his heart ached. On Ling Linger's side, the light in her eyes became brighter as she looked at the two people playing warmly. Oh, the warm interaction between my sister and brother-in-law is really so appetizing. Of course, the premise is that my brother-in-law doesn't get angry anymore. It's too scary. By the way, my brother-in-law didn't mention my romance novel. Does that mean this matter is over? Even though he said he would confiscate it, he was just trying to scare me, right? He is such a hypocritical brother-in-law. Next second, it was as if he had heard Ling Linger's thoughts. Gu Yan said, by the way, Qingqiu, I want to discuss something with you. The college entrance examination is coming soon, and those romance novels in Linger's bedside table are really affecting her studies. So I plan to confiscate it first and return it to her after she finishes the exam. What do you think? Ling Qingqiu came back to his senses and was a little confused when he heard this. Romance novel? Romance novel? She kindly turned to the pale, trembling Ling Linger and said, Linger, what romance novel? Why haven't I heard you mention it before? When Ling Linger saw Gu Yan's devilish smile, her eyes went dark. It's over, brother-in-law, you are too vindictive. There are still several months before the college entrance examination. Are you trying to kill me? After simply cleaning up the dishes, Gu Yan left. On the way back, a smile appeared in his eyes. This kind of life is quite interesting. The day after tomorrow he will attend a banquet hosted by the King of Hell. According to his guess, most of the family representatives in Zhanghe City will probably be there. The security personnel must be well prepared. They won't encounter the kind of situation that only happens in novels. Right? The scene where the protagonist pretends to be awesome but gets slapped in the face. Gu Yan felt a little amused, although according to the plot, it should be the villains like them who were so blind as to launch a mocking attack on the protagonist. And the protagonist showed his strength and beat the villain. The rich second generation. Ali, I really want to see this kind of scene with my own eyes. Chen family. Shen Wanner fell into deep thought while looking at the clothes in the closet. Am I going to attend the banquet held by Yan Xing Group the day after tomorrow? Which dress should I wear? She was a little nervous and excited. This was an opportunity. Although the Shen family's pharmaceutical company had resumed normal operations, however, due to Gu Yan's operations, a large number of partners and market credit were also lost. The banquet held by Yan Xing Group the day after tomorrow will be an important opportunity for her. After all, the people who will participate in the banquet will definitely be rich or noble. I must find new partners there to take the company to the next level. But there was a hint of hesitation in Shenwei Nares' eyes. Will Gu Yan go too? After thinking about it, she shook her head. No, it wouldn't matter even if Gu Yan went. Anyway, there is nothing wrong between the two of them. So don't think too much about it. And at this time, buzz. Her cell phone vibrated and Shen Wanner took it out and looked at it. Mr. Shen, are you asleep? Seeing that it was a message sent by Xiaolin, she showed a trace of helplessness in her eyes. She was drunk because of the wine that Guyan gave her. And she was so dizzy that she asked Shaolin to take her back to the company. She also gave him a mobile phone and added him as a friend. As a result, the other party thought that she was interested in him or something, and kept sending her messages. He didn't even think about it. How could he possibly fall in love with a security guard? But Xian Wanner thought about it and felt that Shaolin was quite capable. It would be better to arrange for him to be her personal bodyguard at the banquet the day after tomorrow, so as to avoid trouble from some ignorant people who wanted to chat her up. It can be used as a shield. Thinking of this, Shen Wanner started chatting with Shaolin. Inside a rental house, Shaolin lay on the wooden bed, holding his mobile phone in his hand, looking at the chat window expectantly. Next second, not asleep. When Shen Wanner sent a message, Shaolin began to tremble with excitement. Shen Wanner replied to the message, and she hasn't gone to bed yet. Does she like me? I started chatting with the other party immediately. BEI family. BNG. Quan Lan, come out here, don't be so willful. You have to see Shaolin even if you don't want to. Outside BA Quan Lan's door, her father BA Chun Gang was banging on the door hard. His expression was very angry. This child was obviously very obedient when he was young. Why is he so naughty when he grows up? Is it the rebellious period? Or is it the problem of the school teacher? Or transfer to another school? No, just drop out of school and learn how to manage the family business. Quan Lan, I'm telling you one last time, you must go meet Shaolin. No matter what the result is, we must go and see this side. Bai Yun Gang shouted loudly, then shook his head and left. Inside the room, Bai Quan Lan huddled in the quilt, tears in her eyes. She held a half-jade pendant tightly in her hand and murmured with sobs, "Mom." Downstairs, Bai Jun looked at his father, who had just finished yelling, and went downstairs, and said calmly, "Dad, I've seen Shaolin. He's not a good person. Don't let my little sister go to meet him." Bai Yun Gang shook his head and sighed. "Xiao Jun, you don't understand. This person was personally cared for by the previous Dragon King. Do you think I dare to neglect him?" He patted Bai Jun on the shoulder and said, "Who dares to bet whether the former Dragon King will come out again to protect the next Dragon King palace he has chosen?" Bai Jun didn't say anything. He clenched his fists tightly, and no one knew what he was thinking. Chapter 71. Don't come over here. That night, at the Leng family, when Guyan left, Meizu came to the study and began to report everything that happened today. "Master, when I was protecting Guyan and going to Zhonghai High School to pick up Miss Linger, I detected the aura of a warrior. To be on the safe side, and because Guyan was protected by that powerful old man, I chose to stay, and as a result, I have their eyes on a student named Deng Feng. And that Deng Feng is Miss Linger's classmate." Hear this. Leng Qingyu's face was cold and his hands were clenched tightly together. Xuan Wu Gate, one of the forces that participated in the encirclement and suppression of the Leng family. Unexpectedly, the heir the other party was looking for was a student from Zhonghai High School. And what a coincidence, he is Linger's classmate. It was hard for Leng Qingyu not to have wild thoughts. Although she really wanted Meizu to kill the man named Deng Feng immediately. This would inevitably alert the Xuanwu Gate and cause them to hide. If you want to take action, you must kill the heir and the Xuanwu Gate at the same time. Thinking of this, Leng Qingyu took a deep breath and said slowly, "Okay, I understand. You continue to protect Guyan." Meizu hesitated for a moment when she heard this. Master, the person I am protecting is Miss Linger." Although I thought so in my heart, I still said, "Yes." After saying this, Meizu's figure slowly disappeared from here. Leng Qingyu clenched his fists tightly. Xuanwu Gate. It seems I have to ask Linger about Deng Feng. Early the next morning, on the runway inside Tianhu Dong Villa, Guyan, wearing a sports suit, started his daily morning training. His master naturally recalled the master-level experience in his mind. In order to have a healthy and good-looking body, he does fitness training every day. He was listening to music with headphones while running. Beautiful female singing voices were heard one after another. The melody of love surges like the tide. The harmony of the soul is lingering and melodious. Stay together for life, never leave each other. You are the eternal rainbow in my heart. Songs from this world. Guyan smiled in his heart. Even though there were some martial arts masters in this world, it was essentially not much different from the world he lived in his previous life. There are music, variety shows, anime and TV dramas, etc., and the companies under their Gu family's name also happen to be involved in the entertainment industry. Many well-known star directors in the circle are owned by their companies. And just at this moment, two figures ran in front of Guyan. One of them was a pretty girl wearing sunglasses and a brimmed hat, with her hair tied up behind her head and wearing a tight black sportswear. The other one was a man, who seemed to be talking to someone next to him while running. I don't think we've seen each other before. After all, After jogging for so long in the morning, Guyan has gotten to know some fellow runners. However, Guyan didn't think much about it, as there were so many people jogging in the morning on the track in this village area. Sometimes it is normal not to meet someone if you have something to do today. It's better to go find Kinkyu as soon as possible after finishing the exercise. Ahead, a man helplessly whispered to the woman beside him. Yan King, can you please not run home without saying anything? What if the paparazzi take pictures of you and find out about your home? I know you're upset because someone else snatched away the female lead of a drama you liked. But there's nothing you can do about it. That girl was forced into the role by Yanxing Group's investment. Yanxing Group also has a cooperative relationship with the entertainment companies invested by Gujie Group. We, Xingkong Entertainment, really can't compete with them. Yan King ran while shouting in dissatisfaction. It's like everyone has no background. Is Yanxing Group so powerful? The reason I'm unhappy is that the song they sang was outdone by an unknown online singer. She was very unhappy when she talked about this, extremely unhappy. Being an actor was just a byproduct, and being a singer was her main job. Originally, her new song Melody of Love had been ranked first, but it was surpassed by an online song called Confession Balloon sung by an unknown artist. It's really annoying. The main thing is that this song sounds like it was recorded by someone else. It really annoys me. The agent next to him said with shame. There are always higher mountains than others. Yan King. Please don't be so loud, it would be bad if someone recognizes you. Snort. Yan King snorted coldly, but did not refute. If she was recognized by others, they would probably surround her and take photos with her again. But, it's really annoying. Don't let me know who sang it. Ling family. In Langlinger's bedroom on the second floor. Langlinger secretly took out a mobile phone from under the mattress. She held the phone and smiled. Fortunately, the idiot Gu didn't discover my biggest secret. A romance novel is just a cover. The cell phone is what I really want to hide. Yu Gu didn't even think about it. Who still reads paper books these days? Can't I just read them on my phone? You can also browse Duhu, Shiogan Shu, and read vlogs. Recently I was recommended to download an app called GBA. It is said that the people in it speak very nicely and the content is very rich. Of course, this is not the most important thing. The most important thing. Langlinger happily opened the National Music Platform software and saw the ranking of new songs this month. Her eyes sparkled even more. Because the one ranked first is Anonymous Confession Balloon. I knew it would be a hit. What a pity, because I recorded it secretly, so the sound quality is a bit poor. It would be great if I could shoot a video and upload it to Douyin. It will definitely go viral. Hey, I won't become an internet celebrity by then, right? That would be like that, right? And at this time, what are you doing? A doubtful voice came from behind Langlinger. Langlinger was so frightened that her whole body froze, and she quickly stuffed her phone into the quilt. And he stood up with a nervous look on his face and looked towards the door. When she saw it was Guyan, she became even more nervous. Oh no, why is it that small-time Gu? It would be terrible if he knew that I not only had a cell phone, but also uploaded the songs he sang to the internet. The only thing I can't do is let Guyan find my cell phone. No, I have to stay calm. Thinking about it, Langlinger laughed dryly and said, Sister brother-in-law, good morning, what are you doing here? Guyan felt a little strange when he heard this. He turned on the light and looked at the bed behind Langlinger. Why don't you turn on the light after getting up? Besides, don't we have to go to school today? What do you think I am doing here? It's you. What were you doing just now? Guyan said as he wanted to walk over. But Langlinger seemed very excited. She quickly stood up and shouted. Wait, no, you can't come over here. That makes me even more curious. Guyan slowly asked a question, as if he had seen something, and his pace became faster. See this scene. Langlinger panicked, and had no choice but to close her eyes in shame and shouted. I was just doing XXXX, there are still marks on the bed. Don't come over. Hearing this, Guyan looked at Langlinger, who closed her eyes with a look of shame on her face. He was silent, looking at the half-exposed mobile phone. It's really hard for you to give this reason to hide your phone. I'll wait for you downstairs. Guyan coughed dryly, then walked away trying to hold back his laughter. Langlinger was stunned. Next second, she couldn't hold it anymore. His whole face turned red. My lifelong fame. In the study, Ling Qinkyu covered her ears and her face turned red. What nonsense was Linger talking about? Is Guyan here? What happened? What are they doing? I'm so curious, damn it. Chapter 72. I like independent women like you in the new era. Qinkyu. After experiencing silence all the way, Guyan and Langlinger finally arrived at Zhanghae High School. Study hard. I heard nothing. Guyan didn't know what to say, so he could only comfort her like this. But these words made Ling Linger bury her head even lower in shame. She got out of the car trembling, carrying her school bag in her hand without saying a word. Even the force used to close the door was light. Looking at Ling Linger, who walked into the campus as if she had lost her soul, Guyan smiled helplessly. This is the restless girl in adolescence. Lao Gao, go back. Guyan smiled softly. Okay, master. Lao Gao was a little puzzled as to why Miss Linger, who was always a scumbag on weekdays, was so well behaved today. But I didn't think too much about it after all. The young master used to be like this often. Well, that's it, the occasional middle school period. Pretending to be deep and adult-like. After returning to the Leng family, Guyan started his day's work. Clean up and tidy up the clothes scattered on the sofa. Then came the most important moment. He looked left and right. And when he found that Leng Qingqiuayu had not come down yet, he walked towards the bathroom. Looking around, when he saw a column of clothes, the corners of his mouth raised slightly. Hey Qingqiuayu. Qingqiuayu, it's not good to pile these dirty clothes here. Let me help you clean it up. Thinking about this, he walked up and stretched out his hand towards the railing as a matter of course. Next second. What are you doing? A cold voice that revealed shame and anger came from behind Guyan. Guyan's body stiffened and he turned his head awkwardly, only to see Leng Qingqiuayu leaning against the door with a cold face. The expression seemed full of murderous intent. Oh no, I'm doomed, but luckily Qingqiuayu can't see it as long as I pretend that I'm cleaning. Then it will be fine, right? So, Guyan pretended to be calm and explained. Are you planning to do anything to my and Linger's clothes? However, before Guyan could explain, Leng Qingqiuayu exposed his mistake. Are you God? You know all this? But no, I only care about your underwear. Qingqiuayu, I don't care about other people's clothes at all. Qingqiuayu, you have to believe me. Don't insult his character. Guyan hurriedly explained that of course, he was only interested in Qingqiuayu's clothes. Hearing this, Leng Qingqiuayu clenched her fists in shame and anger. The perverted things that Guyan had done in the past were still vivid in her mind. Hearing the other party's outrageous remarks at this time, she clenched her fists in shame. Shut up, you pervert. As she said that, she walked quickly towards Guyan, blocked him in front of the railing, and said coldly, "Get out of my way, I can wash my clothes myself." What a pity. Guyan smiled awkwardly. Okay, Qingqiuayu, wash yourself. Call me if you need anything. Having said this, he left with a guilty conscience. However, when he went out, Guyan was a little confused. Qingqiuayu clearly had her eyes closed. How could she have walked here so accurately? Oh, by the way, Qingqiuayu is a person with high IQ, and he also has the blessing of martial arts. It is also normal to be able to remember the layout of a room. It's Qingqiuayu indeed. Leng Qingqiuayu finally breathed a sigh of relief when he felt that Guyan had left. She picked up a piece of clothing and sighed. It's just clothes. Why are you so excited? No matter how perverted, it is impossible for anyone to have any evil thoughts about a piece of dirty clothes. Just thinking of this, Leng Qingqiuayu's mind popped up all the perverted things that Guyan had done before. I don't think so. Not really? It really shouldn't be that serious. Right? After breakfast, Guyan and Leng Qingqiuayu sat on the sofa in the living room. The TV was on, playing the morning news. Hello, everyone. As you can see, behind me is the crime scene this morning. Counting the previous one, this is already the 5th murder case in Qiuayu Shuiyuan community. The deceased was the boss of a civil engineering and building materials company. The forensic doctor has already gone in to investigate the situation. While watching TV, Guyan said to Leng Qingqiuayu, who was lost in thought beside him. Qingqiuayu, listen, the world is really dangerous now. The 5th murder has occurred in Qiuayu Shui Garden. I heard that each of the victims had wounds on their chests that looked like claw marks. I don't know if the wild animals in the zoo have escaped from their cages. Leng Qingqiuayu stopped thinking about the question he was thinking about after hearing this. After thinking for a moment, he replied, "It can't be a species known to humans. If that was the case, the murderer would have been caught long ago. But don't worry too much, Qiuayu Shui Garden is far away from us anyway. This kind of thing will not happen to us." She had also heard reports from her subordinates about Qiuayu Shui Yuan, saying that they had detected an aura similar to true Qi. But she didn't care. After all, what did the death of other people have to do with her? But after hearing what Guyan said, Leng Qingqiuayu still thought that the other party was worried that the murderer would come near them. Guyan nodded upon hearing this and said with a smile, "Hey, Qingqiuayu, if you are not afraid, then I feel relieved." Leng Qingqiuayu snorted when he heard this. "I want you to say more." On TV, the scene has changed to the police rushing to the scene after receiving the alarm. Moreover, the policeman in the picture was someone Guyan knew. Chen Yingyan faced the camera and spoke in a serious tone. Dear citizens, please trust our police. We will definitely catch the criminal murderer in Qyu Shui Yuan community. Oh, is the plot about to begin? However, the murderer behind Qyu Shui Yuan is not easy to deal with. The other party is a very dangerous person, and he also has some connection with the palace of Yama. But Gu Yan guessed, or he had a hunch, that Chen Yingyan would definitely come to him to investigate together. Maybe it's a man's seventh sense? Oh, by the way, I have to tell King Qyu about tomorrow's matter. Thinking of this, Gu Yan changed the channel and said, by the way King Qyu, I have to attend a banquet tomorrow. So I won't be here. King Qyu was silent for a while after hearing this, and then said calmly, is it the banquet of Yan Xing group? Yeah. They also invited our Ling family. Linger will go with Ling Xing tomorrow. So that's it. Gu Yan smiled when he heard this. Okay. But how are you going to solve the problem of eating tomorrow? King Qyu? I will not be at home all day tomorrow. And as the king of night, I will go to turn the lord of the Hades palace into a puppet. Of course, this kind of thing cannot be talked about. So, the best answer is, none of your business. King Qyu said lightly. Gu Yan nodded repeatedly and smiled. I like new age independent women like you. King Qyu. You. King Qyu couldn't hold it in for a moment. How could this bastard reply to everything he said? She took a deep breath and calmed herself down. No, tomorrow is the day when all members of the night organization will be mobilized, and I must change my identity quickly. After spending a long time with Gu Yan, his dignity seemed to have diminished a lot. By the way, I don't know what King Qyu was thinking of. Suddenly he said to Gu Yan, there might be some particularly beautiful women at the banquet tomorrow. Don't be fooled by her flirting. Gu Yan was unhappy when he heard this. Are you questioning my character? King Qyu, I only love you. Aha, you better be. My good King Qyu. Stop. Speak properly. King Qyu immediately held down Gu Yan, who was about to pounce on him. At the same time, he secretly sighed in his heart. I hope there won't be any scene she doesn't want to see tomorrow. Chapter 73. Chen Yingyan came to visit, and went to Qyu Shui Yuan. Came to the next day. Gu Yan originally thought that he would spend the morning at Ling's house with King Qyu in a loving and affectionate manner. However, he was rejected by King Qyu with a cold face last night. She said that she would have a rare quiet day tomorrow and needed to study hard. What a heartless woman, but it's just right. Gu Yan turned on his phone and a message from Chen Yingyan popped up. Gu Yan, although this is very troublesome for you, I still hope you can investigate a case with me. If you agree, I will pick you up at your house. Will you really call me? There was no surprise in Gu Yan's eyes after all. This scene was originally supposed to be performed by Shaolin. The reason is if you want to clear your name, then produce some evidence that you are a good person. After replying with a okay, Gu Yan was still wondering when the other party would come over and whether he should bring Lao Gao along. Next second. Gu Yan, come down quickly, look who's here. From downstairs came the surprise of his mother Su Wurong. Gu Yan seemed to have thought of something and the corner of his mouth twitched. Come downstairs. When I saw Chen Yingyan, who was wearing casual clothes and chatting with Su Wurong with a smile, Gu Yan's expression became somewhat helpless, and he walked over with a smile. It seems that Sister Yingyan, you have already come to my house. How can I refuse you then? Seeing Gu Yan's helpless look, Chen Yingyan also smiled. Time is tight after all. This case is too important. As she said that, she looked at Su Wurong, who looked confused. Aunt, I will take Gu Yan away. Take away, case? Su Wurong opened his mouth and wanted to say something, but Gu Yan said, okay, but you have to come back before tonight. I have to attend a party. Then, and I'll go out with Officer Chen first. After saying that, the two left. Su Wurong was left with a confused look on his face. Wait, can anyone tell me what's going on? Did my son commit a crime? Or was he captured by the daughter of my husband's best friend? Sacrifice personal interests for the sake of justice. Performance, just a formality? I don't understand. Su Wurong hurriedly took out his cell phone and called Gu Qianming. Qianming, my son has been taken away by the police. Driving on the road to Qyu Shui Yuan community. Lao Gao was driving in front. In the back, Chen Yingyan and Gu Yan looked into the Qyu Shui Yuan case. Gu Yan looked at a stack of materials and listened to Chen Yingyan's explanation. The other party held up a photo of a man with empty and tired eyes and said, the Qyu Shui Yuan case happened in May this year. This is the victim of the first case. His name is Hanko Iwai, a young man who came to Zhanghae City to work. But for some reason, he stopped going to work in April and stayed at home until May 15, when he was found dead at home. He had no relatives, so no one came to claim his body. Having said that, Chen Yingyan took out another photo. Gu Yan took a look and saw a vigorous man. Chen Yingyan sighed and said, "This is a photo of Hanka Iwai's life before April." There was an inexplicable look in Gu Yan's eyes, but he didn't say anything. He looked at the photo taken of Hanka Iwai's body. Looking at the claw wound, Gu Yan had some impression. And the plot kept emerging in his mind. Then Chen Yingyan took out the information and photos of the next 4 victims. Chen Yingyan finished explaining everyone's information. And then said, all of them had abnormal movements, and before they died, there were 3 claw marks on their chests that looked like sharp claws. The medical examiner also determined that the deceased died from this brutal attack. But unfortunately, even after searching with all the biologists, no one has figured out what kind of creature caused this attack. Originally, I was limited to species known to humans. But now, Chen Yingyan looked at Gu Yan seriously. Gu Yan, was this done by a warrior? Really smart. Gu Yan smiled lightly and nodded. Yes, he is indeed a warrior. In front, Lao Zhao's eyes fixed. After listening for so long, he had roughly understood that the young master was going to QIU Shuiyuan community and Miss Yingyan to investigate several murder cases next. The most important thing is that there are warriors behind this case. Although he was not worried that the young master would be in danger with him around, he still did not want the young master to put himself in danger. The enemy is in the dark and we are in the light, it is too dangerous to rush over. So he said, Master, matters concerning warriors are handled by the ancient warrior department. I can notify the warrior department about this matter. Hearing this, Chen Yingyan was stunned and she looked at Gu Yan. It would be best if it could be handled by professionals. After the case was resolved, they announced that it was a heinous murder case and the criminal had been arrested. This way it won't cause too much panic among the masses. However, Gu Yan showed an inexplicable smile. The warrior department has known about this for a long time. It's just that for some reason, the criminal has not been caught. Got it? Then why don't you catch the criminal? Chen Yingyan asked subconsciously. Gu Yan didn't say anything, but just shook his head. When we go to QIU Shui Garden and arrive at the prisoner's home, you will understand. This. Chen Yingyan hesitated, but still nodded. Lao Gao stopped talking and concentrated on driving. Zhangye High School. After class, a teacher looked at the 2 people who had been the most noisy in the past with some confusion. Why are Leng Linger and Bi Quanlan so quiet today? This is strange. He left the classroom feeling uneasy. Could it be that these 2 were planning something big? Were they going to play a big prank? Leng Linger was quiet because of what she said in front of Gu Yan in the morning. She lowered her head, her eyes full of shame, and her hands clenched tightly together. I feel very uneasy. Oh my god, I am done for. Not only did I not hide my phone properly, I even said that kind of thing in front of Gu Yan. It's over. It's over. How can I hold my head up in front of him? As for Bi Quanlan, it was because of the threatening remarks her father made this morning. Said that if she didn't go to meet a man named Shaolin, and just drop out of school and come back to learn how to manage the family. When she thought of this, her eyes turned red again and she took out the half-jade pendant from her chest. As I watched, I started crying again. Leng Linger, who was standing by, heard the noise and quietly looked towards her good deskmate, best friend Ba Quanlan. When she saw that the other person seemed to be sobbing and crying, she suddenly panicked. Quanlan, what's wrong with you? She hurriedly comforted him and immediately put her own affairs behind her. No, it's okay. Bi Quanlan wiped her tears and smiled at Leng Linger. Sister Linger, if, would you feel lonely if I were gone? As soon as these words came out, Leng Linger was stunned. The next second, snap. Leng Linger slammed the table and shouted at Bi Quanlan. No, Quanlan, you can't commit suicide, you are my only friends now. What if you die, me? As she spoke, Leng Linger started crying. A bunch of people looked over here, wanting to see what was going on. Bi Quanlan was stunned for a moment, and quickly pulled Leng Linger down, comforting her. Wait, Sister Linger, what are you talking about? Of course I won't commit suicide, don't cry first. Leng Linger sniffed and looked at Bi Quanlan in surprise. Really? Then he threw himself into Ba Quanlan's arms. Quanlan, you scared me to death. The latter looked at Leng Linger, sighed softly, reached out and patted her on the back, and murmured, that's why I'm worried about you, Sister Linger. Chapter 70 For the Secret of the QIU Shuiyuan Murderer. QIU Shuiyuan Community. In a building near the edge. Outside room 401. Gu Yan and others came here. Chen Yingyan held the pistol and looked at Gu Yan uncertainly. Is this where the murderer lies? So simple, so easy. Just find out where someone lies. Gu Yan nodded, then looked at Lao Gao. Lao Gao? Okay, master. Lao Gao walked forward and grasped the door handle. There was a click. The door slowly opened. Alright, master. Chen Yingyan was very surprised. She originally thought that the door handle would be broken directly. As if seeing Shen Yingyan's confusion, Lao Gao explained. This is the way to use the true key. It is like your hand, which can penetrate and unlock the door for you. Upon hearing this, Chen Ying marveled at the magic of warriors. Enter the house. The scene before him stunned Shen Yingyan. It's different from a normal room. The room was pitch black, with all the windows sealed shut with cement. But the light from the corridor, in this dim light, there was a bedroom door half open, and there were bursts of strange noises coming from inside. Chen Yingyan was very alert, and she subconsciously stood in front of Gu Yan. Let's be careful. She looked left and right to make sure there were no enemies around. Gu Yan smiled lightly, then strode in front of Chen Yingyan. Under the latter's somewhat anxious gaze, he said, "Don't be nervous. The murderer hasn't come back yet." Lao Gao nodded. I really didn't feel the breath of cultivation key. Chen Yingyan finally breathed a sigh of relief, but she still didn't put down her gun. After all, the atmosphere here made her feel extremely nervous. Gu Yan saw the half-open bedroom door, smiled and walked over. Come and take a look. Oh. And at this time, in the building on the other side of this building, a group of people in white clothes suddenly became alert. One of the men, a tall man with a resolute face, walked to the window, pulled open the curtains, and a heavy look appeared in his eyes. His white uniform was covered with various dark patterns, and there was a golden moon on his chest. He looked at it for a while, his eyes fixed, and then he whispered, "Oh no, someone entered the room." As soon as these words came out, the other three people present quickly stood up, and a man walked to an instrument, which was an all-round monitoring system for House 401 with no blind spots. When he saw Gu Yan and others walk into the bedroom of room 401, his face changed. Who are they? Plainclothes police? Others also looked over. There was an ugly expression on their face. The man adjusting the instrument covered his face with a headache. We have long asked them to explain the reasons to the secular organizations and asked them to stop investigating the Qyu Shuiyuan community. Why hasn't the notification arrived yet? Another woman sighed and said, "Stop talking so much. The things in the bedroom are very dangerous. And it would be bad if Tianfang came back. He would definitely kill these people to silence them." The man with the resolute face shook his head. The person who will be killed is Tianfang. They have a very strong man. Probably the Grand Master. Several people were shocked. The woman shouted in surprise. Grand Master? Are you kidding me? No kidding, this is the Ore sensed. A resolute man said solemnly. The other party may not be a plainclothes policeman, but a martial artist hidden among the people. But that woman is clearly the Jiangye Chai city police officer from the TV. Since when did the secular organizations become able to command warriors? In any case, we can't let them disrupt the layout plan we have been working on for so long. We are already at the finishing touches. We are just a little bit away from finding evidence of the Tianfang illusion with the Hades Palace. Speaking of this, several people looked at each other. Then we'll have to go through with it. I hope that Grand Master can be more polite. Gu Yan, after entering the bedroom, Lao Gao stretched out his hand. And wow, the true energy in his hand surged. A flash of white light illuminated the entire room. What are these? Chen Yingyan was stunned. I saw that the walls of the bedroom were covered with witchcraft patterns. They were painted in dark black and red tones, like some ancient text in taboo symbols. These patterns are intertwined to form puzzling geometric figures, exuding a strong exotic atmosphere that makes people shudder. In the center of the room stands an ancient stone altar, carved with many incredible patterns and symbols. Dim candles were lit around the altar, and the flickering candlelight illuminated the patterns on the altar, making them take on strange shapes as if in a dream. In the corners were scattered a few pieces of moldy flesh and eyeballs, which seemed to be props used in mysterious rituals. The floor was covered with a dull black carpet with strange patterns embroidered on it. There was a suffocating atmosphere in the air. Chen Yingyan swore that she had never seen such a scene in her life. She covered her mouth and resisted the urge to vomit. Gu Yan, we have to call for support. She felt that this was no longer an ordinary case. Gu Yan pinched his nose and looked around with disdain. No need to call for help. The murderer is a demon. And any more ordinary people will just be killed. And it doesn't matter. The relevant departments will be here soon. Relevant departments? Chen Yingyan was stunned. The next second, several voices came from the bedroom door. Chapter 75. Gu Yan, do you know how to join the warrior department? Hello? As soon as the voice came out, Chen Yingyan's body suddenly tensed up, and she grasped the pistol and quickly pointed it at the door. When she saw that there were 4 people wearing the same white uniform, she hesitated, because the man called Ba Jun wore this kind of clothes before. Lao Gao knew this group of people, or rather, he knew the clothes they were wearing, and he whispered to Gu Yan beside him, "Master, this is the ancient warrior department." Hearing this, none of the 4 were surprised after all. The ancient warrior department was not a secret to most warriors. They were full of respect when they looked at Lao Gao. The other party was a master, so they naturally could not make enemies with him. But what concerned them more was the smiling young man standing next to Lao Gao. Could it be that the other party is the young master of some hidden family? Has he brought the family strong men with him? But why does he look so familiar? Forget it, let's stabilize the situation first. Thinking about this, the tall, resolute man with short black hair said in a friendly manner, "Hello, my name is Li, and just like what the senior said, we are members of the Ancient Warrior Department. We are currently investigating the Qiyu Shuiyuan incident. These guys are all my teammates." Speaking of this, the slender woman smiled slightly and introduced herself. "My name is Lin Yijing, and I'm responsible for intelligence gathering." The other man with sharp brown eyes remained calm and said, "My name is Xiao Tianyu." The last one was a man wearing glasses and looking a little frail. He said nervously, "My name is Chen Lei, and I'm a technician." After listening to the introductions of several people, the atmosphere in the room relaxed slightly. Chen Yingyan put down his gun and asked in confusion, "Since you already know the location of the murderer's room, why don't you just catch him?" This was something Chen Yingyan didn't understand. She initially thought that the ancient martial arts department just couldn't find where the murderer was hiding. But now it seems that this is clearly not the case. Hearing this, Li Yan looked a little unnatural, and he shook his head. "Madam, the situation here is a bit complicated, and this is a confidential mission, so we can't reveal too much." Chen Yingyan wanted to ask something else, but was interrupted by Gu Yan's voice. In that case, Gu Yan shrugged and said to Chen Yingyan with a smile, "And let's go let the professionals recover the scene." After all, he looked at the people whose faces changed drastically with a meaningful look. You don't want the owner of the house to know that someone has entered his room, right? Lin Yijing had an unnatural smile on her face, and she quietly looked at Li Yan beside her. The latter forced a smile, glanced at Lao Gao behind Gu Yan, and said with a smile, "Thank you for your understanding." After saying this, he became even more curious about Gu Yan and the others. Let's not talk about the master Lao Gao for now. Besides, this young man Gu Yan always gave him a very strange feeling. There was not even a trace of true energy fluctuation in his body. It's so weird. Chen Yingyan was a little anxious. She wanted to get things straight. After all, this concerned the safety of the residents. But Gu Yan had no choice but to pull her away with great force. After seeing a few people leave, Li Yan stopped smiling and said to Lin Yijing, "Go investigate, we can't let our efforts go to waste." Okay. Li Yan looked at everything in front of him, as well as the pieces of meat in the corners. Sighed softly. "Sorry, but this is the only thing we can do to eradicate Hades." Back in the car, Chen Yingyan seemed a little depressed. Gu Yan asked Lao Gao to drive back, then turned to Chen Yingyan and said, "Sister Yingyan, do you understand the complexity of this situation now?" Chen Yingyan nodded when she heard that. She looked up at Gu Yan, seeming to want to say something but stopped herself. "What do you want to say?" "I want to say that most warriors don't take the lives of ordinary people seriously." After hearing this, Gu Yan's eyes showed a hint of inexplicable meaning. "Why do you say that?" Chen Yingyan thought of everything he had seen in that bedroom before. Whether it was the evil tail Muslims or the pieces of meat scattered in the corner. You can see how cruel the owner of this house is. She clenched her fists and said, "Because the owner of that house killed so many people. But the warrior department knew the location of this person, but still let him kill people at will." This was something Chen Yingyan could neither understand nor forgive. She originally wanted to question the other party why he did this right there. But now that she had calmed down, she was glad that she was not so stupid. After all, there were 4 warriors on the other side. On their side, there was her, Gu Yan, and an elderly man named Lao Gao. How could she be a match for him? She didn't know his temperament. Gu Yan was the one who shouted it out, so he had to consider the other party's safety. He must also be calm when encountering such things in the future. Then Chen Yingyan raised his head and covered his eyes with the back of his hand, saying to himself, "I am so unwilling, I am obviously a police officer." Gu Yan comforted him softly. "Maybe some things are not as simple as they seem." These words stunned Chen Yingyan, and she looked at Gu Yan. "I only heard the other party continue, just like they said. The things here are a little special and complicated. The owner of that house may have some background or power that we don't know about. Sometimes, the warrior department may need to weigh various pros and cons and make some decisions that are difficult for us to understand. After all, they are warriors." Gu Yan sighed and said, "It's different from us ordinary people." Chen Ying was silent for a moment, but still clenched his fists tightly. "Just because of this, they can let the murderer kill people? Either way, I feel like it's wrong." There was a sense of struggle and helplessness in her voice. Gu Yan stopped talking. He understood Chen Ying's feelings, but he knew that sometimes reality was not always so ideal. especially since the owner of this house is involved in many things behind the scenes. According to the plot, the warrior department should be close to finding evidence of collusion between the Hades palace and the evil warriors. As long as we find the evidence, we can launch the operation to destroy the palace of Hades. At this time, Lao Gao, who was driving, suddenly spoke up. This is a complex and dangerous world. There are many things in this world that even warriors don't know. Ms. Yin Yin, you don't have to worry so much, you just need to know that Qiyu Shui Yuan's affairs are no longer something that secular organizations can interfere with. I believe that you will receive a notice to suspend all investigations soon. Chen Ying listened to the two people's conversation, and his heart could not calm down for a long time. She couldn't bear to watch the murderer kill people for any other reason. But what Grandpa Gao said is very right. This matter is no longer something that ordinary people can interfere with. The murderer must be a very dangerous person. If I joined the warrior department, I would never do this. Chen Yingyan suddenly spoke up. And she looked at Guyan with a sharp gaze. Guyan, do you know how to join the warrior department? Cao Cao saw Chen Yingyan's expression through the rearview mirror and knew that the other party was serious. Guyan smiled when he heard this. You'll have to ask Uncle Chen. If he's willing to tell you. Ask my dad. Chen Yingyan pursed her lips. Then sat aside without saying a word, seeming to be thinking about something in her mind. Guyan glanced at the other person and then looked away. Very good, according to the normal plot, Chen Yingyan will join the ancient warrior department soon. And he detected the warrior's talent in it, as if he was a genius that only appears once in a century. After various opportunities and battles, she became the first female director of the ancient warrior department. This power provided countless help to Shaolin in the original novel. But now, Guyan smiled in his heart. Everything was going according to plan. Of course, the evening banquet will also be very interesting. The Palace of Hell. Let me think, who was the person who colluded with the demon in the original novel? Oh yes, it seems that he is Yan Huang's adopted son, named Longs, Yi Ian. Guyan seemed to have thought of something interesting. And the corners of his mouth rose slightly. Chapter 76. You don't want everyone to know that you have any collusion with the evil sect, right? That night, luxury cars were lined up in front of the Bihu Villa Hotel. Today is a special day. Yanxing Group has sent invitations to more than half of the families in Zhanghe City. They were invited to the party, but in fact everyone knew the truth. This was a banquet where Yanxing Group announced the next successor. There were some guests standing in the hall. It wasn't that they didn't want to enter the banquet hall. They just wanted to stay here to see who had come here. Several guests exchanged business cards with each other, chatting and guessing which families would be here tonight. In my opinion, all the top families in Zhanghe City will be here tonight. Families like the Gu family and the Yan family will definitely come. Some celebrities from the Yanxing Group will definitely come. Hey, who do you think will come from the Gu family? That young Master Gu? When talking about Gu Yan, a hint of mockery appeared on the faces of several people. If young Master Gu is coming, then it means that Shen Wan'er from the Shen family will also come. After all, who doesn't know that he likes Shen Wan'er the most? Aha, it's a pity that Gu Qianming was smart all his life, but gave birth to such a licking son. Next second. Hey, what are you bastards saying about others behind their backs? A rebuking voice with suppressed anger came from behind them. Several people were stunned, then turned their heads to look. A young girl with dyed yellow hair and wearing a girlish outfit that was clearly inappropriate for the party was standing behind them with her hands on her hips, looking angry. Several people looked at each other, all undecided. Dressed like this, it was obviously out of place with their party. If it weren't for the fact that the small family didn't know etiquette. That's probably because he has a powerful background and can do whatever he wants. So they all laughed dryly and dispersed. I'm so pissed off. Langlinger was so angry when she saw the people running away that she wanted to just go up and give them a few punches. He actually said bad things about Gu behind his back and called him a bootlicker. Who are you calling a licker? My brother-in-law has long disliked Shen Wan'er. Okay. Langlinger's angry look scared Lang Xingyan, who walked in. He hurried over and comforted him. My little ancestor. What's wrong with you? Today, this place is full of rich and powerful people. We must not cause trouble. It will be bad if the Ling family is targeted. Langlinger muttered in a low voice. Uncle, you are too timid. We have a brother-in-law here, so what are we afraid of? Not to mention the bastard just now called my brother-in-law a bootlicker behind his back. Is this how love is? However, there were indeed such rumors about Gu Yan before. Lang Xingyan looked around, and then said to Langlinger helplessly. Niece, although Gu Yan likes you, we can't take advantage of the Gu family behind Lake Inqiu just because he likes her. This will make Gu Yan look down on us. Langlinger nodded as if she understood what he said. Okay, then I will refrain from beating up these guys who look like they deserve a beating today. You actually said that all the people from the big families are a bunch of idiots. Lang Xingyan felt that he couldn't stay here any longer. So he hurriedly pulled Langlinger towards the banquet hall. At the door, a steady stream of luxury cars stopped. The door of one of the cars with a metallic luster opened, and a smiling man walked out of the car. He was wearing an exquisite black suit, and he exuded a noble and elegant temperament. Then, a woman in a luxurious evening gown slowly walked out of the car. Her long skirt dragged on the ground, and the hem of the skirt exuded a faint fragrance, setting off her dignified and elegant face. The woman walked into the hall with Bai Jun's hand in hers, expressionless, as this eye-catching pair entered the hotel lobby. The surrounding guests couldn't help but let out a low murmur of surprise. Isn't this the eldest son of the Bai family and their eldest daughter? Oh my god, the youngest major general in history. Bai Jun has also rushed back to attend the banquet. It's worthy of being the Yan Xing group. Immediately following, countless luxury cars drove by. The dignitaries who walked down from the stage made the onlookers sigh in admiration. It's worthy of being the Yan Xing group. We were able to invite so many people to the party. Chen Wan'er also came here. She looked at the luxurious banquet hall in front of her and felt very longing in her heart. When will my family be able to hold a banquet here? When will I be able to invite so many guests? She took a deep breath and whispered to Xiaolin, who had been watching her. Xiaolin, remember not to talk nonsense when you get inside. You are my bodyguard now, just stay with me. Don't do anything that would bring shame upon you. Xiaolin was wearing the suit that Shen Wan'er bought for him. He was very happy and nodded in agreement. But when he walked into the hall, he seemed to hear what people around him were saying. Look, Shen Wan'er is here too. Then will young Master Gu come too? There is a man following Shen Wan'er. I bet young Master Gu will cause trouble for him. Young Master Gu? Gu Yan? Why is Gu Yan involved? Xiaolin really wanted to ask Shen Wan'er, who was walking in front of him, what this meant, but after thinking about it, he shut up. After all, the other party had repeatedly emphasized this to him before he came. Don't talk nonsense. As time goes by, the number of luxury cars arriving at the hotel remains unchanged. Everyone was wondering if there were any heavyweights coming. At this time, a pure black extended luxury car stopped. Then, a beautiful figure instantly attracted everyone's attention. Just see. A woman in a white dress was led out of the car by the hand of a person who looked like a bodyguard. The other party seemed like a white flower blooming in the night. The gown she wore was fluid and form-fitting, accentuating her slender figure. A white fabric looks particularly pure on her, as white as snowflakes, revealing a noble temperament. A pair of bright and deep eyes reveal confidence and elegance. Like the twinkling stars in the starry sky, her long eyelashes gently rise like wings, adding a sense of mystery to her eyes. The other party smiled at the guests, and in an instant, the breathing of all the men became slightly heavier. Who is that person? Which big family's daughter is here? Oh my god, she's so beautiful, I feel like I'm in love. The Aelian waved her hand with a smile, but she was actually very disdainful in her heart. A bunch of stupid men. It looks like the mission tonight will go very smoothly. Biaoyan, watch your face. The bodyguard-like person beside him reminded him softly. Biaoyan immediately put away her sarcastic expression and smiled again. If it wasn't for the master's order, no one would be a teammate with a stupid and unromantic guy like you. All over the hotel banquet, members of the night organization mixed in with them. Some disguised as waiters, and some replaced as bodyguards of various families. But no unexpected was. In the hotel's presidential lounge, Yan Huang's adopted son Long Ziayatia looked at the uninvited guest who broke into his room with a grim expression. The other person was sitting on the sofa with a smile on his face, stepping on his partner Tian Fang, the magic warrior who had killed many people. Then let's have a chat, Mr. Long Ziatian. Gu Yan looked at Long Ziatian with a look of evil amusement. You don't want everyone to know that you, the adopted son of the Lord of the King of Hell, have any collusion with the devil, right? Chapter 77. Cooperation with the King of Hell. Long Ziaiqian looked at the man who was threatening him with an unpleasant expression. The other party's cultivation level showed no fluctuations at all, and he was obviously just an ordinary person. Although the family behind him is the Gu family, the most powerful family in Zhanghe City, the other party is at best a bootlicker obsessed with Shen Wan'er. There shouldn't be any threat, but why? You hit it really well, Mr. Gu. Long Ziaiqian looked at Gu Yan, who was smiling in front of him. With a fake smile he admitted that he had failed. Who could have thought that when they were discussing something with their partners, the eldest son of the Gu family, who they once considered a waste, would actually bring his men in and barge in? Before Tian Fang could make a move, he was knocked unconscious by the strong man who followed Gu Yan. Gu Yan stepped on Yan Fang's body, leaning back on the sofa with a relaxed body. He looked at Long Ziaidian with mocking eyes. Long Ziaidian, you are the same. Who would have thought that the adopted son of the Lord of the Hades Palace would actually collude with such a despicable demon sect? Hearing this, Long Ziayian's eyes narrowed. He really knew. He gritted his teeth. Damn it, why did this happen? How did the other party find out the clues? Obviously, the official warriors didn't find out anything. I think what I did was covert enough. Damn, Gu Yan is just an ordinary person. At this distance, I am confident that I can kill him with one blow. But he glanced at Lao Qiao, who was standing beside him ready to take action at any time. And his heart sank. According to previous investigations, this old man from the Gu family is very likely a strong man with strength close to that of a Grand Master. My adoptive father is not here now, and all the assassins are protecting him. In other words, it was impossible for him to kill Gu Yan in front of a strong man who was close to the strength of a master. Even if we can kill him, it will definitely be a one-for-one exchange. But I still have great ambitions and ideals, so how could I possibly die? Hateful. I can't defeat him now, so is there nothing I can do but listen to this guy in front of me? Long Ziaitian clenched his fists tightly, his mind full of thoughts. Finally, he seemed to accept his fate and stared at Gu Yan intently. What do you want to do? Seeing Long Ziaitian accepting his fate, Gu Yan smiled and said, it's very simple. He pointed his finger at Long Ziaitian. I want you to form a partnership with me. Long Ziaitian was stunned. He was a little confused. What kind of cooperation are you talking about? If it is business cooperation, our Yanxing Group and your Gu family are partners. However, Gu Yan shook his head. It's not Yanxing Group, but the palace of the King of Hell. Hell's Palace. Long Ziaitian's heart sank, as the King of Hell's Palace might involve warriors. What does the other party want to do? Gu Yan smiled but said nothing, waiting for the other party's reply. In fact, he took many aspects into consideration. Because according to the original plot, Long Ziaitian only lived for a few chapters. A reason was that Yan Huang discovered that he was colluding with the evil sect. So he killed him in a rage. The Yama Palace thus resolved the crisis of being surrounded and suppressed by the warrior department. So when they learned that today's banquet was used to announce that Long Ziaitian would be the next heir to Yanxing Group, Gu Yan had a bad feeling, especially when he came to his senses. He felt even worse when he found out that Leng Linger, who was supposed to die, was not dead, and therefore Leng Qingqiu could not use Leng Linger's death to turn himself into the strongest person in the world. It can be said that the plot started to go wrong when Leng Linger didn't die. Shenwaner would even run up to him and cry and ask if they could go back to the past. Gu Yan felt a headache when he thought about these abnormal plots, so he tried to salvage some of the plot that should have been there. So he chose to find Long Ziyan directly. As for why he did this, that's because he thought about it for a long time. So he came to a conclusion. That's just a guess, but it's very likely to be the case. In the original novel, Yan Huang did not die because Leng Qingqiu's ability helped him to survive. That is to say, without Leng Qingqiu's help, Yan Huang will definitely die. And at today's banquet, Long Ziaitian will be announced as the heir. Therefore, what we need to do now is to find Long Ziayan and control him. The reason for doing this was not for anything else. But Gu Yan thought, what if the World Correction Force forced the Hall of Yama to cause trouble for the protagonist? As a result, he was killed by the protagonist, and upgrading the opponent was not worth it. After all, Gu Yan didn't know when Leng Qingqiu would be able to recover to the same strength as in the original novel. So he didn't dare to gamble. In other words, the best way at the moment is to keep silent and accumulate strength. And wait until the right time, when everyone will come together to completely wipe out the protagonist Shaolin. As a result, Gu Yan thought of a more reliable way to make the plot less distorted. That is, because Leng Qingqiu has not yet turned evil. In order to prevent the villains in the original work from coming to cause trouble, so it would be better to just recruit them directly. This was what Gu Yan was thinking. He might as well take the lead in controlling those villains who were supposed to belong to Leng Qingqiu in the original novel. And he gathered these villains into a group, waiting for the final moment. And then they would move out together, encircle and attack the protagonist Shaolin. Kill him in one go. Gu Yan thought about it and found this plan to be perfect. Time passes by every second. Long Ziaitian looked at Gu Yan, took a deep breath and said, okay, I agree to your request. Since you came directly to me and offered to cooperate with me. And I'm sure you know, yes, my godfather is going to announce today that I will be the heir to Yanxing Group. When he said this, Long Ziaitian's expression was also very complicated. His adoptive father trusted him immensely, but he was already old. I can't make decisions on many things because I'm so cowardly and timid. Even though they have the huge power of Yama Palace, they can only stay in Zhanghe City. It's not that the rivers and seas are not big. It's just that Long Ziayan has greater ideals. She hopes that the palace of Yama will unify the world. And Tianfang is the key to accomplishing this. As long as Tianfang's secret technique is completed, the overall strength of their Yama palace will reach a terrifying stage. Listening to Long Ziyian's words, Guyan nodded. In that case, I will take the person away first, and I will come to find you after you take over. Guyan stood up, seeing Long Ziyian looking confused. Lobkiao walked over and waved his right hand. A stream of true energy quickly dragged the unconscious body of Tianfang up into the air. Watching this scene, Long Ziyian suddenly became anxious. He stood up and said, "Wait a minute, I already promised you. Why do you want to take him away?" Hearing this, Guyan looked at the other person as if he were an idiot. "Idiot, if I leave him here with you, how can I threaten you? So direct?" After hearing this, Long Ziyian was dumbfounded. He stretched out his hand, "Wait." But he swallowed the words back when they came to his lips. "I thought a lot in my mind for a while, but finally I sat down helplessly." Cover your face. Why is this happening? Chapter 78 Banquet Tragedy. When we arrived at the top floor of the hotel, a helicopter was already waiting there. Tianfang was flying in the air unconscious. Lao Gao looked at Guyan. "Master, how do we deal with this guy?" Guyan glanced at the other person and said calmly, "Waste his cultivation and lock him up, he will be useful in the future." According to the original plot, Tianfang is very alert and his movements are secretive and strange. Therefore, the warrior department could not find the other party's whereabouts at all. They didn't dare to get too close to Tianfang, for fear that he was hiding in the dark. So the only thing that is clear is that the other party would return to Shuiyuan community late at night every day. Every time they came back, they would bring back some clues that the warrior department needed. They only had to wait for Tianfang to leave, and then they could enter the room to collect evidence. Not long ago, Li Yan and his team from the warrior department found shredded paper thrown into the trash can in Tianfang's house. It says on it, "Kill Li Batian." Li Batian was the victim of the 5th Shuiyuan murder case. He was the owner of a civil engineering and building materials company. According to the investigation of Li Yan and others, I found that Yanxing Group had a minor friction with Li Batian's company not long ago. As long as they investigate further and wait for the right opportunity, they will be able to find the key evidence of collusion between the Hall of Yama and the evil Tianfang. Lao Gao nodded when he heard this. "Okay, young master." Crash. The helicopter took off. As Guyan looked at the helicopter flying away, he had other thoughts in his mind. The reason why Tianfang was kept was said to be used to threaten Long Ziyian, but in fact it was not entirely true. Another purpose is to prevent Long Ziyian from being killed by Yan Huang tonight. After all, in the original novel, Yan Huang had actually already discovered that Long Ziyian and the evil Tianfang were colluding with each other. Although there are some problems with the plot and timing, but nothing unexpected happened. Tonight is Long Ziyian's last chance. If he hasn't cut off his relationship with Tianfang, then tonight might be the day Long Ziyian eyes. Moreover, Tianfang has a more important use. That is, Chen Yingyin needs a military achievement. Tianfang's magic is a great military achievement. You should know that the warrior department is divided into many factions: conservatives, radicals, coexistence. Chen Ying's military achievement of killing Tianfang just happened to attract the attention of the other party's master in the original novel. Although it's a bit early to meet now, but this way the plot can be slowly rounded off. Thinking of this, Guyan turned and left. Okay, let's go see how the banquet is going. The banquet hall is like a golden palace. The walls were covered with priceless oil paintings, and huge chandeliers hung from the high ceiling. The sparkling crystals reflected soft light, illuminating the entire banquet hall. The floor was made of marble with intricate patterns, and in the center of the banquet hall was a huge long table filled with exquisite silver and porcelain. Gorgeous floral decorations are dotted throughout, and the champagne gold tablecloths and silver tableware complement each other perfectly. Along the walls, there are a series of buffet stations serving delicious food, from traditional family signature dishes to international cuisine. A piano was placed on a stage and famous musicians played for the guests. Those who came were all prominent figures from major families. They sat or stood, chatting happily. Chen Wan'er liked this atmosphere very much. Holding a glass of champagne in her hand, she chatted with family members or business owners from all walks of life around her with a smile on her face. Although the bankruptcy crisis has been resolved, the Shen family's company is still in urgent need of partners. At this banquet, Shen Wan'er felt that she had to at least find a new partner. She demonstrated excellent social skills. In less than a moment, a group of people gathered around him. Ba Shen is really young and promising. He is in charge of such a large company at such a young age. We need to keep in touch and cooperate more in the future. What kind of cooperation can a screw seller like you have with a pharmaceutical company? In my opinion, Mr. Shen, let's cooperate. Our Chinese medicine company can provide you with the raw materials you need. Shen Wanner was delighted, and she thanked him repeatedly. Thank you, seniors. At this time, the boss who was chatting happily just now suddenly asked, "Oh, by the way, are Mr. Shen and Mr. Gu still in contact now? I remember that Mr. Shen's company had some problems before. Was it Mr. Gu who solved it in the end?" As soon as these words came out, the others also smiled but said nothing. In fact, they would talk so much with Shen Wanner here. It's because they want to know what Gu Yan's attitude is. After all, others don't know, but those in the industry have heard some gossip. For example, the Leng family, which was once as famous as the Gu family in Zhanghae City, seems to have received financial support from the Gu family group. If Gu Yan still likes Shen Wanner, then they will naturally be willing to be friends with Shen Wanner. After all, everyone knows that Gu Yan will not treat unfairly any company that cooperates with Shen Wanner. Hearing this, Shen Wanner's expression became a little unnatural. She naturally heard and saw the changes in these people's expressions. She felt a little unwilling in her heart in the end. Were these people doing this just for Gu Yan's sake? Oh no, it's for the Gu family's sake. She forced a smile and said, "I'm in touch. I went to his house not long ago." After these words were spoken, everyone looked at each other and smiled again. The atmosphere seemed joyful. This is Shaolin. He looked at Shen Wanner, who was surrounded by people with some depression, and he drank a sip of wine in misery. I felt like I had really become a bodyguard. And seeing Wanner surrounded by so many men, I felt really uncomfortable. Drink and drink. A sharp and sarcastic explosion sounded from Shaolin's ears. "You bitch, look what you did, you made my clothes dirty. How are you going to compensate me? Why can anyone come to this banquet venue? Security, where is the security?" Everyone's attention was drawn to this sudden movement. Shen Wanner also looked in the direction of the voice, and this glance also made her pupils shrink. She almost shouted out, "How could it be her?" I saw Ling Linger holding a silver plate. In front of her stood a woman in a luxurious red dress, but there was a piece of cake stuck on her custom-made dress. The cake slid all the way from the clothes to the ground, making the originally beautiful dress dirty. Ling Linger saw the woman screaming. She immediately pointed at the woman next to her, whose face changed, and said, "Ah, don't slander me. It was obviously the guy next to you who pushed me just now." She was taking the cake just now, and when she turned around, she was suddenly bumped into by someone, and the cake spilled on the clothes of the woman in front of her. The people around looked over there, all with expressions of watching the fun. "Hey, if you hadn't told me, I wouldn't have noticed. How could someone come to this high-end banquet hall wearing such strange clothes? Could he have sneaked in? TSK, you underestimated the hotel's security measures. Not even a fly can get in without an invitation." And just when everyone was guessing who Ling Linger was, another panicked voice came over. "Wait, sorry. Leng Xing'an was originally discussing cooperation issues with other business CEOs. But when he turned around, he suddenly discovered that his little niece seemed to be in trouble. The person who was annoyed was actually Zhilan, the daughter of the Z family. You must know that the Z family is a first-tier family in Zhanghae and an important partner of the Yanxing group. It's all over now." Leng Xing'an quickly ran to Ling Linger's side and kept apologizing to Zhilan. "I'm sorry, it's my niece who is ignorant. I apologize to you on behalf of my niece." Leng Xing'an broke out in a cold sweat. His eldest niece had told him about this. Let him keep a low profile and not use Gu Yan's name. The people at the banquet are those whom the Leng family cannot afford to offend. So don't cause trouble for Gu Yan. So when you are undecided, just apologize and it will be over. Then Leng Xing'an appeared on the scene. Everyone finally reacted. "Oh my god, Leng Xing'an, Leng family? Oh my god, the Leng family is here too. That yellow-haired girl should be Ling Linger. The second daughter of the Leng family, right? I can't believe it. The Leng family, which was once as famous as the Gu family, has fallen to this point. I remember that when the Z family was still a third-tier family, they received help from the Leng family." Leng Xing'an felt very uncomfortable when listening to the voices around him. But there was nothing he could do at present. The Leng family was obviously in decline. Ling Linger was very unhappy to see her uncle being so humble. She glared at Zhilan and said, "Why should we apologize? This is obviously the fault of the woman next to you. She should be the one to apologize." Zhilan became even more furious when she heard this. The moves that had always worked in the past were actually ineffective against this guy? Obviously, those people who had been bullied in the past would have been scared to death when they saw this kind of scene. She immediately scolded, "Bitch, it's wrong for you to come to this party dressed like this. She's still quibbling here. Security, get her out of here." The words fell. Several Z family bodyguards came over and extended their hands to Ling Linger. "Miss, please leave here with us." In the banquet corner, two figures in black stood there, and a layer of black mist enveloped them. The two of them seemed to merge into the night, and everyone magically automatically moved away from the area. Meizu looked at the scene at the banquet and said hesitantly to the man next to her who was wearing black clothes and a black gauze hat. The master needs me to go. No need. Ling Qiyu said lightly. He really doesn't seem to care what happens to his sister. But in fact, she had clenched her fists tightly. The opened eyes were filled with murderous intent. And the mysterious runes slowly rotated. Although I can't see the picture, I can see everyone's life essence through the power in my eyes. Linger, don't worry, after tonight, Zhi Lan will be dead. Meizu nodded, and at the same time told everyone present to keep quiet. Linger is here. MSXIE, we came here at the invitation of Yan Xing Group. You can't do this. Ling Xingyan saw Linger being held down by the shoulders by the Z family bodyguards and being taken away. And he shouted hurriedly. Zhi Lan sneered, based on your current situation, you are certainly not worthy of coming, and maybe the Yan Xing Group gave you an extra one. That's right, Zhi Lan was simply unhappy with the Ling family. Or rather, she was unhappy with Ling Qiyu, the former goddess of the Ling family. When she was a child, her family always told her that she was not as good as Ling Qiyu. She was not as beautiful as Ling Qiyu, and she was not as talented as Ling Qiyu. Ling Qiyu is better than you in everything he does. Let me go. If you have the guts, let me go. I'll let my sister. Linger struggled and was about to bring up the title of her brother-in-law, but the words Ling Xingyan had told her before suddenly flashed through her mind. He said not to borrow Guyan's name, otherwise people would look down on him. For a moment, Linger's eyes dimmed and she stopped what she was about to say. And Zhi Lan seemed to have triggered some keywords. Her face became distorted and she immediately walked in front of Linger. He asked with a fake smile, your sister, Ling Qiyu? Oh, yes, why didn't your sister come? Hey, your sister is being bullied by me. She shouted around, and then taunted Linger. Sorry, I forgot that your sister has been blind for a long time. At this point, she could no longer hold back her years of resentment. And yelled at Linger, she's been blind for a long time. She's blind, understand? Your Ling family has long been a family in name only. Why didn't you kill Ling Qiyu back then? Zhi Lan shouted happily. She didn't notice the gradually weird atmosphere in the banquet hall. Instead, he continued to make sarcastic remarks to Linger in front of him. Linger gritted her teeth and tried hard not to let herself cry as she recalled what happened in the past. She was about to cry, but her eyes were very stubborn. Asshole, shut up, shut up. Linger wanted to break free from the bodyguard who was holding her. And she wanted to hit Zhi Lan hard in the face. Ling Xingyan couldn't bear it any longer. He rushed over with his fists waving, don't go too far. However, he was stopped by Zhi Lan's bodyguards and pinned to the ground. Damn it. Ling Xingyan only hated his own incompetence. He was obviously the elder of his two nieces, but he was so useless. Zhi Lan sneered, then looked at Linger. Don't look at me like that, bitch. Oh, yeah, let me teach you a lesson. Zhi Lan raised her hand. It will hurt if I hit you on the face, otherwise, I'd rather let you become like your sister. And become blind and stay at home in poverty for the rest of your life. Inside the banquet hall, Bai Lan's originally expressionless face seemed to notice something. Her eyes trembled. Sister Linger. Biawan Lan subconsciously ran towards Linger. Bai Jun, who was still chatting, was stunned. Hey! He chased after him. The other side. MSBAN's Biayan? What's wrong with you? Biayan, who was surrounded by people and had been smiling until now stared at Zhi Lan. Hey, you blockhead, I advise you to stop me. Otherwise I'm afraid I won't be able to resist and go over to kill that bitch. The bodyguard beside him was silent for a moment. His arms slowly bulged, and he said in a deep voice, you stay here. I will go over and kill her, it will be over soon. Among the bodyguards brought by some big families, some people with murderous intent slowly walked towards Zhi Lan. Watch out for the food truck, watch out for the food truck. Some waiters pushed the food carts towards Zhi Lan. Meizu's eyes were filled with murderous intent. Master, please order me to kill that woman. No need. Don't let this kind of thing affect your emotions. Don't forget your plan. Ling Qiyu said calmly that she didn't care about the other party scolding her. Dan. Meizu wanted to say something, but her eyes seemed to have seen something. All members of the night organization who wanted to take action were quickly stopped. Some people in the banquet hall also noticed the figure running quickly towards Zhi Lan. Just as I was about to reach out and say hello, I was immediately stopped by the person next to me. On Zhi Lan's side, she raised her hand and slapped Linger hard on the face under her stubborn and angry gaze. However, just when he was about to slap Linger in the face, A voice mixed with murderous intent sounded from behind Zizi Chailan. Hello? What were you talking about? Zizi Chailan was stunned and turned her head subconsciously. As a result, before she could see clearly who was speaking. Bang! Buff! Well, she felt her hair being pulled up with such force that it seemed as if her scalp would be torn apart. Then, crash! Well, she was picked up by the man and thrown onto the table full of buffet food. Like a hammer being used by someone. It hit from the head of the dining table all the way to the end. The entire table was covered with rotten food, unknown bloodstains, tears and snot. At the end, the man grabbed Zizi Chailan's hair and lifted her up. Gu Yan's eyes were emotionless, and his tone was cold and gloomy. What were you talking about just now? You haha. Zizi Chailan's facial features were distorted, her teeth were broken, and her eyes were swollen and she could not see clearly. She could only scream subconsciously. Gu Yan nodded. Oh. Then he pressed her head hard to the ground. Bang! A pink halo appeared in his palm, with a crackle sound. A huge spitterbear-like crack was instantly created on the marble floor of the banquet hall. Zizi Chailan's head was embedded inside and her whole body was motionless. For a while, the whole audience was silent. Chapter 79. A series of big fights, all protect the Ling family. In that silent moment, the banquet hall seemed to be frozen in time. People's eyes were fixed on the huge spitterbear-like crack on the ground and Zizi Chailan embedded in it. As if they couldn't believe what was happening before their eyes. Everyone was stunned. Wait, what happened? Wasn't Zizi Chailan just standing in front of Leng Linger showing off her power? How could it be buried in the ground in the blink of an eye? Moreover, is this crack in the ground something that humans can do? No, I should say, why is Mr. Gu angry? Zizi Chailan wasn't scolding Shenwaner. Why are you angry? Originally everyone thought that Gu Yan was just a flatterer of Shenwaner. But now it seems that he is not easy to deal with. Gu Yan originally just wanted to come here and happily attend an ordinary banquet. If possible, he would also like to see the plot where the protagonist Shaolin is looked down upon and causes trouble, but is then slapped in the face. How come Shaolin had no problem? But Leng Linger was in trouble. He walked over helplessly. He originally thought that he would just let Zizi Chailan apologize to Leng Linger and that would be the end of it. After all, the Z family and the Gu family had cooperation and they would see each other sooner or later. But who would have thought that after just 2 steps? Zizi Chailan said a few words that made him lose his mind instantly. He looked at Zizi Chailan buried in the marble floor and remained silent. First of all, I would like to make it clear that there has been no fluctuation in his cultivation level, and this has been confirmed by Lao Gao. Normally he didn't feel how strong he was. So what was going on right now? It couldn't be the effect of the universe spiral of skill that I was practicing, right? No way. But he didn't feel anything special. And just at this moment, the Z family's bodyguards finally reacted when they saw the eldest lady embedded in the floor of the banquet hall. They all shouted in horror, "Miss!" They ran over in horror and tried hard to pull Zizi Chailan out of the ground. The latter is also completely unrecognizable, with more air exhaling than inhaling. Seeing Zizi Chailan like this, some people who love justice could not bear it anymore. Some are young people who have never seen Gu Yan. Most of these people are young people who have not experienced the beatings of society and have no way of coming into contact with people like Gu Yan. You've gone too far. A young man with an immature face walked up to Gu Yan with courage. He pointed at Zizi Chailan and then at Leng Linger, who looked dazed, and shouted, "The daughter of the Z family obviously had her clothes soiled by this inappropriately dressed person. If you want to make the other party apologize but it doesn't work, then..." Bang! Thump! The words haven't finished yet. The whole audience gasped. The person who spoke was slapped to the ground. The man only felt a burning pain on his left cheek. He looked at Gu Yan in disbelief, who suddenly challenged him. "You actually hit me?" Gu Yan looked at the other person coldly. Head lost. The man trembled all over, lowered his head and dared not speak, as if he was doubting himself. The other person couldn't stand it anymore. So he came over and acted as a peacemaker. "Hey Shai Chown. I'm your Uncle Yuan, do you still remember me?" A middle-aged man with a big belly came over and said in a familiar manner. "We are all young people, don't be so angry." Bang! Another one was slapped to the ground. Dad! A man who was watching the show saw his father being slapped to the ground. He was furious and immediately ran over to curse at Gu Yan. "You bastard, do you know who my father is?" Bang! Another one fell to the ground. A woman ran over again and cursed, "How dare you hit the head of Zhang Heilan's family? Are you crazy? Do you know that I am?" Bang! Xiuer. "How dare you hit my daughter? Do you know that I am from the Wang family of Zhang He? Bang! Okay brother Gu, give me some face and don't be like this." Bang! "How could you do this? This is really too much." Bang! After fanning the last one, Gu Yan felt a little tired. He even found it a little outrageous and funny that this group of people did not stand up and say anything when Ling Linger was bullied, but only stood up when Zizi Chailan was beaten. They even tried to use moral blackmail on him. He really deserved to be beaten. Mr. Gu. So brutal. Everyone present felt a pain on their cheeks and looked at Gu Yan in disbelief as he challenged others to fights time and again. They all swallowed and felt that what happened today was really too ridiculous. How could a young man like Gu Yan beat up so many people? And most of them were well-known figures in Zhangye City. Okay, everyone calm down. At this time, a voice full of energy came over. Everyone looked and saw a woman wearing a purple evening gown and with smooth black hair like a night elf walking towards them. She walked towards Gu Yan with interest. Yes, Miss Yan King of the Yan family. Isn't she trying to enter the entertainment industry? How come she has time to come here? The Yan family is a top family on par with the Gu family. If Miss Yan speaks up, even Gu Yan wouldn't dare to do anything again. That's right, this farce can finally be over. Yan King walked gracefully in front of Gu Yan, who had an expressionless face. She looked at the other person with full interest. This man was really interesting. The banquet was extremely boring, but the other person put on a good show for her. Your name is Gu Yan, right? Yan King smiled gently as usual. Give me some face, and let this matter go. We are all invited to the banquet. It would be bad to cause trouble to the host. After she finished speaking, she smiled at Gu Yan. What do you think? Bang! Yan King fell to the ground. Yan King was also stunned. She covered her face blankly and looked up at Gu Yan, who was looking at her coldly. Do you hit me? Shut up, ugly girl. Gu Yan said coldly. Who is this person? Why does everyone have to come over and shout to give him face? How much is your face worth? I'll give you some face. Ugly? Yan King was stunned. The power of this sentence was even more damaging than being slapped in the face. For a moment, her eyes turned red, and she looked at Gu Yan with an unconvinced look, crying and shouting, Who is the ugly girl? Who is the ugly girl? You bastard, I will let my fans cyber bully you. Woo! Yan King suddenly lost all her image and sat on the ground, crying loudly. Big miss. The Yan family bodyguards immediately rushed over and glared at Gu Yan. Master Gu, you really went too far. No matter what, you can't hit our young lady. Gu Yan felt a headache after hearing this, so he chose to ignore the other party. Then he looked around and shouted, Who else wants me to give him face? Those who were caught in Gu Yan's sight either lowered their heads or looked away. No one in the audience responded. Seeing this scene, Gu Yan smiled and said, Very good. Then, he walked over to Ling Linger, who had been standing there in a daze, and reached out his hand and pressed it on her head. He announced to everyone, Listen to me, I'm protecting the Ling family. Before you embarrass others, think about whether you have the courage to stand in front of me and negotiate with me. As soon as these words came out, everyone gasped again. They looked up in disbelief at Ling Linger, who was standing beside Gu Yan with a dazed look in her eyes. The Ling family collaborated with the Gu family. Oh my god, this news is really true. The Ling family is going to make a comeback. Ling Xingyan was also shocked. This niece, I really didn't want to borrow Gu Yan's name. It's because the other party has already officially announced it in front of everyone. Now the situation in Zhangye City is about to change again. He glanced at the daughter of the Yan family, who was sitting on the ground and refusing to get up and crying loudly. And the heads and descendants of families big and small who were lying on the ground with their hands covering their faces and doubting themselves. The head of the Gu family is probably having a headache. Chapter 80 Panic Meizu. What's wrong? You're not going over. Bai Jun looked at Bai Quanlan, who suddenly stopped with some confusion. He looked at Gu Yan again, especially when he saw the spitterbear-like cracks. His eyes were full of interest. Is that Gu Yan, the eldest son of the Gu family? There is clearly no fluctuation in his cultivation. But this is obviously not the power of a normal person, which is really interesting. Bai Quanlan looked at Ling Linger, who was rescued, and heaved a sigh of relief. Then he showed Bai Jun the most sincere smile in these days. I won't go, stinky brother. Bai Jun was stunned and looked away, embarrassed. After thinking for a while, he reached out and rubbed Bai Quanlan's head, and said, Shaolin, if you don't like it, don't go to see him. I'll talk to Dad about it. As soon as these words came out, Bai Quanlan's eyes widened, and she hugged Bai Jun. Brother, I love you the most. Bai Jun smiled doubtingly, then looked at Gu Yan again. What an interesting man. I'll have to go talk to him later. Bai Lian looked towards Gu Yan in surprise. The murderous intent in her heart slowly disappeared. She said to the man beside her, I never thought that an ordinary person with no cultivation could cause such a great power. By the way, Murong Si, that fellow is the man I mentioned last time, who is just as ignorant of romance as you. Moron, see, I didn't say anything. He looked at Gu Yan, gradually loosened his hand, and said in a faint voice with a little shyness, I like him. The Ayalian was stunned, and suddenly turned his head to look at the other party in shock. Oh, I didn't expect the young master of the Gu family to have such courage. Isn't he a little too strong? Yeah, it's big enough to break through the marble floor. Boss Shen, when did young master Gu approach the Ling family? Do you know? On Shen Wang's side, a group of COS were communicating with each other with pale faces in fear. They all looked at Shen Waner, wanting to get to the bottom of things. Shen Waner did not reply to them, but stared blankly at Gu Yan, who was standing in the crowd and gently caring for Ling Linger. Why is it the Ling family? Shen Waner felt very painful in her heart. When she saw Ling Linger, she recognized her. She was the girl in K-Worker V before. I didn't expect it to be the second daughter of the Ling family. Combined with what Gu Yan said about getting married when he completely cut off ties with her. So the person Gu Yan likes is Ling Linger? That little girl? Shen Waner felt frustrated. The person Gu Yan liked was Ling Linger. Wrong. Shen Waner's pupils suddenly shrank, and the hand holding the champagne began to tremble. No. Shen Waner seemed to have thought of something. Earlier in the K-Worker V, Ling Linger called Gu Yan brother-in-law. Brother-in-law, Ling Linger's sister. Ling Qyu? Shen Waner felt like her breathing was about to stop, and she clenched her fists tightly. His eyes were fixed on Gu Yan. Ling Qyu. Ling Qyu was his marriage partner? No, it's impossible. I don't believe it. Ling Qyu has become like that. How could he like her? How could it be? It's impossible. It can't be possible. If Gu Yan marries the other person, then what's the point of me insisting on not having a relationship for all these years? Shen Waner's face turned pale. She couldn't accept this reality. And at this time, Waner, are you okay? Xiaolin noticed that something was wrong with Shen Waner. So he stepped forward and supported Shen Waner, who was losing her balance. No, it's okay. Shen Waner felt Xiaolin's concern and she forced a smile. No, I must find a partner tonight. This is the purpose of my coming here. Thinking of this, she took a deep breath and perked up again. In another corner, Mei's Wu lowered her head, looking a little uneasy, because she felt the abnormal emotions emerging from the master around her. That's too bad. Although I knew that Gu Yan had hidden his strength, I didn't expect him to show it at the banquet. But I still can't feel the fluctuation of the other party's cultivation. Why is that? Of course, the most important thing is. She quietly looked at Ling Qyu standing beside her. Master, are you already doubting Gu Yan? Otherwise, why are your emotions so frightening? Ling Qyu is here. She trembled all over, clenched her teeth tightly, and pinched her palms with her fingertips. Prevent. She laughed out loud. Actually, he actually said that he was protecting the Ling family. Isn't this telling everyone that the Ling family and the Gu family have an unusual relationship? Damn man, this will ruin many of my secret plans. He was so angry. Was it because Zzhi bullied Linger? Or Ling Qyu felt something indescribable in his heart? Was it because the other party said something about him? That was why he was so angry. I'm so conflicted. I really want to talk to Gu Yan, and then scold him for being so flamboyant. Having offended so many people, even the Gu family will be in a lot of trouble. What a willful fellow. Ling Qyu's mind was full of thoughts. Master. Maybe Gu Yan learned a few moves from the strong men around him? Meizu saw that her master seemed to be suppressing something and thought that he was going to kill Gu Yan. So he quickly covered up and said, one move or half a move? Ling Qyu was stunned. Oh, yes. Isn't Gu Yan an ordinary person? How can one have such strength? What a bastard you are. Hiding everything from me. Ling Qyu was silent for a while. Well, let's investigate. Meizu felt relieved when she heard this. Yes. Gu Yan, I saved your life this time. Meizu thought to herself. Chapter 81: The Complex Psychology of the Female Ghost. The farce at the banquet soon came to an end. The hotel cleaned up the scene in a panic. Zzhi Lan was also rushed to the hospital. As for calling the police, oh, no one was too embarrassed to do that. It seemed like this was the subconscious thinking of every member of the big family. All matters would be resolved privately. Everyone acted as if nothing had happened and the guests started chatting with each other again. But the atmosphere was much more depressing than at the beginning. After all, many people who had been slapped in the face sat there silently, covering their faces and doubting their lives. Some have not come to their senses yet. Everyone consciously walked around them and stayed on the other side to communicate in a low voice. However, the topic of discussion changed from the company's performance and how to cooperate to the Gu family and the Ling family. And Boss Shen, why doesn't young Master Gu come to see you? Yes, Mr. Shen, why did young Master Gu stay with Ling Linger? Did something happen between you two? Hey, old Li. What are you talking about? Even if there is something wrong with young people, It's just a small conflict, can't it be solved by treating them to a meal or giving them a gift? Several group bosses who had originally wanted to discuss cooperation issues with Shenwaner no longer had that interest. We can talk about cooperation at any time, but we can only talk about gossip now. After all, what would you like most when you become a boss and have everything? Isn't it to listen to the gossip of such a top family? After all, some actions of these top families may affect their own family's future stance. Shen Weiner's face looked a little ugly, and she didn't even think about talking about Guyan and the Ling family anymore. After all, the two of them had just completely broken up not long ago, and before that they wished each other happiness. However, these people obviously turned their attention to the Ling family because of what Guyan had just done. Haha, Guyan recently said that he wanted to cooperate with the Ling family. Shen Wanner gave a dry laugh and glanced at Guyan, who was not far away, and no one dared to approach him except Ling Linger and Ling Xing'an. Pursing her lips, she chuckled. How about this? I'm just going to say hello. Do you want to come along? As soon as these words came out, several bosses shook their heads. No, Mr. Shen. You are more familiar with Mr. Gu, so you should go. What a joke. Who knows if Guyan is still angry now? It would be terrible if he beat them up too. Shen Wanner breathed a sigh of relief when she saw this. She nodded slightly and walked towards Guyan's direction. She was also extremely nervous, not knowing how Guyan would treat her when she saw him again. Honor? Shaolin was hungry, so he took some food. When he saw Shen Wanner leaving and walking in a certain direction, he suddenly felt a little strange. Why didn't Wanner call him? Didn't she say she was the other party's bodyguard? Thinking of this, Shaolin followed. The other side. Bi Jun looked at Guyan and asked intentionally or unintentionally. By the way, Quan Lan, I remember that you and Ling Linger of the Ling family are good friends, right? Quan Lan, who was recalling the scene just now, immediately emphasized with dissatisfaction, she is my best friend. Why are you asking this, brother? Oh, wasn't it your brother-in-law who saved you last time? I was wondering if I should go over and say hello. Bi Jun said with a smile. Say hello. Bi Quan Lan thought about it and decided that she didn't need to meet the man named Shaolin because her brother guaranteed it. So I'm in a good mood. So he nodded. Okay? The other side. Hey, Murong Si, where are you going? Bialian used her ability to get rid of the flies buzzing around them, and then saw Murong Si walking in one direction without saying a word. Murong Si paused for a moment and replied. Looking for true love. Are you serious? Bialian was speechless and shocked. She looked left and right, fearing that the other party would disrupt her plans. Helplessly, he stomped his feet and followed. What kind of teammates are these? The other side. Ling Qingqiu, who was looking at the overall situation, discovered that several familiar life sources were moving towards Guyan. She frowned. Why did Bialian and Murong attack Guyan? She seemed to have thought of something and her heart sank. Oh no, Bialian still doesn't know the relationship between Guyan and me. Could it be that the other party has taken a fancy to Guyan and wants to turn him into his own male servant? It's over if Guyan is successfully seduced by Bialian. Everything will be over. I had specifically reminded Guyan before not to be seduced away by beautiful women with just a flirt. In fact, it is talking about Bialian after all. Bialian is born with a charming body, and very few men can resist her charm. She immediately said calmly, Meizu, let Bialian come back. Meizu was stunned, and sent the master's instructions to Bialian in her mind. But after waiting for a while, the message from the other party made Meizu stunned. She hesitated for a while, then reported to Ling Qingqiu somewhat awkwardly. Master. Murong Si was going to go, and Bialian went to stop him to prevent any accidents. Murong Si? He wants to look for Guyan? Ling Qingqiu was a little confused. She knew Murong Si, who was the only man known to be able to resist the charm of Bialian. But he and Guyan had no connection at all. Just as I was thinking. I heard Meizu continue to speak, and her tone was a little strange. Well, it seems that Murong Si fell in love with Guyan. Ling Qingqiu. Huh? Ling Linger sat on the chair without saying a word, even though the table was filled with her favorite food. Guyan walked over with the spicy rabbit head looking at the silent Ling Linger. He was a little confused. He immediately walked over and patted the other person on the head. Hey, why are you pretending to be so deep? Pretend to be profound. Ling Linger raised her head suddenly when she heard that. But when she looked at Guyan's face, her face turned red and she quickly lowered her head again. Guyan slowly put to question marks, and looked at Ling Xing'an beside him. Uncle Ling, what's wrong with this kid? Hasn't I already taught Czhilan a lesson? How could I deserve to be called Uncle Ling? Ling Xing'an felt a warm feeling in his heart, and he coughed dryly. Maybe he was frightened. No. Ling Xing'an, you old bastard, shut up. Linger finally spoke, and she glared at Ling Xingyan fiercely. What a joke! You just spread rumors about me. Rub. Ling Xingyan was hit by an arrow in the chest. His whole body turned black and white and he lowered his head. A wife, I've already told you that I don't like this kind of party. Gu Yan smiled happily and stretched out his hand to rub Linger's head vigorously. What a jerk, how can you talk to your elders? You little brat should be taught a lesson. A latter couldn't stand the friction anymore. She grabbed Gu Yan's wrists that were covering her head with both hands, and raised her head and looked straight at Gu Yan. But seeing the other person's puzzled expression, her face turned red again. She took a deep breath and let go of Gu Yan's hand. And he covered his face and shouted, "It's so annoying. Why did the trash goonie come over here? Isn't it good enough for me to come and rescue you?" Gu Yan was speechless. This little female devil was indeed difficult to please. And just when I was speechless. Next second. Good evening, Gu Yan. A familiar voice came. Chapter 82, Banquet Incident. Meeting Shaolin again. Hearing the voice, Gu Yan turned his head to look. Shen Wan'er came over with a smile on her face. She was wearing an elegant dress with her hair tied up behind her head, which made her look even more dazzling. Linger also raised her head and looked over. When she saw that it was Shen Wan'er, she immediately felt as if she was facing a formidable enemy. I was a little flustered. Shen Wan'er, what was she doing here? Gu Yan was naturally confused as to why the other party came here. Hadn't he cut ties with her a long time ago? However, as he was a kind young man, he smiled and greeted him. Good evening, Mr. Shen. Mr. Shen. Shen Wan'er felt a pain in her heart. You always called me baby before. But her purpose was not to reconcile. She just wanted to clarify some things. By the way, use the illusion of chatting with Gu Yan to gain some partners. Although she was very unwilling, Shen Wan'er found that after Gu Yan was gone, she repeatedly ran into obstacles in the business world. Good evening, I didn't expect to meet you here. Because you never liked coming to this kind of occasion before. Gu Yan couldn't deny it. He rubbed Linger's head with a helpless smile and said to Shen Wan'er, I don't like it, but who made my sister-in-law here? Luckily I came at the right time, otherwise I would have been bullied. Little sister-in-law. Shen Wan'er felt a pain in her heart. Even though she had guessed it long ago. But when she heard Gu Yan say it himself, she still couldn't accept it, and even her face turned pale. She looked at Linger. The other person's face was flushed, as if she was very excited because Gu Yan announced this in public. Shen Wan'er clenched her fists and greeted Linger. Hello, Sister Linger, so your sister is Gu Yan's girlfriend. Linger came back to her senses. She quickly stood up and hugged Gu Yan's arm. Looking at Shen Wan'er vigilantly, no, that's right. I advise you not to have any more delusions about reconciliation with my brother-in-law. Although it was very subtle, Gu Yan still saw that Shen Wan'er's mouth twitched involuntarily. TSK, he is really a free-spirited little devil. Gu Yan smiled lightly and tapped Linger's head. Linger, stop joking. What man can't find a strong woman like Ms. Shen? I believe she won't focus on the past. Linger covered her head and glared at Gu Yan with dissatisfaction. You are such a bastard. I helped you deal with that stinky woman and you still spoke for her. Shen Wan'er laughed dryly after getting the accurate reply. To be honest, she felt a little empty inside. It's the kind of feeling that all the hard work over the years seems to have gone to waste. Shen Wan'er still didn't give up. She looked at Gu Yan and asked, Are you really with? The words haven't finished yet. Gu Yan nodded. Qiu is my lover and the only love of my life. Linger was immediately happy. Shen Wan'er felt empty inside. She forced a smile and said, Okay, now that you understand, I won't bother you anymore. Linger nodded repeatedly, thinking in her heart, you should leave quickly. Next second. Gu Yan. A voice that was surprised and shocked to the point of being shocked beyond measure came over. Gu Yan looked over there, and Shen Wan'er also looked over there. Shaolin looked at Gu Yan in disbelief. Why are you here? Gu Yan had already noticed the other person, but he just pretended to have just seen him now, and asked in surprise, Shaolin, I should be the one asking you this. You are not? He appropriately stopped talking. Shaolin's expression also became somewhat unnatural and guilty. Shen Wan'er was stunned when she saw this scene. You two know each other? And at this time, Sister Linger. A cheerful voice came over. Linger looked over, and when she saw the gorgeously dressed Bae Quan Lan, she was shocked. Quan Lan, why are you dressed so strangely? Hey, I'm the one who should say that. The corner of Bae Quan Lan's mouth twitched. Following them came the white army man wearing glasses and smiling. He walked up to Gu Yan and stretched out his hand. Hello, my name is Bae Jun. I heard that you saved my sister. When he said this, he noticed Shaolin's unnatural expression. This was something he didn't expect, that he would meet Shaolin here. Gu Yan looked at Bae Jun, and the other party's information emerged in his mind. A strong man of the sun level in the ancient warrior department. with the strength of an early Grand Master. He is a talented warrior from the Peace faction, in the department, and also becomes the brother of the protagonist Shaolin in the plot. But it doesn't seem like that now thinking of this. Guyan stretched out his hand and said with a smile, "It's just a piece of cake after all, my sister-in-law is there too." Bi Jun smiled and let go of his hand, "Although I really want to get to know you better?" But before that, he looked at Shen Water with a cold expression, and the latter felt a chill all over her body due to being stared at. Shaolin sensed this and immediately stood in front of Shen Water. "What do you want to do?" Shen Water felt warm in her heart when she saw Shaolin standing in front of her without hesitation. But she didn't show it. Bi Jun didn't change at all. Instead, he looked at Shen Water and said, "Shenqian is your brother." Yes, so what?" Shen Water seemed to have thought of something. Her heart started to panic, and she remembered it. A long time ago, she met Guyan and her brother, as well as Ling Linger and a group of girls in the KTV box. Combined with what Ba Jun said, Guyan saved his sister. Speaking of sisters, she seemed to have some impression of this person named Quan Lan. No way, it can't be such a coincidence, right? That's right. Ba Jun nodded, although the person who bullied his sister was not Shen Water. It was the other party's younger brother. Then he naturally wouldn't look at the other party well. He also lost his good impression of Shaolin, who was standing in front of Shen Water. He immediately said in a cold voice, "Shaolin, I advise you not to dream of that verbal engagement. My sister is right here, and as her brother, I will tell you the truth. Don't even think about my sister." He glanced at Shen Water, who looked a little flustered, and said, "Keep an eye on your brother. Don't let him get into trouble and be caught by me." The words fell. Quan Lan, who was still playing with Ling Linger, was stunned. She looked at Shaolin, who was standing in front of Shen Water. "Is this Shaolin?" Disgust suddenly appeared in his eyes. The other party actually stood in front of the sister of the person who bullied us before. Bad guy. This is Ba Quan Lan's evaluation of the other party. Shaolin also reacted before he went down the mountain. His master told him that he had found a marriage proposal for him, and half of the Dragon King Jade is also in the possession of the Bai family's fiancé. That being said, Shaolin looked at Ba Quan Lan, who was looking at him with disgust. "She is my fiancé? The most important thing is, half of the Dragon King Jade is on the other party." For a moment, Shaolin's gaze towards Ba Quan Lan became much hotter. Hey, although in the original book Shaolin is indeed a stud who falls in love with every woman he sees. But please don't show it in front of Shen Water. Guyan's mouth twitched. But he looked at Ba Jun with interest, and the other side's gaze towards Shaolin seemed to become more unfriendly. Really looking forward to what happens next. And just when I was thinking this, Ba Jun and Shaolin's expressions changed at the same time. And they looked to one side. I saw two figures walking towards me. Guyan looked over and his eyes fixed. Why are they here? Did they deliberately hide their aura? Bao Hansen. The Alien saw Ba Jun, a handsome guy with glasses and an abstinence attitude. No, it's not the time to look at handsome guys. She grabbed Mu Rongxi's eyes closed tightly and tried to drag him away. At the same time, he was dragged by the other party and came to Guyan and others. Helplessly, she showed Guyan what she thought was the most beautiful smile. "Good evening, little brother, we meet again." Ling Linger suddenly became alert. Ling Qingqiu also suddenly became alert. Guyan nodded, then asked with some confusion, "What's the matter?" Ling Linger breathed a sigh of relief. Ling Qingqiu also breathed a sigh of relief. Ba Jun and Shaolin stared at Mu Rongxi, their bodies involuntarily tensed up. In their perception, this person is very dangerous. I only replied with a hum. Ba Jun smiled on the surface. But she was actually cursing in her heart just when she was about to speak. Mu Rongxi on the side took a step forward and stared at Guyan. A creepy smell hit me in the face. Ba Jun's eyes changed and he immediately clenched his fists. Shaolin also showed a posture ready to take action at any time. Guyan looked at Mu Rongxi, who was staring at him in confusion. Hey, I don't remember provoking this guy. What happened to you all? Ling Linger and others looked confused. Why did the atmosphere seem to become so strange? The other side. Ling Qingqiu in the corner also sensed this situation. She didn't know what Mu Rongxi was going to do, but in order to prevent any accidents, she immediately said to Meizu, "Stop Mu Rongxi." The latter nodded and was about to leave. Next second, Mu Rongxi stretched out his hand towards Guyan and said calmly, "I am Mu Rongxi. This is normal." Guyan also stretched out his hand. "Hello, I'm Guyan." Immediately afterwards, just when Ba Jun and others held their breath and thought that the other party was about to take action, Mu Rongxi took a deep breath, quickly pulled his hand away, and then ran away. "Hey, wait for me!" Ba Yan shouted hurriedly upon seeing this, then gave Guyan a dry laugh and chased after him, leaving everyone confused. What? Gu Yan looked confused. But Bai Jun and Shaolin looked at each other. And cold sweat broke out on their backs. This person is so strong. Chapter 83, a natural warrior capable of self-awakening. Mu Rongxi's dangerous aura instantly made Bai Jun and Shaolin tense. Looking at Mu Rongxi and Bai Lian, who were leaving quickly, Bai Jun's eyes were solemn. Such a small banquet turned out to be filled with hidden talents. Are there such powerful warriors in this world? It is indeed the palace of Hades. Shaolin heaved a sigh of relief. If it were in the past, he wouldn't have taken the other person so seriously. After all, not only is he a genius, he also has the blessing of the Dragon King Jade. It won't be long before he surpasses the other party. But now his most important reliance on improving his cultivation speed is gone. Although his training speed is still faster than those of ordinary warriors, it is far different from the past. So Shaolin looked at Ba Quanlan with fiery ease again. He could feel that the other person had something of the same origin as his Dragon King Jade. In other words, that half-piece of Dragon King Jade is indeed on the other party. Moreover, he also felt that Bai Quanlan did not have the aura of cultivation. In other words, the greatest effect of this Dragon King Jade was of no use to her at all. Bai Quanlan also felt Shaolin's gaze. She frowned, with an expression of extreme disgust in her eyes. Bai Jun also noticed this. His expression turned cold and he blocked Shaolin's sight of Bai Quanlan. Shaolin, I warn you, don't do anything crooked to my sister. Shaolin also realized that he was too excited, so he quickly retracted his gaze and apologized. Sorry. He couldn't just say here that Bai Quanlan had what he wanted. After all, Bai Jun is able to practice. It would be terrible if the other party knew that the Dragon King Jade could speed up practice and took it away. They can't afford to lose another piece of Dragon King Jade. After all, the masters told him so before he went down the mountain. Linner, you are the key to saving the world. Go find the other half of the Dragon King Jade and unify the Dragon King Palace. Finding them can help you control the power of your body. Linner, you are the child of destiny as predicted. Your teachers believe that you will succeed. Master. Shaolin recalled his master's teachings in his mind. He must not let the other party down. The Dragon King Jade must be his. Because Shaolin had his back to Shen Wan'er, she did not see the look in Shaolin's eyes when he saw Bai Quanlan. She just felt that the current atmosphere was becoming increasingly strange. So she looked at Gu Yan and said, Then Gu Yan, I'll leave first. You guys chat. Having said that, he walked away without waiting for Gu Yan's answer. She was afraid that the White Army would attack her out of anger in this place. Seeing this, Shaolin hurried over. After Shen Wan'er and Shaolin left, the atmosphere on Gu Yan's side eased a little. Gu Yan is still a little confused. He doesn't understand why Mu Rongxi, who seemed to have no emotions at all in the original novel, suddenly came to him. However, no matter how strange it is, it cannot be denied. The opponent's strength is also the strongest in the organization, and he is also the most loyal and stable general. Suddenly, Gu Yan thought of something. His heart sank as Bai Lian appeared at the banquet alone. It is most likely because the other party has charmed other men, so they followed her in to eat for free. But if Mu Rongxi was also here, the situation would be different. Every time Mu Rongxi was dispatched, it meant that Leng Qingqiu had issued a very important order. This is an instruction that cannot fail. In other words, Gu Yan glanced implicitly at everyone present at the banquet. Many members of the night organization have mixed in here. Some disguised themselves as waiters, while others disguised themselves as children of large families like Bai Lian and others. What is their purpose, same as in the original novel? To control the Hades Palace? Gu Yan felt a little headache in his heart. He originally thought that Leng Qingqiu would not be able to do the same things as in the original book until his eyesight was restored, but now it seems that is not the case. This is all the fault of the original author. There is too little description of the villain's character, plot and background story. Often when reading books, for example, behind this little villain there is the shadow of Leng Qingqiu. So how does Leng Qingqiu control the other party? Sorry. It's not written in the book, so readers can only guess. As a result, apart from the basic information, he had no idea how Leng Qingqiu controlled the Hades Palace in the original novel, and why he had to constantly control one force after another to deal with the protagonists. The reason for dealing with Shaolin might be because Shaolin killed Leng Linger. But what about the others? You know, in the original novel, many of Shaolin's concubines were attacked by Leng Qingqiu's forces before they met Shaolin. Damn you, dog author. In order to save effort, he didn't describe or supplement the villain's characters. DSK, think about it again. There must be some key factor. It seemed like Gu Yan was about to think of something. Gu Yan, are you interested in joining the army? The White Army came over with a smile on his face. Since Shen Wan'er and the others had left, he naturally didn't need to pretend to be in a bad mood. Join the army? Gu Yan was stunned and stopped thinking. He looked at Ba Jun's smiling expression. He immediately understood that when the other party talked about joining the army, they most likely wanted him to join the warrior department. Did the strength I just displayed make the other party think that I am a warrior? I was about to refuse, but Gu Yan seemed to have thought of something, so he neither refused nor agreed, but just said vaguely, "Join the army, I'll think about it." Linglinger was shocked when she heard this. Now that Gu Yan had gone to the army, there would be no man left in the family. No, brother-in-law, you can't go to the army. What will happen to my sister and me if you go? Linglinger yelled immediately, and then she glared at Ba Jun. "Hey, you fishy glasses guy, why did you give my brother-in-law such a bad idea?" "Sister Linger, my brother is just such a bad guy. Whenever he came back, he would take someone back to serve in the army. Others refused, but he still insisted on dragging people away." At this time, Bai Quanlan also hugged Linglinger's arm and betrayed her brother. Bai Jun's mouth twitched. This guy was clearly shouting something just now on my brother the most. Oh, she was still cute when she was a child. However, it is rare to meet someone you like when you go out. He didn't want to give up, so he said to Gu Yan, "Let's talk for a moment." Gu Yan nodded upon hearing this. "Okay." Came to a corner of the banquet. Bai Jun said straight to the point. "Gu Yan, do you know that in addition to ordinary people, there is also a kind of existence called warriors in this world?" He had his own reasons for saying this directly. After all, he believed that the Gu family was the top family in Zhangye. Gu Yan, the only son, had been told that there were warriors in this world, or rather, he had learned some information about warriors. Of course, Bai Jun was wrong, because Gu Yan in the original book was indeed well protected, so he was not aware of the relevant information about the warriors. This also resulted in Gu Yan being a useless person with no cultivation until his death. "I know, but what does this have to do with you recruiting me into the army?" Gu Yan smiled slightly. "You are not going to say anything next. Seeing that I am a martial arts talent, you want to pull me into your martial arts department, right?" Bai Jun showed a hint of embarrassment on his face when he heard this. He really wanted to say that. Seeing that Gu Yan knew everything, he stopped pretending to be so mysterious and continued. "It's exactly as you think. When you taught Zi Chile on a lesson before, you should have discovered that there was something very wrong with your own strength, right?" Gu Yan thought about it, then replied, "I also work out on weekdays." "Bai Jun? Obviously, you can't break marble by doing fitness. Do you think you are a devil muscle man?" Bai Jun almost swore. He took a deep breath, pushed up his glasses, and said with a smile, "Aha, this has nothing to do with your fitness. It is very likely that the true ki has awakened in your body." "Awakening true ki?" Gu Yan pretended to be confused. Seeing this, Bai Jun patiently explained, "This is a phenomenon that our ancient warrior department has discovered in recent decades. For a conclusion we have reached. A long time ago, we always believed that if we wanted to become warriors, we had to study the ancient books left by our ancestors step by step in order to cultivate true ki. But in recent decades, this idea has been overturned because..." At this point, Bai Jun's tone became a little excited. He looked at Gu Yan and said, "We have discovered that some ordinary people, under certain circumstances, can awaken true ki in their bodies on their own, thus becoming a natural warrior. One of the main tasks of our department at present is to find these natural warriors who have awakened their true ki on their own and bring them back to the department for training. Become a hero who maintains social stability." When Gu Yan heard this, he nodded. "So I am what you call a pure natural warrior." Chapter 84. Hello, have we met somewhere before? Seeing that Gu Yan was willing, Bai Jun's eyes lit up and he said with a smile, "Yes. It's great that you can understand. So do you agree to join us?" He looked at Gu Yan expectantly. The latter fell into deep thought. The warrior department, there are many factions in it, and it is very important in the plot of the original work. More importantly, there is a special existence in it. After thinking about it, Gu Yan still gave a vague answer. "I haven't thought about it yet after all, as you can see." Gu Yan smiled at a kid who had been looking over here and said, "I'm getting married soon, so I need to focus on my family." "Marry?" Bai Jun followed Gu Yan's gaze and suddenly he felt a little dazed. The eldest daughter of the Ling family, Ling, Yu. It's really unexpected that these two families can get together. Bai Jun smiled and showed his understanding. "Well, you are always welcome here, you can call me if you want." Bai Jun took out his cell phone, opened VX, and said to Gu Yan with a smile, "Add me as a friend so we can keep in touch." "Good." Back to Linger. "Brother-in-law, what do you mean? Do you really want to join the army?" Linger looked at Gu Yan nervously, afraid that he would nod. Gu Yan shook his head after hearing this and said jokingly, "No, I have such a beautiful sister like you here with your brother-in-law. I can't bear to leave." Langlinger saw Gu Yan praising her sister as if he was praising herself. She laughed happily and felt much more relaxed. I knew you couldn't bear to leave us, brother-in-law. Ba Jun looked at this scene and smiled knowingly. Family? He looked at Ba Kuang Lan, who was standing beside him with envy in her eyes, and sighed in his heart. Since my mother died, not only my father but also my younger sister has changed a lot. But precisely because of this, the White Army clenched their fists. I will definitely protect my family, and then find the evil warrior who killed my mother. And just at this moment, the lights in the banquet hall began to change and flicker. And the lights in the entire venue began to dim. As the music changed, beams of light gathered on the stage of the banquet hall. An elegant and well-dressed woman walked up with a microphone in her hand and tested the sound. Everyone also reacted. Is this about to begin? Is Chairman Yan going to show up? I'm really looking forward to it. The last time I saw Chairman Yan was last time. It is said that the next successor will be announced. But I don't know if it is true. Gu Yan also looked over. And there was a hint of inexplicable meaning in his eyes. Originally, according to his thinking, Yan Huang should die. And Long Zai Yan would succeed to the Yama Palace. And then he would control the Yama Palace. But now it seems that this is obviously not the case. It seems that the current development is about to become the same as in the original book. I just don't know how King Qiuyu will do it. Oh, by the way. Speaking of King Qiuyu, will King Qiuyu also be at this banquet? When Gu Yan thought of this, he felt an inexplicable sense of joy in his heart. He didn't know why, but he felt happy when he thought that King Qiuyu might be here too. He will feel very happy. So he looked around, hoping to find the other person. At this time, the host of the banquet also began his opening remarks. Good evening, everyone. I am the host of this banquet. You can call me Shiogun. First of all, thank you for taking the time out of your busy schedule to attend. Wang Linger was sitting on the banquet chair with Bai Quanlan holding her arm. As they listened, they felt bored. The former complained. Why is this woman's speech template exactly the same as what our principal said at the opening ceremony? Did they hire someone to write the manuscript? Bai Quanlan smiled after hearing this and said, maybe it was provided by a studio? Ba Jun listened silently. The King of Hell's palace was about to change its owner. Will the man known as the King of Hell eventually be unable to withstand the erosion of time? Not necessarily. Rumor has it that he was injured in that battle. Ba Jun glanced at Linger with a trace of pity in his eyes. Poor child, he experienced that incident since he was young. And I don't know if Gu Yan knows about it. However, he remembered that the Gu family did not participate in the genocide war to eliminate the evil sect. Thinking of Gu Yan, Ba Jun looked left and right. He was stunned for a moment. Only to see that the place where Gu Yan had originally stood was now empty. Where is Gu Yan? On Len Qinqiuayu's side, Meizu watched the host appear on stage and the lights go out. She also understood that now was the dark night, and it was time for them to act. So he said to Len Qinqiuayu beside him, Master, we can start the action now. There is still some time before the Lord of the Hades Palace takes the stage. This period of time when everyone is watching the speech is the best time for us to act. Hearing this, Len Qinqiuayu nodded silently. This banquet was divided into two parts. There will be some performances from the actors and actresses in the first half. All the way to the second half. Only the Lord of Yama's palace will appear on the stage. What they have to do is to control Yan Huang before he comes on stage and turn him into a puppet of the Yi organization. And the method is very simple. Len Qinqiuayu opened his eyes. The runes in his eyes slowly rotated, and dark green eyes appeared in the darkness. Utilizing the power of the evil eye, he absorbs the life essence of others and feeds it back to the Lord of the Hades Palace. Giving back can not only prolong the other person's life, but also achieve the purpose of manipulating the other person. This is one of the abilities of these eyes. It is an ability of equal exchange. And it is mandatory. Prepare for action. Len Qinqiuayu gave the order calmly. Len Qinqiuayu expressed great confidence in this operation. In the darkness, Meizu's abilities were significantly enhanced. The opponent's ability can conceal the aura of all their members as soon as the action begins. And everyone will blend into the night, and no one will be able to find them. Even the location where he and Meizu were at the moment was concealed by special means. No one will notice them or even come near here. Meizu nodded. Just when he was about to give his master's order. Sudden, hello, have we met somewhere? A voice reached the ears of the two. Len Qinqiuayu was stunned, and Meizu felt it was even more outrageous. The two turned their heads to look. Just see. Gu Yan walked over and looked at Len Qinqiuayu with some curiosity. No, can you see us? Meizu was shocked. Len Qinqiuayu was also shocked. For a while, all three of them were silent. Chapter 85. I am Qinqiuayu's sister. Leng Bingning. In the dim banquet hall, three people stared at each other. Meizu was very panicked. Wait a minute, this person is Gu Yan. Right? My ability has also been activated, right? Then why could Guyan see them? And even come closer to them? Why is that? Although Ling Qingqiu appeared very calm on the outside, he was actually very panicked on the inside. Oops, why did Guyan see them? This shouldn't be the case. It's over now, he actually saw it. No, calm down. Ling Qingqiu clenched her fists. She and Mei Zhu not only concealed their own aura, but even changed their appearance. Even Guyan couldn't recognize them directly. No, it should be said that she was shocked that the other party came over and talked to them. It would be a pipe dream to expect to see through their disguise again. Guyan was a little curious. He originally wanted to look for Ling Qingqiu. As a result, with just a glance, I saw the people standing in the corner who looked out of place among ordinary people. Let's not talk about Mei Zhu for now. The main reason was that the woman wearing a veil hat gave him a sense of déjà vu. As I got closer, this familiar feeling became even stronger. Feeling Guyan's suspicious gaze, Ling Qingqiu calmed down. Calm down, your appearance has changed, and your voice can be changed too. At this time, just be careful not to do anything that will let Guyan see the clues. Then Ling Qingqiu opened his mouth, and his voice changed into a charming one, as if he was a few years older than Ling Qingqiu himself. She looked at Guyan inexplicably, with a look of interest in her eyes, as if wondering which family member this child was who had run over here without knowing what was good for him. Huh? If you say that, can I think you are flirting with me? As soon as Ling Qingqiu's teasing voice came out, Mei Zhu was shocked. Is this the tone the master would use? Ling Qingqiu felt extremely ashamed. Damn it, I had to do this to cover up my identity. Anyway, I had already done that kind of thing with Guyan in front of Mei Zhu, so it doesn't matter. Guyan was slightly stunned after hearing this. He looked at the woman in front of him who was wearing a black veil and whose face could not be seen clearly, and seemed to be hesitant to speak. It's so strange. Even though the voice is wrong, he looks much older than Qingqiu. But why is it still so familiar, especially when the other party starts talking? It seems even more familiar. More importantly, I couldn't even think of pretending to be nice to him. Thinking about it, Guyan shook his head, coughed lightly, and said, No, it's just because your figure is very similar to my lover. So I couldn't help but come over, thinking she was also at this party. Ling Qingqiu asked a question, although Guyan didn't seem to have discovered her true identity. Why did I feel so uncomfortable when I heard him say that? Oh yes, it was that feeling. I knew that the person Guyan was chatting up was me. But I also knew that the person he was chatting up didn't look like me. So I felt very angry. Guyan saw the elegant woman in front of him change her temperament. The corners of her mouth slightly raised, she chuckled. And the elegant voice came out, Little brother, do you know that your way of chatting up is outdated? As he said that, he stretched out his hand and pinched Guyan's chin, teasing him up and down for a while before nodding. His tone revealing regret. What a pity, although you look good. But my sister doesn't like frivolous men like you. After that, she let go of his hand, looked at Guyan, and said calmly, You obviously have a lover, but you are still attracting bees and butterflies everywhere outside. Do you know that this will make your lover at home feel very sad and painful? Guyan was stunned when he heard this. He looked at the woman in front of him whose face he couldn't see clearly. And he looked at the woman next to him. Mei Zhu, is this person your friend? Why is he so narcissistic? Ling Qingqiu. Mei Zhu. Ling Qingqiu turned his head stiffly and looked at Mei Zhu, who was panicking beside him, and said, Mei Zhu, do you know him? What? No, I should ask why Guyan couldn't recognize me. No. Isn't it a good thing that you don't recognize me? But why am I so unhappy? Damn it, it's all Guyan's fault. I'm so upset. Why did you come here? Ling Qingqiu clenched his fists and waited for Mei Zhu's reply. Mei Zhu was already very panicked, and because she did not cover her face, it was normal for her to be recognized by Guyan. But that was also because she never thought that the place where she and her master were would be discovered. This is Qingqiu's husband. His name is Guyan. Mei Zhu coughed dryly and responded according to the answer Ling Qingqiu gave her in her mind. Ling Qingqiu seemed very surprised to hear this answer. She looked at Guyan carefully and nodded. Oh, are you Qingqiu's lover? I didn't expect to meet you here. That was my misunderstanding. I am Qingqiu's sister, and my name is Ling Bingning. After hearing this, Guyan became less confident. Originally, he thought that the person next to Mei Zhu was Ling Qingqiu. But when the other party said it coldly, he suddenly understood. Ling Bingning, it turned out to be her. In the original book, Ling Qingqiu actually has an older sister named Ling Bingning, who is a character that will appear in the middle and late stages of the story. The other party was sent to the Bing Xi insect of the ancient martial arts world to practice when he was very young, so he escaped the Midnight Massacre that year. In the later period, Lang Bingning became the leader of the Bing Xin sect. She was extremely powerful and defeated the protagonist group as soon as she appeared on the scene, becoming Lang Qingyu's helper. However, after the world discovered that they were colluding with the evildoer, Lang Qingyu, they were besieged and destroyed by the warriors of the ancient martial arts world. The other party was discovered to be in collusion with Lang Qingyu and was thus besieged and destroyed, which was also Lang Qingyu's doing, because when Lang Bingning appeared, Lang Qingyu had already become darker than ever because of the death of his family and his sister. Even though she knew that Lang Bingning was her sister, Lang Qingyu, who had no emotional basis with her, naturally only wanted to use her in order to take advantage of Lang Bingning, or to obtain all of her cultivation. Lang Qingyu recognized her. She had gone mad and only had revenge in her mind. After taking advantage of Lang Bingning for everything she wanted, she chose to betray Lang Bingning and absorb all of her skills. Let the other party be wiped out by people of justice. In short, he was a very pitiful person. He was sent to Bing Xin sect by his family to practice Bing Xianju since he was a child. After growing up and achieving success in cultivation, he learned that all his family members had died, and only his sister Lang Qingyu was still alive. After finding Lang Qingyu, he was betrayed by the other party and all his strength was absorbed. After Lang Qingyu absorbed Lang Bingning's cultivation, he also learned the Bing Xianju and practiced it to perfection. He completely became a heartless and heartless person. It can be said that Lang Qingyu at that time had become a body driven by the idea of a revenge. However, Guyan did not expect that Lang Bingning had recognized Lang Qingyu so early. It seems that Lang Bingning in the original novel is a hidden work of Lang Qingyu. Or has the plot changed beyond all recognition now? Guyan felt a little unconfident. But before that, he smiled at Lang Bingning, played by Lang Qingyu, and said, "Hello, I'm Guyan. I didn't expect Qingyu actually had a sister. But you two gave me a very similar feeling, so I misunderstood. I'm really sorry. Of course I don't have a sister." How come this guy's attitude suddenly became much better? Lang Qingyu felt a little unhappy in her heart, but she chuckled on the surface. After all, we are sisters. Speaking of which, Qingyu and I have been close friends since childhood. And we even share things. You? Lang Qingyu leaned forward slightly and slowly moved towards Guyan. When the two were face to face at a close distance, Lang Qingyu chuckled and said, "What do you think of me? If you want, I can take off my veil and show you my true face." Chapter Itix's sister, please respect yourself, let the action begin. Just when Lang Qingyu thought that Guyan would blush because of her actions, Guyan took a few steps back and smiled politely. "Sister, please respect yourself, I only love Qingyu. Since I know Qingyu is not here, I will leave first. My sister-in-law will be anxious waiting." Having said that, without waiting for Lang Qingyu to react, Guyan quickly left. Master, are you okay?" When Meizu saw Lang Qingyu standing there stiffly, she didn't know what to say for a moment. "No problem. He passed the test I gave him very well." Lang Qingyu recovered after a brief stiffness and said lightly. Meizu was shocked, and then admiration appeared in her eyes. So that's how it is. The master wanted to test Guyan's loyalty. That's why he used this method to get rid of Guyan and test his loyalty. As expected of the master. However, in reality, Lang Qingyu already felt extremely ashamed, depressed, and unwilling in his heart. Damn it, even though the person I played was an imaginary character of mine, why did I feel so lost when I heard Guyan reject me? No, it wouldn't work even if Guyan agreed, but he actually rejected me. Oh, that's not right. It's like I'm playing another person to cheat on myself. It's outrageous. Lang Qingyu was extremely annoyed. Damn it, it was all Guyan's fault. Why did he see through them and come over? Speaking of seeing through, Meizu. Hearing this kind voice, Meizu's body trembled. Yes. Why did your ability fail? And why didn't you cover yourself up? This. Meizu wanted to cry but had no tears. Damn Guyan, you have hurt me so much. I clearly saved your life in front of my master before. Act to Lang linger. Guyan covered his chest in a daze. The scene just now was still lingering in his mind. There was great confusion in his eyes. I don't know why. Even though he directly rejected Lang Bingning at that time, he felt extremely painful in his heart. But if he agreed, he would definitely not forgive himself. Why? What is going on? Guyan sighed lightly. It was as depressing, as if I played the role of A and confessed to the person I liked. And succeeded. But he didn't know why he felt that way. But it's come to this. He glanced at the one who had been glaring at him since just now. What's wrong with you, little brat? Lang Linger immediately shouted in dissatisfaction when she heard it. Who is this stinky little devil? You bastard Gu, where have you been? Guan Lan and the man with glasses were dragged away by a bunch of people. I was so bored. So you're not my brother-in-law? The corner of Gu Yan's mouth twitched. It turned out that he only called himself brother-in-law in front of his friends. He thought about it, but still didn't tell you that Ling Linger actually has an older sister, Ling Bing Ning, and instead said, go to the bathroom. It takes you so long to go to the bathroom? Ling Linger was very skeptical, but she still picked up a plate of puffs happily and handed it to Gu Yan. Here, this is the last bit. An ungrateful wretch tried to snatch it from me, but I scared him away on the spot. When she said this, Ling Linger looked a little embarrassed. She looked at Gu Yan, who was a little surprised, and shouted in panic. Hey, that's not what I meant. I just thought that you also bought some puffs last time. I remember that my sister also likes to eat this. So I want you to pack it up and bring it back to her. The adults at this banquet don't really eat this kind of food, so it's better for us to take it back instead of wasting it. Gu Yan smiled softly after hearing this. No, I was just thinking that you, the little brat, are actually a pretty nice person. Ling Linger frowned and said, dissatisfied lie. Why do I feel like you are mocking me? But forget it. It's your fault for helping me before. At this point, Ling Linger seemed to notice something and her eyes lit up. She stood up immediately and looked towards the stage with shining eyes. It's actually Lan Zizhen. Lan Zizhen? When Gu Yan heard the name, he quickly went over it in his mind and confirmed that the other party was not one of the protagonists or any of the main characters. He followed Ling Linger's gaze. Standing on the stage was a handsome man in a suit holding a microphone. He held up the microphone and said with a smile, hello everyone. I am Lan Zizhen. As soon as these words were spoken, a large number of women below cheered. Ling Linger was also among them. She pulled Gu Yan's hand and said, you bastard Gu. Come on, let's go to the front and take a look. The latter lost interest immediately when he saw that the other party was neither one of the protagonists nor an important character in the original work. In the original novel, this guy is just a low-level supporting character who is slapped in the face by the protagonist in order to improve the favorability of the heroine. To be honest, he plays no role in advancing the plot. But he couldn't resist Ling Linger, who kept pulling him. So he had no choice but to greet Ling Xing'an, who had just recovered from Ling Linger's insults. Uncle Ling, I'll go with Linger to take a look. Oh, it's okay. Just go ahead, don't worry about me. Ling Xing'an nodded in reply. Hurry up, you bastard Gu. Okay. Gu Yan had no choice but to be dragged over. And at the same time, in the dim banquet hall, several figures shuttled back and forth quickly. Some of them were waiters, some were bodyguards, and some were wearing banquet gowns. But they all have one thing in common, which is that no one can discover them. All of them rushed out of the banquet hall. Ling Qingqiu glanced in the direction of Gu Yan and Ling Linger, and disappeared with Mei Zhu. The first collective action of the night organization begins. Chapter 87. Yan King's secret. My brother-in-law sings so well. After arriving at the best viewing spot, Gu Yan sat on a banquet chair, supporting his face with his right hand, while watching the popular singer Lan Zizhen sing on the stage. Yawning out of boredom, he glanced at Ling Linger, who was watching Lan Zizhen singing with shining eyes, and smiled gently. This is a normal girl of this age, who likes to chase stars and watch TV series, is full of energy, and is not afraid of anything. Maybe if a burly man stood in front of Ling Linger, she might say, get out of here, you bastard. Really young. No, I'm not that old. Gu Yan smiled and reached out to the fruit plate on the table, wanting to take some snacks to try and listen to the level of music in this world. As a result, it seemed that I touched the same hand that was extended to me. You. A surprised and angry voice sounded, and Gu Yan looked over. I saw a woman sitting there with her cheeks red and swollen, with her subordinates applying an ice pack to her. It's you again, Miss Yan. Gu Yan looked at the other person and smiled gently in his heart. Yan King, whose cheek was still swollen and painful, glared at Gu Yan angrily. It would have been fine if the other party had pushed aside her bodyguards and sat over. He was actually eating his snacks as if nothing had happened. What's more important is that what he said was as if I was the one who sat here after him. Don't get me wrong, my sister-in-law is coming over to listen to some music. I was pulled over and I sat down naturally when I saw an empty seat. In fact, Gu Yan had already seen Yan King sitting here, so he deliberately guided Ling Linger and pulled him to this area. Snort. Yan King just snorted coldly. I didn't expect that the eldest son of the Gu family would beat so many family members for a girl. Even many elders were beaten to the ground by you. But that's not the point. The point is, Yan King pointed at her swollen left cheek with an angry look on her face. You actually hit a beautiful lady like me who was trying to stop a fight in the face. Do you know that the elders of our two families are good friends? If you don't want my dad to know that you hit me, then apologize to me. Gu Yan looked at Yan King with a look of, what does it have to do with me? Who saw me hit you? It was you who approached me. Gu Yan raised his hand and said with a nasty look. Look, this hand of mine is called Xiaoyu. What he hates to hear the most is words like give me face. You. Yan King covered her face with an unnatural expression and leaned back. You bastard, only a ghost would believe it. Gu Yan put away his hands, changed into a comfortable posture, and glanced at Yan King. Believe it or not, it's up to you. Who asked you to come here to be a peacemaker? Don't you know that I was very angry at that time? See if the atmosphere is good. Oh yeah, you're going to get beaten, and it's not my fault at all. Gu Yan said righteously. It's because you insisted on coming over to stop me that this happened. In other words, all the faults are yours. Speaking of this, Gu Yan thought of something. He said, you know, I hit you. I was wrong. Yan King was stunned on the spot. She pointed at Gu Yan with an unnatural expression and stammered, unable to say a word. It seemed like it was just as Gu Yan said. The other person's friend was insulted, so he went over to teach that person a lesson. But when the other person is angry, he runs over to him, as if telling him to come and hit him. The bodyguards behind Yan King couldn't stand it anymore and said in a deep voice, Master Gu, you are going too far. As soon as he finished speaking, Gu Yan glanced over coldly. Shut up, is it your turn to interrupt now? Well, the bodyguards suddenly fell silent. Yan King was already overthinking things. She shook her head and said, I'm so annoyed. Never mind. That one thing is my fault, but there is another thing that is definitely your fault. Yan King gritted her teeth and looked at Gu Yan. You have to apologize to me for that. Are you here? Gu Yan's expression remained unchanged, and he smiled in his heart. Yan King, the eldest daughter of the Yan family, who is as famous as the Gu family. I could have been content to be a rich woman's daughter, but I had the dream of becoming a singer. My dream is to become the most popular singing star. I am extremely narcissistic and very confident about my beauty. So it is also developing towards the entertainment industry. And it is not uncommon for singers to enter the entertainment industry. What she wants to do is to become the most popular singer and actress in the entertainment industry. In the original novel, this person is also one of Shaolin's concubines, and she falls in love with Shaolin for various reasons, and she actually has a secret that is unknown to others, which is, she is an M. This is a secret that Shaolin in the original novel has never discovered. Because Shaolin is a hot-blooded idiot, he always thought that Yan King fell in love with his righteous virtues. In fact, it was not the case at all. It was because Yan King was attracted by the strong and domineering aura that the other party accidentally revealed. It's a pity that Shaolin didn't understand the other party. He always spoke in a soft voice when he was with Yan King. This made Yan King often give Shaolin a cold look in the original book, with the purpose of provoking the other party's anger to be more assertive towards herself. Unfortunately, until the end when Yan King and other concubines in the harem were killed by Ling Qiyu, Shaolin never spoke loudly to the concubines in the harem. In short, when Gu Yan saw Yan King for the first time, he actually recognized her. The other person looked exactly like the person he had seen during his morning run not long ago. Combined with the fact that Yan King also lived in Chanhu Cave Villa in the original novel, this person is exactly Yan King in the original novel. Thinking of this, Gu Yan raised the corner of his mouth and asked with a smile, What's the matter? That's right, you called me ugly girl. Yan King's voice became lower and lower, as if she didn't want to say those two words. Immediately afterwards, before Yan King could hear Gu Yan's apology, suddenly, she heard an interesting voice. Oh? Immediately afterwards, Yan King felt someone pinching her chin hard and twisting it to one side. She looked over. Gu Yan pinched her chin hard and scanned her face with an aggressive look. Mr. Gu, please let the young lady go. The bodyguard behind him was horrified and tried to stop him. But Yan King shouted, Wait, it's not your turn to speak here. These words immediately made the bodyguards freeze in their places. All they could do was watch the eldest son of the Gu family bully their own young lady. Yan King looked at Gu Yan, her heart beating rapidly. Her breathing became slightly heavier, and she felt as if her body temperature was rising. What do you want to do? There was an unnatural tone in Yan King's voice. She clenched her hands tightly and pretended to be calm on the surface. But an unnatural look gradually appeared on his face. What's such an aggressive look? And from this perspective, Gu Yan looks so handsome. Nice hands too. Her chest rose and fell. Then Gu Yan let go of his hand, looked at Yan King meaningfully, and said with a nasty smile, Take a closer look. You are indeed very beautiful. Okay, I take back what I said about you being an ugly girl. Yan King bit her lips when she heard that she glared at Gu Yan, took a deep breath, and forced herself to calm down. And he turned his head and snorted, I'm glad to know. Gu Yan pretended not to notice Yan King's abnormality. Looked at Lan Zizan on the stage and chuckled, Let's listen to how people sing. I remember you were also a popular singer. Yan King glanced at Lan Zizhen when she heard this, then curled her lips in disinterest. This guy is just a packaged traffic star. Please don't call idols like this singers, they are all mass-produced on the assembly line of idol variety shows. It's just that Lan Zizhen has some connections behind him, so he can stand out and remain popular until now. At this point, Yan King had a headache, he said. The main reason is that this guy has been pestering me since we worked together on a campus movie. And every time the paparazzi would take photos of us and post them online, they would often give us some ambiguous titles, saying things like we were a perfect couple on screen. I was really fed up with it. When Guyan heard this, he thought to himself that it was exactly the same as in the original book. Lang Linger was watching the performance, but as she listened, the excitement in her heart gradually decreased. Because, why does it sound so bad? Lang Linger was a little confused. Because Lanzi was obviously her favorite idol. She is also a good singer and I have bought many of her albums. But when I heard it live today, why was it so unbearable? Not as good as my brother-in-law's singing, Lang Linger muttered, subconsciously looking for Guyan, only to see him happily, she thought, chatting with a beautiful woman. Suddenly she cursed in her heart. Cheating, this is cheating. Damn you, jerk. On stage, although Lan Zizhen was singing, his eyes were actually looking at Yan King in the audience. When you see that violent person sitting next to the person you like and touching him or her, Lan Zizhen actually couldn't help but want to swear. But Guyan is the eldest son of the Gu family, and he is also such a terrifying and violent person. No matter how stupid I am, I would never cause trouble for him in public. However, there is another way. He glanced at another yellow-haired girl in the audience. The other party seemed to be his fan and came together with the violent element. I really don't know what Lanzi was thinking about. He sang even harder. The song is over. Just when everyone thought Lan Zizhen would continue singing, I heard the other party whispering, everyone, I believe that everyone feels a little bored just listening to me singing, so there's a little event coming up, and I'd like to randomly invite a lucky audience member to come on stage and sing with me. As soon as these words came out, the rich ladies who liked little puppies like Lan Zizhen all cheered. Me. Zen called her mom to come over. Zen, mommy loves you. Feeling the passion of the people below the stage, Lan Zizhen felt very proud. Then, he extended his hand and looked at Lang Linger in the audience. My beautiful lady, are you willing to perform on stage with me? That's right, judging from the fact that Lang Linger was protected by Guyan. This woman must be the one Guyan liked. And the other person is my fan. When you see your favorite person singing with me, you will definitely be jealous, right? You can't say anything. After all, the star that the girl you likes is me. However, Lang Linger waved her hand. No. Lan Zizhen's mouth twitched, and he looked at the other person with some embarrassment and shock. Aren't you my fan? Although the other rich ladies wanted to criticize Lang Linger for rejecting their little bastard, they thought that there was a dangerous guy named Guyan behind her. So they all shut up. Then Lang Linger said with an embarrassed look on her face, because I don't sing well. What? Is that so? It's okay. It doesn't matter if you can't sing well, the main thing is the interaction. Lan Zizhen breathed a sigh of relief and smiled. No, forget it like this. Lang Linger still shook her head. After thinking about it, she quickly ran to Guyan and pulled him up while he looked confused, and shouted, my brother-in-law sings beautifully. Let him sing. Guyan, who was still thinking about how to conquer Yan King next, was suddenly speechless. You little devil. He looked at Lang Linger kindly, and the latter laughed at him as if her plan had succeeded. You are told to talk to other girls. Yan King looked at Guyan in surprise. You can sing too? A little bit. Guyan shrugged. Come on, brother-in-law. Lang Linger had already pulled Guyan onto the stage. Chapter 88. This is a song for my lover. At this time, inside the presidential suite of the banquet hotel, Yan Huang, the lord of Yama's palace, listened to the reports from his men. Palace master, I don't know what consensus and deal young master Longzi Yichon has reached with the young master of the Gu family. That demon warrior Qian Fang has been taken away by the Gu family's master. The assassins in Yama's palace reported this to Yan Wang Bao respectfully. Although most of their assassins only have innate cultivation, they have extremely strong means of concealing their own aura. They were very confident that even the master next to Guyan could not discover them. Yan Huang responded hoarsely. He felt endless doubts in his heart. In fact, he had discovered long ago that his adopted son Long Ziyan was in collusion with Qian Fang. But he still did so out of consideration of their old friendship. Therefore, he has not taken any action to kill his own relatives for the sake of justice. He is just waiting to see if the other party can wake up and turn back in time. Today's banquet is actually Long Ziyan's last chance. If by the time he goes on stage to announce his successor, Wang Ziyan is still obsessed with colluding with the evil sect. Then, he would declare his other adopted son the heir. And after the banquet, he would kill his own son and hand over the body of Watakata to the warrior department. But now with Gu Yan's intervention, he didn't know how to judge for a moment. According to the reports from his subordinates, it seemed that Gu Yan used Yanfang to threaten Long Ziyan, so that the other party would become the lord of the Hall of Yama and then cooperate with him. Gu Yan. However, according to his subordinates, Tianfang's cultivation had been destroyed by that master warrior. This without cultivation, Tianfang cannot use the secret manuals of martial arts. So how can he help them? For a moment, Yan Huang couldn't figure out what Gu Yan wanted to do. This son of Gu Qianming, the eldest son of the Gu family, does not seem to be as simple as the rumors say. Why? Yan Huang sighed lightly. Things have come to this point. Why should he think so much? He was seriously injured and might die soon. All he wanted now was to select someone as soon as possible who could serve as the lord of the Hall of Yama. Wang Ziyan is his most promising adopted son. He has good talent and cultivation ability. But his temperament is too impatient. If he concentrates on practicing, he will surely reach the same level as him in the future. The other adopted sons all had good personalities, but their talents were ultimately too poor. Thinking of this, he started coughing again because of his hidden illness. Yan Huang held the handle of the chair tightly, with a conflicted look in his eyes. He was unclear and didn't understand what Gu Yan was going to do. But, there is one thing he knows, that is, he believes in the Gu family. At that time, the Gu family and the Bai family were the only two warrior families that did not participate in that dispute. He believed that Gu Qianming's son would not do anything to harm the world. On the contrary, it might be a good thing for Gu Yan to restrain Long Ziyan. That's all. Yan Huang has figured it out. He has lived long enough and has made many wrong things in the past. Let's leave this future to the young people. He closed his eyes and thought about all the matters related to handing over the palace of Yama to Long Ziyan. What he didn't realize was, in a dark corner of the room, a figure was staring at each other. The lord of the Hades palace has been discovered. There are a total of 6 small fish around him, 5 of which are at the initial stage of Xiantian cultivation, and 1 is at the peak of Xiantian cultivation. The strength of the lord of the Hades palace is negligible. Even if he explodes, he is only at the peak of the early stage of the Grand Master. What do you mean? Do you want to take action? He communicated with other members in his mind. Just a breath away, Meizu's voice came over. Bang! Don't act impulsively, wait for the master's instructions. Upon hearing this, the man called Fang resisted the urge to kill everything in sight and replied, Okay. Meizu is here. She looked at Leng Qingqiu. Master Fang's has found its target. Leng Qingqiu nodded slightly, but her eyes were looking towards the stage. She frowned and looked at Gu Yan, who was pulled onto the stage by Leng Linger. I was thinking of taking action right away, but, Leng Qingqiu said calmly. Wait a minute, is there an item in the banquet program that invites the audience to come on stage to interact? Why would he call Gu Yan and Linger? Is there some conspiracy? Leng Qingqiu felt somewhat alert. Meizu was stunned. Then shook her head. No, this should be the solo show of the person named Lan Ziyan on the stage. But sometimes there are stars who interact with the audience just to liven up the atmosphere. Master, you don't have to be too. The words haven't finished yet. Leng Qingqiu interrupted and said, No, the programs are fixed. She looked at Lan Ziyan and said firmly, There's something fishy going on here. When Meizu heard this, her body trembled, and then a look of admiration appeared on her face. I see, since this is a banquet held by the King of Hell, the programs have fixed content and time. Once someone here behaves strangely, it means that the King of Hell is behind it. This might affect their plans. It's amazing that such details can be considered, as expected of the master. Thinking of this, Meizu immediately reported the situation to everyone. Everyone, the plan has changed. Everyone except Fang should pay attention to the situation on the stage. The master's sister may be in danger. Received. Yes. Okay. Speaking of which, why would this wooden-headed guy named Gu Yan be with his master's sister? Like, hey, that's enough. For a moment, all the members of the night organization looked towards the stage vigilantly and stared at Lan Ziyan. I'm afraid that the other party will show murderous intentions and hurt Leng Linger. Lan Ziyan on the stage felt a chill all over his body. He looked around in surprise. Why was he so cold when the heater was on? But it doesn't matter. He looked at Gu Yan going on stage and felt excited. How could a Andy boy sing a good song? Being dragged up by this little yellow-haired boy to make a fool of himself was exactly what he wanted. Thinking about it, he smiled and said to Gu Yan, who was walking onto the stage, Hello, I'll sing a line later. How about you sing a line? How about picking a song you're more familiar with? Hearing this, Gu Yan glanced at the other party, then shook his head. No need. Speaking of, under the other party's somewhat stiff gaze, Gu Yan walked to the international accompaniment band in the banquet hall and communicated with the other party for a while. He walked to the international pianist who had been invited. After exchanging a few words with him, the pianist stood up and stepped aside. And then Gu Yan took his place and sat there. Seeing this scene, everyone was stunned. They started whispering to each other. What's going on? What is Master Gu going to do? He wants to sing by himself, no way, without Lan Zizhen. How can young Master Gu sing along? And why was he sitting at the piano by himself? He can play the piano? Lan Zizeng was so angry at Gu Yan's almost ignoring attitude that he tightly grasped the microphone in his hand. Damn you, I'm waiting to see you make a fool of yourself. Langlinger was a little confused, and then seemed to have thought of something. She walked down the stage and sat on the banquet chair where Gu Yan had sat at the beginning. Yan Qingqing was also confused by this scene. He glanced at Langlinger and said, "Hey, can Gu Yan sing?" Hearing this, Langlinger raised her head proudly.